हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज की वीडियो में मैं इसका नेक्स्ट पार्ट लेके आ चुका हूँ। तो बिना किसी देरी के चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं।
Chapter 21, Whale Glue Project Lead, Lin Yedian. Although our existence hasn't been short and our experience is rich enough, supplemented by thousands of years of records from Spirit Hall, there are still many things on this continent that we do not know. Those things are waiting for us and our descendants to explore. Just like this time, if it weren't for the notification from the God of Order, I wouldn't be sure how many years it would take for people to slowly discover the true function of whale glue. But now it's different, at least now, we clearly know the value of whale glue. Qian Daliu said with a smile. They believe they understood this continent well enough because they assumed their knowledge encompassed everything on it, not because they truly understood every single matter of this continent. On this boundless continent, there were still many secrets they did not know. The High Priest is right, but regarding this whale glue matter, High Priest, who do you plan to entrust it to? Golden Crocodile inquired. High Priest, the matter of whale glue concerns the next generation of our Spirit Hall and whether they can successfully absorb a 1,000-year Spirit Ring as their first ring. This matter is of vital importance and can also increase the foundation of our Spirit Hall. I believe it should naturally be handed over to someone we trust the most. Lion suggested. Lion is right, this matter must be given to someone we trust the most. I wonder if the High Priest has a candidate in mind. Golden Crocodile agreed. Hearing this, Qian Daliu pondered who to give it to. Should it be given to Bibi Dong? It didn't seem impossible. Although Bibi Dong hated Spirit Hall, as the Supreme Pontiff, she was still conscientious. Over the years, he had seen what Bibi Dong had done and kept it in mind. She hadn't done anything against the interests of Spirit Hall, at least on the surface. Secretly, he wasn't sure what Bibi Dong was actually thinking. High Priest, why not let Lin Yedian handle this matter? He is an 86th ranked Spirit Douluo powerhouse himself and is now an honorary elder of our Spirit Hall. Most importantly, he is Fenger's biological father, and his grandmother is related to the angel family. We can trust him completely, Qingluan said to Qian Daliu. Compared to the Supreme Pontiff who hated Spirit Hall, he was more willing to trust Lin Feng's father. Fenger's father, Qian Daliu murmured. Lin Feng's father, Lin Yedian, had excellent talent. Being able to reach the rank of Spirit Douluo at this age meant that as long as he was given enough resources, it was a certainty that he would find the opportunity to become a titled Douluo in the future. Otherwise, why would he directly appoint Lin Yedian as an honorary elder when he hadn't made any outstanding contributions? No. Actually, there was an outstanding contribution to Spirit Hall, giving birth to Lin Feng, a gifted child deeply loved by the God of Order. Let's count that as an outstanding contribution for now. Moreover, if it weren't for Lin Feng, no matter how much of a genius Lin Yedian was, he wouldn't have appeared before him, and he wouldn't have discovered this good prospect. Now, he was completely cultivating Lin Yedian as a future elder, just waiting for the man to become a titled Douluo. He wouldn't have to wait too long for that. Qingluan is right, let Lin Yedian handle this matter. As an honorary elder of our Spirit Hall, it's time he took on some responsibilities. Qian Daliu said decisively. High Priest, I'm back. Just as Qian Daliu confirmed handing the whale glue matter to Lin Yedian, he heard Zhengmo's voice coming from outside the main hall. Looking back, he saw Zhengmo walking slowly toward the main hall, waving at the group. Qian Daliu said with a smile, calculating the time since he left Spirit Hall, today is indeed the day this fellow Zhengmo returns. He just didn't know if Xiaoshui had agreed to his suggestion. Of course, it didn't matter if she disagreed. He wasn't forcing his own granddaughter. There was still a long time ahead, and plus, Lin Feng was very intelligent and handsome, not losing it all to himself in his youth. When the heirs of the two divinities meet in the future, he believed they would be attracted to each other. High Priest, why do you all look so excited? What's going on? What exactly happened while I was away? Entering the main hall and seeing the excited and agitated emotions of the crowd, Zhengmo was a bit confused and asked in bewilderment. Ahem, Thousand Zhen cleared his throat and asked, Zhengmo, what did that girl Xiaoshui say? Did she agree or refuse? He really didn't know what his younger brother was thinking. Was the excitement the important thing? They could talk about being excited later. The most important thing now was whether Xiaoshui had agreed to the High Priest's suggestion. No. Hearing this, Qian Daliu sighed. As expected, Xiaoshui hadn't agreed. But it made sense. A younger brother 8 years her junior, and a stranger she had never met, even if the other party's angel power was dense and he was the heir to the powerful God of Order, so what? Yes. Is it a yes or no? Thousand Zhen directly gave Zhengmo a slap on the back of the neck, saying somewhat angrily. Brother, what are you doing? Why did you hit me? I haven't finished speaking yet. Zhengmo felt the burning pain on his neck and said resentfully. High Priest, that girl Xiaoshui didn't agree, but she didn't refuse either. But in my view, that girl Xiaoshui still has thoughts about it. She also said not to tell the child Lin Feng about this for now, as it requires her consent first. When she has time, she will come back to personally meet the child Lin Feng. Zhengmo told the whole story, fearing that if he spoke a second too late, his brother would give him another slap. Hearing this, Qian Daliu's expression gradually softened, and he murmured, as expected, just as I thought, the heirs of the two divinities will be attracted to each other. Once Xiaoshui comes back and meets Fenger, I believe she will agree. It has been several years since Xiaoshui left Spirit Hall, and I miss her quite a bit. In these years away from Spirit Hall, she probably hasn't had an easy time. He knew his granddaughter's standards might be very high. After all, her background and talent were there, and the inheritance of the angel god was waiting for her. But Lin Feng was not inferior either. His spirit was the angel of light and darkness, and he was the heir to the God of Order. His future achievements would be immeasurable. Chapter 22, The Cause and Effect, The Shock Zhengmo. Also, High Priest, what exactly were you all talking about just now? Zhengmo asked with a look of confusion. What on earth could make these experts, whose lowest strength was that of a peak Douluo, so excited and agitated? Lightfeather said to Zhengmo, this matter. Old 7, do you think that in the Spirit Master's world, a Spirit Master can directly absorb a 10,000-year Spirit Ring for their first and second Spirit Rings to obtain a 10,000-year Spirit skill? I suppose you wouldn't believe it. Huh, Zhengmo frowned and said, absorbing a 10,000-year Spirit Ring for the first and second Spirit Rings. How is that possible? Does it even need to be said? I certainly wouldn't believe it. He didn't believe that anyone could directly absorb a 10,000-year Spirit Ring for their first and second Spirit Rings to obtain a 10,000-year Spirit skill. This was nearly, no, absolutely, impossible. It was an ironclad law of the Spirit Master's world. To this day, he had heard of someone absorbing a 1,000-year Spirit Ring for their first Spirit Ring, but he had never heard of anyone being able to absorb a 10,000-year one. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, 5 blacks, the optimal Spirit Ring configuration was not easily broken. To absorb a 10,000-year Spirit Ring, first, you had to be a Spirit Master of the Spirit King level. But seeing Lightfeather's serious expression, Zhengmo was a bit dazed and said, wait, Lightfeather, you're not serious, are you? I know very well that you love to play tricks on people, especially me. There's no fun in lying to me. Lion laughed heartily. Zhangmo, you don't really think Lightfeather is lying to you, do you? There's no point in lying to you about this. I can tell you clearly that the child Lin Feng indeed absorbed 2 10,000-year spirit rings at the Spirit Grandmaster realm. Now you should finally believe it. Silence. Dead silence. You could hear a pin drop. Zhangmo could even hear the sound of his own rapid breathing. What exactly is going on? Zhangmo's gaze finally landed on the high priest. Perhaps only the high priest could provide him with an answer. He tilted Zhangmo, I just love seeing this shocked yet disbelieving look of yours. It's truly interesting, Lightfeather teased. Thinking back to those years. When the high priest saw the martial soul fusion skill of Qianjun and Zhangmo, he once said that even he would have to yield slightly to such a martial soul fusion skill. Qianjun didn't feel much. He was very clear about the high priest's strength and understood that this gap was not something a single martial soul fusion skill could bridge. But unfortunately, Zhangmo, that hothead, actually thought that by relying on the martial soul fusion skill with his brother, he could threaten the high priest. Ever since that incident, he had been very happy to tease Zhangmo. Ahem tilde. Qian Daliu gave a dry cough and said, Lightfeather, stop messing around. And Zhangmo, this matter is a bit complicated to explain. The main reason Feng'er could absorb a 1,000-year spirit ring is primarily because of the existence of the God of Order, do you understand? But hasn't this little guy not yet started the God's trial? Zhangmo asked, scratching his head in confusion. Lightfeather explained, Zhangmo, how can we fathom the will of a god? Besides, it's just a 10,000-year spirit ring. If you knew that Feng'er's 10,000-year spirit ring could grow, wouldn't you be even more shocked? This 10,000-year spirit ring can still grow. A spirit ring can grow. Zhangmo stood dazed on the spot. What on earth was he hearing? That's right, Feng'er's 10,000-year spirit ring can indeed grow. In the future, if his spirit power level reaches level 90, it will become a 100,000-year spirit ring. Qian Daliu patiently explained to Zhangmo. Absurd. This is truly absurd. How could a god do so much for this little guy? Zhangmo muttered with a bitter smile. In the future, when Lin Feng's spirit power level reaches level 90, his first and second spirit ability will directly become 100,000-year spirit skills. Just thinking about it was terrifying. And there's more tilde, Lightfeather reminded him. Zhangmo said in astonishment, there's actually more. Lightfeather, let me explain to Zhangmo instead. Seeing Lightfeather teasing his younger brother, Qianjun finally couldn't help but speak up. Zhangmo, that is only the first part, there's also a second. Do you know about whale glue? This thing can improve a spirit master's physical constitution. If taken long term, it will increase the age limit of the spirit rings a spirit master can absorb. As for how much it improves, we are not yet clear. We don't need to think about it, as we can't use it, but that doesn't mean the next generation of our spirit hall, the future of our spirit hall, can't use it. If it's popularized, the first and second spirit rings of our spirit hall's next generation will all be based on 1,000-year spirit rings rather than 100-year spirit rings. Brother, isn't whale glue that stuff those meat-eating nobles use as an aphrodisiac and to increase their duration? It actually has such a miraculous effect. Zhangmo was puzzled. All of this was told to the little guy Lin Feng by the God of Order. Do you think the God of Order would lie to us? Use the 2-ounce brain of yours and think carefully. We didn't know simply because we never researched the value of whale glue. Now that we know its value, we naturally won't let it go. Zhangmo, do you have any other questions? Qianjun said wryly. His younger brother was good in every way, he just lacked a 28-ounce brain to use. Zhangmo shook his head slightly, feeling as if a lifetime had passed. How should he put it? Host, he had only been out for a few days, so how could the spirit hall be about to undergo such a massive change now that he was back? All sorts of inconceivable things were now being realized. Lin Feng's first and second spirit rings were directly 10,000-year spirit rings, and now the true usage of whale glue had been discovered, which could improve a spirit master's constitution. In the future, as long as they were spirit masters of the spirit hall, they could directly absorb 1,000-year spirit rings for their first and second spirit rings. This kind of thing was absolutely impossible in the past. It felt absurd, extremely absurd. Haha tilde, it seems our Zhangmo needs a few days to digest these two matters. Lightfeather burst into hearty laughter seeing Zhangmo's wooden expression, and some of the other enshrines couldn't help but laugh as well. Qian Daliu had a smile on his face, while Golden Crocodile disdained joining in the playfulness of these children. Qianjun was somewhat troubled. His brother was often teased by Lightfeather, and he wondered when his brother would grow some wits and tease Lightfeather back. Only Qingluan, Lion, and Lightfeather were laughing heartily. Hearing the laughter around him, the previously wooden Zhangmo instantly snapped back to his senses and said indignantly, HMPH tilde Lightfeather, who are you looking down on? Am I the kind of person who finds such things hard to accept? This is exactly how the power of a god should be. Qianjun, sigh tilde so tired tilde just let him be tilde. Zhangmo muttered in a low voice, this guy only knows how to tease me, as if he never grows up. He keeps that young appearance all day long. Those who don't know better would think some little child from somewhere had run into our hall of worship. Chapter 23, New God Level Choice. Zhangmo, what are you muttering over there? You haven't actually gone senile, have you? Lightfeather said gleefully. Although he didn't hear clearly what Zhangmo was muttering, he knew that with Zhangmo's temperament, he was definitely slandering him. Lightfeather, you fellow, you're really infuriating me. Take a hit from my coiling dragon rod. Don't you dare run if you have the guts. Zhangmo made a move to summon his spirit. He tilde not run. Zhangmo, are you trying to kill me with laughter? Do you think I'm stupid, or are you? Don't use that brain of yours, which barely weighs 2 ounces, to give me orders. It's utterly ridiculous. Come and catch me. As he spoke, Lightfeather increased the distance between him and Zhangmo, speaking with a cheeky grin. You're infuriating me, truly infuriating me. Lightfeather, you old prankster, stand still. Today, I must see whether your Lightfeather bow is harder or my coiling dragon rod is harder. Upon hearing this, Zhangmo was fuming with rage. He immediately summoned his spirit, the coiling dragon rod, and chased after the other. In terms of verbal sparring, he wasn't as good as him, so he would just resort to physical collision. It was hard to say who was stronger or weaker. Sigh tilde, Qian Daliu watched the two chasing each other, as well as Qingluan and the others who were watching the spectacle. With a bitter smile, he shook his head slightly and left the area. Feng'er, open the door. It's Grandpa. After leaving the main hall, Qian Daliu immediately arrived at Lin Feng's door, knocked gently, and spoke. Grandpa, lying on the bed and about to fall into a deep sleep, Lin Feng opened his hazy eyes. At this time, did Grandpa have something to discuss with him? Lin Feng got out of bed, yawning and rubbing his eyes. He opened the wooden door and looked at Qian Daliu, saying, Grandpa, is something the matter? Feng'er is a bit sleepy. Qian Daliu said with a smile, there's indeed something I need to ask you. Feng'er, at your current age, it's exactly the right time to enter an academy to study. Do you want to enter the Spirit Master Academy? Spirit Master Academy? No need, right, Lin Feng thought to himself. Did he need to go to the Spirit Master Academy to study? Of course not. Staying in the Hall of Worship was quite good. He had plenty of time for cultivation. Moreover, even if he encountered problems in his cultivation, weren't there several worship grandpas? These were all ready-made teachers. Just as Lin Feng was about to refuse, the system's voice appeared in his mind once again. Ding, God level choice activated. Please make a choice according to your own will, host. God level choice 1, willing to enter the Spirit Master Academy to study. Reward, favorability of the Spirit Hall Holy Maiden in the following of 3 top-tier genius Spirit Masters, each with innate spirit power of no less than level 9. God level choice 2, leave the Spirit Hall and join another Spirit Master Academy to study. Reward, 3 stalks of premium blue silver grass. God level choice 3, unwilling to go and staying in the Hall of Worship to cultivate diligently. Reward, immortal grade spirit grass, lustrous tulip. Lin Feng was a bit bewildered. Originally, he had intended to refuse directly. After all, entering the Spirit Master Academy would have almost no effect on his spirit power growth. It was the kind of thing that was tasteless to eat but a pity to discard. However, if it triggered a God level choice, then he would have to consider it. System, I choose option 1. Lin Feng selected immediately without even thinking. Given the system's usual pattern, this was the standard correct answer. The remaining 2 were just fillers. This was the real answer. What was premium blue silver grass? Wasn't it still blue silver grass? And it was 3 stalks of blue silver grass at that. What use was this? Anyway, he didn't know what this stuff was for. A premium among blue silver grass. If it were the blue silver emperor, he might hesitate, but for blue silver grass, there was no need to consider it. As for the immortal grade spirit grass, the lustrous tulip, although the reward looked decent, it was just so-so. In the future, he would use the power of the Spirit Hall to obtain the ice and fire yin-yang well. With Schrodinger's god existing, he could just shift the blame to the god of order anyway. Obtaining a stock of lustrous tulip now didn't have any practical use for him. Grandpa, in the Spirit Master Academy, are there many Spirit Masters, and are they Spirit Masters of the same age as Fenger? Lin Feng asked. Of course, the Spirit Master Academy is the largest Spirit Master Academy in our Spirit Hall. Thousands of Spirit Masters live there, and it recruits students every year. Recently is the enrollment period for the Spirit Master Academy. At that time, Fenger will meet many Spirit Masters of the same age, Qian Daoliu replied. The Spirit Master Academy, as their Spirit Hall Spirit Master Academy, although most of the Spirit Masters were commoners, its true purpose was to provide fresh blood for their Spirit Hall. Most Spirit Masters would find employment in the Spirit Hall after graduation. Hearing that there were Spirit Masters of the same age, Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and he said happily, Grandpa, I want to go to the Spirit Master Academy. However, Lin Feng's tone shifted as he said, before going to the Spirit Master Academy, I want to go home once to see my father and mother. Does Fenger miss your father and mother? Yes, Grandpa. Qian Daoliu raised his hand and stroked Lin Feng's head, saying calmly, you're a child after all. Go back tomorrow for a visit to see your parents. I believe they will definitely be shocked when they see your spirit ring. After seeing Qian Daoliu off, Lin Feng sat on the edge of the bed. His previous excitement faded, and his expression became very calm. He rubbed his chin and asked, stupid system, those so-called 3 genius Spirit Masters wouldn't happen to be Huliana, Xieyu, and Yan, would they? Those were the only 3 he could think of, the Spirit Hall's golden generation. Their natural talent was, of course, beyond question. They were exceptionally gifted. If it weren't for the fact that Huliana and Xieyu were severely injured by Tang San's 8 spider lances during the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament final, damaging their foundations, it would have been no problem for them to become titled Douluo with the Spirit Hall's backing. It's not them, host Tilda. Then who exactly is it? Lin Feng was puzzled. If it wasn't the trio of Huliana, Xieyu, and Yan, who else among the Spirit Hall's new generation of Spirit Masters had an innate spirit power level of no less than 9? There didn't seem to be anyone else. It couldn't be 3 unknown entities generated by the system, could it? The host only needs to wait until entering the Spirit Master Academy to find out the answer. For now, we must maintain a sense of mystery, Tilda, the system replied. Maintain a sense of mystery. He Tilda fine, I'll see just which 3 people they are. Lin Feng sneered. At the same time, he began to reminisce, but no matter how he thought about it, he couldn't recall who those 3 people could be. Tilda the host won't be able to guess it, Tilda. Sigh, since the system says I'll know when the day comes, then I'll wait until then to see who those 3 people are. With that, Lin Feng lay down on the bed and continued his unfinished task, sleeping. Chapter 24. Son, your dad is an honorary elder. Fenger, Qian Daoliu looked at the little fellow before him with a kind expression and said with a smile. After returning this time, I will personally take you to report to the Spirit Master Academy tomorrow morning. Once you enter the academy, you generally aren't allowed to leave unless it's a holiday. Of course, if Fenger doesn't want to stay there for a long time, you can tell Grandpa. The Spirit Master Academy had its own set of rules, regulations, and management systems. This helped the dean and teachers manage the academy more effectively. Under the system, without special circumstances, one could only leave the Spirit Master Academy during holidays. There were 2 holidays a year, each lasting 2 months. The rest of the time was almost entirely spent within the academy. The so-called special circumstances included when one's spirit power reached the level required to absorb a spirit ring, as well as being a senior student. When spirit power reached the level for absorbing a spirit ring, a class teacher or a family elder would lead the student out of the Spirit Master Academy to the Stardo Great Forest or the Spirit Hall's captive spirit beast breeding grounds to hunt for a spirit ring. As for senior students, because they were older and needed to gain experience outside, these regulations were completely relaxed for them. It was an open system where they could leave the academy at any time, though they needed to report it. I understand, Grandpa, Lin Feng said with a grin. Father, mother, I'm back. As soon as he stepped through the gates of the manor, Lin Feng shouted loudly toward the inside. It's Fenger, it's Fenger. Fenger is back. Lin Yedian, who was just about to head out, suddenly rushed out of the room upon hearing Lin Feng's voice. He moved extremely fast, appearing before Lin Feng like a black blur. Lin Yedian excitedly pulled Lin Feng into his arms, showing intense affection and rubbing against Lin Feng with his big stubble. He said with a laugh, son, how do you have time to come back? Shouldn't you be spending most of your time on cultivation with the high priest? Lin Feng used his small, tender hands to push hard against Lin Yedian's face and big stubble as it rubbed toward him. With a look of total disdain, he said, Father, Grandpa Angel isn't that strict. Besides, I'm going to the Spirit Master Academy tomorrow, so I plan to come back and see you first. Once I enter the academy, I won't have time to come back often. My son is so thoughtful. Son, did you know? Your father is now an honorary elder of Spirit Hall. Even those platinum cult masters are respectful when they see me. In the future, as long as I reach the titled Douluo realm, I'll become a true elder of our Spirit Hall, not just an honorary one. Lin Yedian said excitedly. Oh, then does father have confidence in breaking through to the titled Douluo realm? Lin Feng asked. He wasn't particularly worried about whether his father could become an elder of Spirit Hall. After all, he would be there in the future. Of course I do, it'll just take a long time. Back then, your father was a famous genius, you know. Otherwise, how could your mother have fallen for me? Lin Yedian rubbed against Lin Feng vigorously. Also, yesterday, the high priest gave your father a mission. I'm to procure a large amount of whale glue for Spirit Hall. But isn't that stuff used by nobles as an aphrodisiac and to prolong performance? I really don't know why our Spirit Hall suddenly wants to buy so much of it. Lin Feng looked puzzled. When he received the mission, he had asked the Spirit Master who came to notify him, but that Spirit Master didn't know why either, so there was no way to answer him. He naturally didn't know the reason himself. Father, do you want to know? Lin Feng said with a smile. Hearing this, Lin Yedian was first stunned, then his expression turned serious. He said, if this matter is of vital importance to our Spirit Hall, then it's better not to say it. I only need to complete the mission the high priest gave me. But Lin Feng didn't care if Lin Yedian wanted to hear it or not and said directly, actually, it's not some huge secret. It's just that if a Spirit Master consumes a small amount of whale glue, it improves their physical constitution. If our Spirit Hall's next generation of Spirit Masters starts taking whale glue as soon as they can eat solid food, these Spirit Masters can absorb a 1,000-year Spirit Ring for their first ring. The effects of whale glue were originally something he had told Qian Dalu, so there was no harm in telling his father. Besides, since Qian Dalu had already given this mission to his father had a right to know. This, how is that possible? Lin Yedian stood frozen in place, completely dazed. He never imagined that this whale glue would be so important to Spirit Hall. Just as he was reeling from the shock of the whale glue's effects, Ying Chuchu suddenly came to his side and snatched Lin Feng from Lin Yedian's arms. What are you two chatting about? Also, Fenger, did you miss your mother during the few days you were away? Mother missed you very much while you were gone. Ying Chuchu rubbed Lin Feng's head vigorously, and Lin Feng looked like he was thoroughly enjoying it. I did, of course I did. And compared to father, I miss mother even more, Lin Feng said with a grin. First Spirit Ring, 1,000-year Spirit Ring, how is that possible? First Spirit Ring, 1,000-year Spirit Ring, how is that possible? Hearing Lin Yedian muttering to himself, Ying Chuchu frowned slightly and asked in confusion, Yedian, what are you mumbling about over there? What first Spirit Ring, 1,000-year Spirit Ring, what are you talking about? Mother, I know, let me tell you, Lin Feng spoke up. What? A moment later, after Lin Feng told his mother the situation, Ying Chuchu's red lips parted slightly as she looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. Fenger, is this true? Yedian, it seems the high priest values you very much to entrust such an important matter to you. You mustn't mess this up, this is the very foundation of our Spirit Hall. Ying Chuchu said solemnly. She knew about whale glue, but she never expected it to have such an effect. For a Spirit Master, this was simply a treasure. He told the mother, I'm actually the one who told Grandpa Angel about the effects of whale glue. Aren't I amazing? Lin Feng said with a smile, looking very much like a child eager for praise. Fenger told the high priest. What's going on? Fenger, how did you know? Ying Chuchu was shocked, even finding it a bit hard to believe that her Fenger was the one who told the high priest about this. How did her Fenger know? Where did he learn it from? Chapter 25, I am the successor of a god. Mother, actually, the effect of the whale glue was told to me by that white-haired old grandfather in my spiritual seat. Grandpa Angel said he is a divinity called the God of Order, and he chose me as his successor. He told me about this, and then I relayed it to Grandpa Angel, Lin Feng explained with a smile, directly shifting the blame to Schrodinger's god. Fenger is the successor of a divinity. When did this happen? Lin Yedian's eyes widened as he looked at Lin Feng and Ying Chuchu's arms in disbelief. Host, Lin Feng had only been away from them for a few short days, yet it felt as if a world-shaking change had occurred in that brief time, and he had directly become a successor of a divinity. Seeing his parents' looks of disbelief and shock, Lin Feng continued to explain, Father, Mother, he appeared when my spirit awakened. At that time, I didn't know this white-haired old grandfather was actually a divinity. I told Grandpa Angel about it, and Grandpa Angel told me. Hearing this, Lin Yedian looked at Lin Feng, panting heavily as he suppressed the excitement in his heart, and laughed heartily, my son has the potential to become a god. His future is immeasurable. Lin Feng's spirit was a god-level martial soul, his innate spirit power was level 20, and he even had the inheritance of a divinity. It was simply unimaginable what heights he would reach in the future. Ying Chuchu smiled with relief. She didn't lose her composure like Lin Yedian but gently stroked Lin Feng's head, saying with a smile, Son, how can you be so outstanding? Because father is a genius spirit master, mother is also a genius spirit master, and since I am the child born of father and mother, wouldn't I naturally be a super genius spirit master? Besides, my first and second spirit rings are both 10,000-year spirit rings tilde, Lin Feng said playfully. Now that the matter of the divinity had been told to his father and mother, he figured that the fact his first and second spirit rings were at the 10,000-year level wouldn't cause them to be as incredulous as they were just now. The first and second spirit rings are 10,000-year spirit rings. Ying Chuchu was dumbfounded upon hearing this. She looked at Lin Feng carefully and realized that Lin Feng's return this time was solely to shock them. The effect of whale glue, where after long-term consumption, a spirit master's first spirit ring could reach the 1,000-year level, the inheritance of a divinity, allowing him to inherit a god position in the future, and the first and second spirit rings being 10,000-year spirit rings, any one of these three alone would be enough to shock the world. Yet her son had all three. He was truly a monster. My goodness, son, how can you be so outstanding? Even I, your father, was never this exceptional back then. Lin Yedian said with emotion. After learning that his son had a divinity's inheritance, he had already become numb. Hearing that his son had 10,000-year spirit rings was, to be honest, not as shocking as the divinity's inheritance, or perhaps it was because he was already numb to the surprises. But Lin Feng didn't stop just because his parents were numb. Actually, he helped me raise these first and second spirit rings to the 10,000-year level. These two 10,000-year spirit rings can grow, their years increasing as my strength grows. If my spirit power reaches level 90, these two 10,000-year spirit rings can reach the 100,000-year level. Son, stop talking, I'm finding it a bit hard to accept. Why is my son so outstanding while I, his father, seem so ordinary? Lin Yedian tried hard to suppress the corners of his mouth from curling up, looking both like he wanted to cry and laugh. How could his son be so outstanding? Why would that god go to such lengths for his son? But at the same time, he was happy. Happy for his son. The future was a broad, bright road with limitless prospects. Setting aside the matter of becoming a god, who on this continent possessed two 10,000-year spirit rings as their first two. And they could even become 100,000-year spirit rings in the future. Seeing the uncontrollable twitch at the corner of his father's mouth, Lin Feng smiled and said, Father, he said at the time that these two growth-type 10,000-year spirit rings were bestowed upon me to boost my strength so I could start his god's trial sooner. In the future, if conditions allow, he will continuously help me improve my strength. Hearing this, Lin Yedian could no longer restrain the corners of his mouth and burst into loud laughter. My son, what did he do to deserve the favor of the God of Order? This is simply heaven's choice. My son's future is unstoppable. Father, it's not that exaggerated, Lin Feng said playfully, rubbing his head. Fenger, you are still young and don't know what this truly means. You will understand later. Ying Chuchu tried her best to calm her emotions and said in a peaceful tone, your father became like this entirely because you, son, are so outstanding that you far exceed the standard of a genius. A moment later, after the excitement died down, Lin Yedian looked awkwardly at Ying Chuchu and Lin Feng, who were quietly watching him act crazy. He forced a smile and said, I lost my composure just now. Chuchu, Fenger, you won't mind, right? He couldn't be blamed. His son was simply a monster. It was one thing to be exceptionally gifted, but to have a divinity's inheritance as well, and for that divinity to favor his son so much, this was beyond ridiculous. Once his son fully grew up and became a powerful spirit master, how were other spirit masters of the same generation supposed to compete? When Lin Feng faced spirit masters of his generation, as long as he revealed those first and second 10,000-year spirit rings, no one would have the courage to face him. If the first and second rings were only at the 1,000-year level, perhaps someone would want to try and see if they could defeat this genius spirit master. But if they were 10,000-year spirit rings, no one would be foolish enough to challenge the power of a 10,000-year ring, because a 1,000-year spirit ring and a 10,000-year spirit ring are two completely different concepts. Son, stay home and keep your mother company. Since the high priest has given me this task, which is vital to our spirit hall, I must be diligent and responsible. After saying that, Lin Yedian hurriedly left the residence. Watching Lin Yedian leave, until his bat completely disappeared, Ying Chuchu withdrew her gaze, pinched Lin Feng's chubby pink cheek, and said with a smile, son, tell mother in detail about your experiences over the past few days. I'm quite curious. Chapter 26, Heading to the Spirit Master Academy. Since yesterday, after Lin Yedian learned the true function of the whale glue, he put in 12 points of effort to start purchasing whale glue in large quantities within Spirit Hall's sphere of influence. At the same time, he began making arrangements within the Heaven Do Empire and the Star Luo Empire, acquiring large-scale chambers of commerce to be responsible for purchasing whale glue within the two great empires. The reason for acquiring chambers of commerce was to prevent the two empires from noticing Spirit Hall's movements and their actions in purchasing large quantities of whale glue. Given Spirit Hall's massive size, any significant ripple would attract the attention of the two empires. If Spirit Hall were to personally enter the market to buy whale glue, the two empires would realize that this item might have a function unknown to them. But if a chamber of commerce were to acquire it, using someone else's identity to purchase whale glue, it would prevent such things from happening. The known functions of whale glue were just those few. A chamber of commerce purchasing it purely for profit was perfectly normal. Tired tilde so tired tilde I'm exhausted tilde, Lin Yedian said while sitting on a wooden chair, never tiring of his complaints. Although he was tired, this item was particularly important for Spirit Hall. So what if he was exhausted? Tired. If you're tired, then take a rest, Ying Chuchu said with a smile. She also knew that purchasing whale glue was definitely a huge task. Even a spirit Douluo would feel fatigued. Lin Feng lay in Ying Chuchu's arms, looking at his father, and smiled. Father, how is the work of purchasing whale glue progressing now? Progress, not bad. Currently, we've only started purchasing within our Spirit Hall sphere of influence. We're still making arrangements in the two empires, but we've already acquired several chambers of commerce. When the time comes, we can launch operations in the two empires and sweep up all the whale glue within their borders. Lin Yedian said excitedly. The amount of whale glue currently in circulation is still quite large. Whether it's 100-year, 1,000-year, or even 10,000-year, no one knows its true function, so its value isn't high. With Spirit Hall's financial resources, purchasing all the whale glue in circulation is absolutely no problem. At the same time, Spirit Hall needs to establish channels responsible for obtaining whale glue, replacing original channels to serve Spirit Hall. By the time other forces on the continent learn the true function of whale glue, it will likely be too late. Whether it's the market supply or the acquisition channels, Spirit Hall will have occupied them all during this period. Even if they find out the true function, it will be useless. Of course, if Spirit Hall's confidentiality work is sufficient, it will be very difficult for the true function of whale glue to be exposed. When giving it to Spirit Masters, they can just say it's called a Spirit Ring Age Enhancement Potion. Who would know the real material used to make it is whale glue? Lin Feng nodded slightly and thought to himself, given Spirit Hall's scale, once they know the true function of whale glue, there's nothing left for other forces. Current Spirit Hall is extremely powerful, a holy land in the hearts of both commoners and Spirit Masters. Lin Feng wasn't shocked by the speed at which Spirit Hall was purchasing whale glue. For any other force, achieving such speed would be nearly impossible. Even the two empires couldn't finalize a proposal and take action so quickly. But Spirit Hall is different. The order was given yesterday, and actions began immediately. By today, the layout had already started. Although the current Supreme Pontiff is Bibi Dong, even she must actively cooperate with decisions made by Jian Dalyu. Even if she's unwilling, she has to comply. As long as Jian Dalyu stays quietly in the Hall of Worship, the holder of the highest authority in Spirit Hall is Bibi Dong. But if Jian Dalyu were to step out, Bibi Dong would have to step down, and the entire Spirit Hall would act according to the will of the Super Douluo, Jian Dalyu. Just then, golden light flashed in the sky, and Jian Dalyu's figure slowly landed on the ground. Seeing Lin Yedian lying on the wooden chair looking exhausted, he nodded inwardly and spoke, Lin Yedian, you've done well with the task Spirit Hall gave you. I await the day you become a titled Douluo to appoint you as an elder of our Spirit Hall. Seeing Jian Dalyu's arrival, Lin Yedian immediately rose from the chair and cupped his hands toward him. High Priest, everything is for Spirit Hall. This is what I should do. If it weren't for the High Priest personally selecting me, how could this task have fallen to me? This is the High Priest's trust in me. I will definitely complete the task with diligence and responsibility. High Priest, you are here to take Fenger away, right? Sorry for the trouble during this time, High Priest. That's right, I'm here to take Fenger. I assume Fenger has already told you everything. Today is the day the Spirit Master Academy opens. Having said that, Jian Dalyu looked at Lin Feng and said, Fenger, have you spent these past 2 days well with your parents? You won't be able to come back often in the future. As for trouble, what trouble? Lin Feng was the treasure of Spirit Hall. If the God of Order were to scrape even a tiny bit from under his fingernails, it would be enough for Spirit Hall to benefit immensely. He couldn't pamper Lin Feng enough. How could he find it troublesome? He till the grandpa, I've already told my father and mother everything. We can go now, grandpa, Lin Feng said with a giggle, jumping from Ying Chuchu's arms to the ground and coming before Jian Dalyu. Jian Dalyu nodded, his gaze falling once more on Lin Yedian and Ying Chuchu, and he said indifferently, I await you two becoming titled Douluo. After speaking, Jian Dalyu took Lin Feng and left, turning into a golden light. His speed was so fast that even the two spirit Douluo, Lin Yedian and Ying Chuchu, could not see his movements clearly. Angel Douluo, the invincible super Douluo of the sky. In terms of speed, if the high priest claims to be second, no one would dare claim to be first, Lin Yedian said with emotion. Choo-choo, I should go too. The task of purchasing whale glue might need to continue for a while. This task isn't something that can be finished overnight. After speaking, Lin Yedian stretched and left the house. In the sky, golden light flashed. Qian Daliu held Lin Feng by the collar and said, Finger, there are 3 other peers enrolling with you, all from our hall of worship. You should get along well with them, understand? 3 spirit master peers, could it be the system's reward? Lin Feng thought to himself. He still remembered that the system wouldn't tell him the identities of those 3 peers. Chapter 27, The Terrifying Foundation of Spirit Hall. Grandfather, who exactly are those 3 spirit masters of the same age you mentioned? Lin Feng asked in confusion. First of all, the golden generation must definitely be excluded. His birth time was roughly the same as Tang San's birth time. In other words, at this moment, the golden generation, Huliana, Xie and Yan, were 6 years older than him, so it certainly wasn't these 3. Qian Daliu smiled and said, Finger, when you get to the Spirit Master Academy, you will know their names and identities. I can only tell you that these 3 children are from our Spirit Hall. Their spirits are all quite exceptional, all possessing innate spirit power at level 9. They already absorbed their spirit rings 2 days ago. Given their aptitude, they might become Finger's assistants in the future. Who exactly are these spirit masters from the Hall of Worship? If they already existed, how could they be unknown with an innate spirit power level of 9? Hearing this, Lin Feng was even more confused. Children from the Hall of Worship, and spirit masters with innate level 9 spirit power at that, how had he never heard of them? These 3 gifted spirit masters, could they really be spirit masters who only exist because of the system? Thinking of this, Lin Feng started asking the system, saying, Damn system, come out and speak. These 3 people, they weren't really created by you, were they? Ding, the system answers the host, yes and no. They are complete human beings who already existed originally. It is just that because of the host's choice, the system enhanced their aptitude, they did not suddenly appear because of the system. But that's not right either. From the day I made the choice until now, only 2 days have passed. How is it possible to increase spirit power by 1 level and complete the absorption of a spirit ring in such a short time of 2 days? Lin Feng frowned slightly. Wasn't this a loophole? The host doesn't really think that Spirit Hall can't even accomplish this, do you? The history of Spirit Hall is long. The host doesn't think that Spirit Hall lacks such heaven-sent treasures, right? This is a living world, not an incomplete world fabricated out of thin air. The foundation possessed by the long-standing Spirit Hall is not something the host can imagine. The effects of whale glue and immortal-grade spirit grass, Spirit Hall might not have such overpowered items, but as for other things, who can say for sure about Spirit Hall? Otherwise, why has Spirit Hall been able to remain prosperous for so long on the continent? Why has Spirit Hall been able to become a transcendent force that stands above the 2 great empires? This all has a reason, and it is not because of the strength of any single individual, but because of the foundation of Spirit Hall. Boom. Hearing this, Lin Feng instantly realized. He had been biased, only knowing the power of immortal herbs and the extraordinary effects of whale glue, but he hadn't considered that Spirit Hall also possessed other things. Otherwise, why would Spirit Hall be able to remain prosperous for so long? Why could Spirit Hall become a transcendent force that stands above the 2 great empires? A Spirit Hall capable of achieving these things must be extraordinary. Perhaps the existence of the Angel Martial Soul is a reason for Spirit Hall's strength, but it is definitely not the only one. Even without the Angel Martial Soul, Spirit Hall would still be extraordinary. In the future, a Spirit Hall capable of directly establishing an empire while simultaneously contending against the Star Luo Empire and the Heaven Do Empire, such long-established empires must have a terrifying foundation that likely far exceeds his imagination. Grandfather, when did they awaken their spirits? Lin Feng looked at Qian Daliu and said, wanting to verify the guess in his heart. Qian Daliu pondered slightly, then said, they should have awakened their spirits 2 days ago, I learned the news yesterday. 2 days ago, Lin Feng pretended to ponder and said, but grandfather, if they awakened their spirits 2 days ago, how could they have already absorbed a spirit ring in just 2 short days? Lin Feng scratched his head, looked at Qian Daliu, and asked somewhat puzzled. So that's the question. Actually, this isn't really a secret, Fenger, you would have known sooner or later. Today, grandfather will tell you. This is a type of spirit grass unique to our Spirit Hall, the Immortal Soul Grass. After consuming it, it can increase a Spirit Master's spirit power level by 1. Through our Spirit Hall's cultivation over thousands of years, the side effects have been completely erased. It's just that the effect isn't that great, and the yield is extremely low. It can only produce 2 or 3 stocks a year, and it only works on Spirit Masters who have just awakened their spirits and have innate spirit power of less than level 10. For Spirit Masters who have already absorbed a spirit ring, the effect of consuming it is not very obvious. The higher the Spirit Master's spirit power level, the worse the effect. By the time they reach Spirit Grandmaster, it has almost no effect at all. Qian Daliu smiled and explained. This Immortal Soul Grass was considered classified within Spirit Hall, but that was only for ordinary Spirit Masters. For the higher-ups of Spirit Hall, it was something known to everyone. Immortal Soul Grass, I see, Lin Feng murmured. Fenger, there are many spirit grasses similar to the Immortal Soul Grass. Our Spirit Hall has many more. It's just that for powerful Spirit Masters, these spirit grasses are very lackluster. When you become the Supreme Pontiff in the future, if you are interested, you can go and learn about them. This can also be considered a part of our Spirit Hall's foundation. Qian Daliu said indifferently. Their Spirit Hall could far surpass the upper 3 sects and the lower 4 sects, stand above the 2 great empires, and remain prosperous for so long because its foundation was extremely powerful. The existence of the Hall of Worship was just one of many foundations of Spirit Hall, including the 6-winged Angel Martial Soul. Otherwise, when it came to recruiting Spirit Masters, and recruiting gifted Spirit Masters, why would their Spirit Hall be able to leave other sects far behind? In terms of top-tier combat power, their Spirit Hall had no shortcomings, and when it came to grassroots Spirit Masters, their Spirit Hall likewise had no shortcomings, at least for now. Even if it were 1 against 7, their Spirit Hall could still do it. Why would the 7 great sects be able to beat their Spirit Hall? The Clear Sky sect without Tang Chen, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect with a lack of successors, the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School that hadn't been reviving for many years, and the 4 lower 4 sects that were just hangers-on, they were no match for their Spirit Hall. It could be said that every force on the continent was extremely wary of the current Spirit Hall. Just take a few years ago, their Spirit Hall only dispatched a few elders and it pressured the Clear Sky sect until it couldn't catch its breath, forcing it to abandon the 4 single attribute sects and retreat into seclusion. If even the strongest of the upper 3 sects, the Clear Sky sect, was like this, then it went without saying for the other 2 major sects. So that's how it is. The foundation of our Spirit Hall is actually this terrifying. Lin Feng said with emotion, feeling fortunate that his choice to be born into Spirit Hall back then was not wrong. A force capable of remaining prosperous for so long definitely had its reasons. Chapter 28. Leave it to time to verify. Hearing this, Qian Daoliu said with great pride, of course. The strength of our spirit hall was not formed overnight, but is the foundation accumulated bit by bit through the diligent governance of every generation of Supreme Pontiff throughout history. Without the efforts of the successive Supreme Pontiffs of the Spirit Hall, there would be no powerful Spirit Hall today. It is the hard work of those past Supreme Pontiffs that created the current Spirit Hall, a Spirit Hall that stands above the two great empires, a Spirit Hall that makes the continent tremble with a single stomp of its foot. But now, our Spirit Hall can be said to have developed to its limit. If we want to go a step further, it will be somewhat difficult, yet not overly so. It depends on whether our Spirit Hall has the determination to step out. If we succeed, the Spirit Hall will reach new heights. If we fail, the Spirit Hall will fall into an eternal abyss. If it were before, Qian Daoliu might have had some concerns that the Spirit Hall could fail. But now, the Spirit Hall has two heirs to the divinities. With two true gods existing in the future, how can our Spirit Hall lose? No matter how you look at it, we cannot lose. So, I expect and look forward to seeing that day, the day Feng'er becomes the Supreme Pontiff of our Spirit Hall and leads us to new heights. This is a path we are destined to take, and one we must take. This is the trend of the times. If you don't take it, the next generation will, and it might even be more difficult, Qian Daoliu said earnestly. Originally, according to his plan, if Lin Feng hadn't appeared, his granddaughter would have failed her mission in the Heaven Do Empire and returned to the Spirit Hall to begin the Angel God's trial, inherit the Angel God position, and become the Supreme Pontiff to lead the Spirit Hall forward. But with the unexpected arrival of Lin Feng, who also gained the deep favor of the God of Order, he had no choice but to change the plan. Instead of Qian Runshui as the primary focus, it was changed to Lin Feng as the primary and Qian Runshui as the secondary. The main reason for doing this was that the God of Order is even more powerful. Moreover, he is even more fond of Lin Feng as a successor. Even before the God's trial has begun, he can increase the age of the Spirit Rings, and they are growth-type Spirit Rings that provide a permanent solution. This is enough to show that the God of Order favors Lin Feng greatly and is sparing no effort to help Lin Feng increase his strength. Hearing this, Lin Feng's eyes gradually became firm. He clenched his fists and said with a solemn expression, "Grandfather, I will lead our Spirit Hall to new heights. I will fulfill the long-cherished wishes of you and the past Supreme Pontiffs." Looking at the determined Lin Feng, Qian Daoliu's expression softened. He gently raised his hand to stroke Lin Feng's head and said with a smile, "When Feng'er has fully grown, Grandfather will personally preside over your coronation ceremony and place the Supreme Pontiff's crown on your head. Grandfather is waiting, longing, and looking forward to the arrival of that day." From the very beginning, when Lin Feng chose to be born into the Spirit Hall, he already knew that he was completely tied to it. There were some things he had to do, and some things he must do, and do perfectly. "Grandfather, I will grow up as soon as possible, to the point where I am capable of shouldering the heavy responsibilities of the Spirit Hall. When my wings are fully fledged, that will be the day I spread them and soar." Lin Feng murmured. Hearing this, Qian Daoliu looked into the distance with a smile. It was useless to say anything now, he would leave everything to time to verify. Woo tilde the author has a bit of writer's block. It's almost the next day. The following is a copy of the content above. Give me some time, and I will finish writing the rest. I admit my mistake, and I am reflecting. Dog head for protection. Hearing this, Qian Daoliu said with great pride, of course. The strength of our Spirit Hall was not formed overnight, but is the foundation accumulated bit by bit through the diligent governance of every generation of Supreme Pontiff throughout history. Without the efforts of the successive Supreme Pontiffs of the Spirit Hall, there would be no powerful Spirit Hall today. It is the hard work of those past Supreme Pontiffs that created the current Spirit Hall, a Spirit Hall that stands above the two great empires, a Spirit Hall that makes the continent tremble with a single stomp of its foot. But now, our Spirit Hall can be said to have developed to its limit. If we want to go a step further, it will be somewhat difficult, yet not overly so. It depends on whether our Spirit Hall has the determination to step out. If we succeed, the Spirit Hall will reach new heights. If we fail, the Spirit Hall will fall into an eternal abyss. If it were before, Qian Daoliu might have had some concerns that the Spirit Hall could fail. But now, the Spirit Hall has two heirs to the divinities. With two true gods existing in the future, how can our Spirit Hall lose? No matter how you look at it, we cannot lose. So, I expect and look forward to seeing that day, the day Feng'er becomes the Supreme Pontiff of our Spirit Hall and leads us to new heights. This is a path we are destined to take, and one we must take. This is the trend of the times. If you don't take it, the next generation will, and it might even be more difficult, Qian Daoliu said earnestly. Originally, according to his plan, if Lin Feng hadn't appeared, his granddaughter would have failed her mission in the Heaven Do Empire and returned to the Spirit Hall to begin the Angel God's trial, inherit the Angel God position, and become the Supreme Pontiff to lead the Spirit Hall forward. But with the unexpected arrival of Lin Feng, who also gained the deep favor of the God of Order, he had no choice but to change the plan. Instead of Qian Runshui as the primary focus, it was changed to Lin Feng as the primary and Qian Runshui as the secondary. The main reason for doing this was that the God of Order is even more powerful. Moreover, he is even more fond of Lin Feng as a successor. Even before the God's trial has begun, he can increase the age of the Spirit Rings, and they are growth-type Spirit Rings that provide a permanent solution. This is enough to show that the God of Order favors Lin Feng greatly and is sparing no effort to help Lin Feng increase his strength. Hearing this, Lin Feng's eyes gradually became firm. He clenched his fists and said with a solemn expression, "Grandfather, I will lead our Spirit Hall to new heights. I will fulfill the long-cherished wishes of you and the past Supreme Pontiffs." Looking at the determined Lin Feng, Qian Daoliu's expression softened. He gently raised his hand to stroke Lin Feng's head and said with a smile, "When Feng'er has fully grown, Grandfather will personally preside over your coronation ceremony and place the Supreme Pontiff's crown on your head. Grandfather is waiting, longing, and looking forward to the arrival of that day." From the very beginning, when Lin Feng chose to be born into the Spirit Hall, he already knew that he was completely tied to it. There were some things he had to do, and some things he must do, and do perfectly. "Grandfather, I will grow up as soon as possible, to the point where I am capable of shouldering the heavy responsibilities of the Spirit Hall. When my wings are fully fledged, that will be the day I spread them and soar." Lin Feng murmured. Hearing this, Qian Daoliu looked into the distance with a smile. It was useless to say anything now, he would leave everything to time to verify. Chapter 29. Tianming, Qianji Yu Nehi, and Qianji Yu Qinyan. Hehe, say what you will. Calling you a big smarty was praising your sagacity and wisdom, yet you actually think I'm insulting you. Heavens, look at my clear conscience. In that case, I'll just call you little smarty from now on. Anyway, you said it yourself, and you're happy to hear it. Lin Feng ignored the system's self-talk and spoke somewhat perfunctorily. He would find out about the marriage contract sooner or later in the future anyway, even if the system didn't tell him, it didn't matter as he wasn't in a great rush to know. Golden Crocodile, sorry to keep you waiting, right. We encountered a small problem on the road and were delayed for a bit, Qian Daoliu said with a smile, carrying Lin Feng as he slowly landed in front of Golden Crocodile Douluo and the other two. When Qian Daoliu's voice rang out, the first to react weren't Golden Crocodile's trio, but rather Tianming, Qianji Yunei, and Qianji Yu Qinyan, who had been playing off to the side. The three of them almost sprinted to stand before Lin Feng. Tianming reached Lin Feng first and asked excitedly, "Are you Brother Lin Feng?" Lin Feng looked at the golden-haired child before him, who was like a little son, and nodded slightly. "I am Lin Feng. Is there something you need?" "Wow tilde live Lin Feng tilde," Tianming said excitedly. "Brother Lin Feng, I've heard of you. You're my idol. Tell me, how did you do it? How did you manage to absorb 10,000-year spirit rings for your first and second rings and become a spirit grandmaster with two 10,000-year spirit rings? This is simply too cool." Hearing this, the corner of Lin Feng's mouth twitched slightly. "Oh, live, Lin Feng. Was there a dead one?" This guy really loved to talk, but unfortunately, Lin Feng didn't care to listen. And me, I'm Qianji Yunei, and this one next to me is my cousin, Qianji Yu Qinyan. Brother Lin Feng, can you tell us how you did it?" Qianji Yunei said as he led Qianji Yu Qinyan by the hand to Lin Feng. Unlike Tianming and Qianji Yunei, Qianji Yu Qinyan wasn't as enthusiastic or active. Instead, he seemed a bit shy and spoke timidly. "Brother Lin Feng, I am Qianji Yu Qinyan, and he is my cousin, Qianji Yunei." Lin Feng sized up the two before him. Qianji Yunei and Qianji Yu Qinyan looked about 60% similar. Although they were cousins and their grandfathers were identical twins, their personalities were worlds apart. "Of course I can," Lin Feng said with a smile. This wasn't something he couldn't talk about. Although it was considered his secret, it wasn't much of a secret within the Hall of Worship. Moreover, these three would be his team in the future. Since they wanted to know, he could just go with the flow and tell them. It wasn't as if they could replicate it anyway. "Really? Is it really okay? But Brother Lin Feng, isn't this your secret?" Tianming danced with joy, already beginning to fantasize about the spectacular sight of his remaining 8 spirit rings all being 10,000-year spirit rings in the future. "Since you want to know, then of course you can. The reason my first and second spirit rings could reach the 10,000-year level is that I have the inheritance of a divinity. I know what you're thinking, but I still advise you, it's impossible for others." "Huh, so that's how it is. My beautiful dream is shattered. I thought we could do it too, but now it seems there's no way," Tianming said, feeling a bit dejected. He had originally thought that there were some special conditions for Lin Feng to absorb 10,000-year spirit rings as his first and second rings. He thought that as long as they knew these conditions, they could replicate them and successfully absorb 10,000-year spirit rings. He never expected the special condition to be so outrageous. To absorb a 10,000-year spirit ring, one first needed a divinity's inheritance. That was way too ridiculous. That was the inheritance of a divinity. They were all children born in the Hall of Worship. Under the influence of their elders, they knew what a so-called divinity was, but they also understood that a divinity was extremely distant from them, so distant they couldn't even imagine it. While 10,000-year spirit rings are impossible for you, when your spirit power reaches rank 20, you might be able to absorb a 1,000-year spirit ring, Lin Feng said with a slight smile, looking at the dejected trio. Although their first spirit rings were 100-year ones, once they consumed whale glue, it wouldn't be a problem at all for their second spirit rings to be 1,000-year ones. 10,000-year rings were impossible, but settling for the next best thing, 1,000-year rings, was achievable. They were still 9 ranks away from rank 20. Even with the resources of Spirit Hall, it was impossible to bridge those 9 ranks in a short time. By the time they reached rank 20, Spirit Hall would likely have already thoroughly researched the usage of whale glue and various other data. They might even have begun rolling it out for Spirit Hall's spirit masters. Only Spirit Hall could achieve such speed. Any other power would likely take much longer. Brother Lin Feng can absorb 10,000-year spirit rings because of a divinity. Can we really manage to absorb 1,000-year spirit rings? Qianji Yunei murmured, nodding slightly. Before his spirit awakening, his father had told him about the optimal spirit ring configuration and the limit for spirit ring ages. If it weren't for Lin Feng's success in absorbing 10,000-year rings, they would never have harbored any such fantasies. Now, upon hearing that they could absorb 1,000-year spirit rings, he felt skeptical. After all, in his understanding, absorbing a 1,000-year ring as a second spirit ring was a suicidal act. Watching the 4 children go back and forth, Qian Daoliu and the other 3 didn't speak. They just watched silently with smiles on their faces. The younger generation getting along so harmoniously upon their first meeting naturally made them, as elders, very happy. Ahem tilde. Zhongmo gave a dry cough, instantly drawing the attention of the 3 little ones. He put his hands behind his back and spoke calmly with some emotion. "You little rascals were born in a good era. If you had awakened your spirits a bit later, forget about the second ring being a 1,000-year spirit ring, even your first spirit ring could have been a 1,000-year one." "Ah," Qianji Yu Qinyan rubbed his head and said in confusion, "Grandpa, is that really possible?" Of course, to absorb a 1,000-year spirit ring, the most important thing is the physical constitution. But a 6-year-old child's constitution can't be that strong, so they can only absorb 100-year spirit rings. Take this little fellow Lin Feng, for example. Don't look at the fact that he's only a few days older than you. His constitution is extremely strong, and his spirit is a god-level martial soul. From the very beginning, he absorbed 2,000-year spirit rings. As for why they became 10,000-year spirit rings, that was because of the divinity. The reason I say you were born in a good era is because our Spirit Hall is currently testing something. Once it succeeds and the side effects are minimized, it will be put into use. After taking it, you can enhance your constitution and absorb 1,000-year spirit rings. Zhongmo said proudly. Although Lin Feng was the one who told them all this, it didn't stop him from showing off in front of the juniors. Chapter 30. The Dean of the Spirit Master Academy. "Grandpa, is all of this true?" Tianming asked his grandfather, his eyes shining. He knew that the foundation of their Spirit Hall was incredibly deep. Take the immortal soul grass, for instance. Originally, when they had just awakened their spirits, they only had innate spirit power level 9. They would have needed to cultivate for a while until their spirit power reached level 10 before they could hunt spirit beasts and absorb spirit rings to become spirit masters. However, after consuming the immortal soul grass, their spirit power level was directly increased by 1 without any side effects, greatly reducing their cultivation time. If not for this, they had only awakened their spirits 2 days ago. How could they have possibly met the requirements to absorb a spirit ring? And now, their Spirit Hall actually had something that could directly improve one's physical constitution. As long as the constitution improved, was there even a need to mention the age limit of the spirit rings they could absorb? Of course it's true, and the effects of this thing were actually told to us by Fenger, Golden Crocodile said with a smile. Now, their Spirit Hall had already begun to focus on making arrangements regarding the whale glue. After some time, it would be put into use. From top to bottom, with one heart and mind, the efficiency of their Spirit Hall could be said to be extremely fast. Damn it, why did my spirit awakening happen at the wrong time? If I had waited until that thing was in use, wouldn't my first spirit ring also have been a 1,000-year spirit ring? Tianming felt it was such a pity, as if tens of millions of gold coins were right in front of him, yet he couldn't obtain them. It is a pity, truly a pity. If we had used it earlier, that would have been 4,000-year spirit rings. Qianji Yunei said regretfully. But there was nothing they could do. If their brother Lin Feng had been born a few years earlier, they would definitely have been the first batch to use that thing. There's nothing to be sorry about. Think of it this way, most spirit masters' first and second spirit rings are only 100-year ones. But for you, your second spirit ring can already be at the 1000-year level. The ones who should feel truly sorry are them, not you, Zhang Mo said with a smile. Wait, that's not right, Zhang Mo suddenly thought. But when the next generation of spirit masters appears, their first and second spirit rings will all be 1000-year level. Yet for you, only the second one is 1000-year. You're just a bit short of catching up, but you didn't. Being stuck in the middle is actually the most uncomfortable feeling. You must stay strong. Grandpa Zhang Mo, I'm feeling so blue, Tianming said distressfully upon hearing this. Actually, there's no need to obsess over the gain or loss of a single 1000-year spirit ring. When you grow into spirit Douluos or titled Douluos, whether you have one less or one more 1000-year spirit ring makes almost no difference, Lin Feng said with a wry smile. Brother Lin Feng is right. We shouldn't be worried about the gain or loss of a single 1000-year spirit ring. What awaits us is the sea of stars. Qianji Yu Qinyan, who had been silent for a long time, spoke up. She was naturally shy, and after finishing, she hid behind Qianji Yunei, peeking at Lin Feng's reaction. Seeing that you get along well, I'm relieved. In the academy, most people won't know your identities, and we won't give you any special privileges. This is a form of training for you. If you encounter difficulties or get bullied, you must help each other, understand? Zhang Mo said earnestly. Actually, these words were directed at his granddaughter. She was shy, very shy. He didn't know why. Look at Tianming, who was so active, and Qianji Yunei, who didn't show any stage fright when meeting Lin Feng. Only his granddaughter was hard to describe. Bullying, who would dare bully us? We'll just beat them up. Besides, brother Lin Feng is here. As long as brother Lin Feng releases his spirit rings, even an idiot would know he's not someone they can afford to defend. Tianming clenched his fists and said with a grin. He, Tianming, had the golden crocodile king spirit, an extremely powerful beast spirit. Qianji Yunei had the coiling dragon rod spirit, an extremely powerful tool spirit. Qianji Yu Qinyan was the same, and then there was brother Lin Feng, with the god-level angel martial soul and innate spirit power of level 20. Now, he was even a spirit grandmaster with two 10,000-year spirit rings. What blind fool would dare come to bully them? Even a spirit elder would have to scurry away with their tail between their legs upon seeing them. Even against a spirit ancestor, they could slaughter everyone while they quacked along. Brother Lin Feng would do the slaughtering, and they would do the quacking. Hearing Tianming's words, Qian Daliu couldn't help but laugh. Vibrant young people, truly like the sun at morning dawn. While everyone was immersed in laughter, the bronze-colored gates suddenly opened, and an old man with graying hair at his temple slowly walked out. Though he looked very old, his age was actually not as great as Qian Daliu and the others. High Priest, Second Consecrator, Sixth Consecrator, Seventh Consecrated. The old man bowed to the four of them and spoke respectfully. Qian Daliu nodded slightly and then began to introduce him. Fenger, Tianming, Nehi, Qinyan, this is the Dean of our Spirit Master Academy, a powerful spirit Douluo. Hello, Grandpa Dean, Lin Feng said obediently. Chapter 31, Spirit Hall's Golden Class, the Golden Generation. Looking at the four children and their sensible behavior, the old man nodded inwardly. He said respectfully to Qian Daliu, they are all pillars of our Spirit Hall. Even without the Spirit Master Academy, they would still become pillars. High Priest, they are sensible children. You can rest assured and leave them to us at the Spirit Master Academy. He was quite satisfied with Lin Feng and the other three. They likely wouldn't cause him any major trouble at the Spirit Master Academy. Moreover, they were very polite and weren't bad kids. He wouldn't have a headache later because of their identities. The most critical one was Lin Feng. A while ago, His Holiness the Supreme Pontiff had just finished the investiture of the Holy Sun. Although the Holy Sun didn't attend, he still knew the Holy Sun's name. Hearing this, Qian Daliu nodded with satisfaction and said with a smile, Fenger, don't go looking for trouble at the Spirit Master Academy, okay? But don't be afraid of it either. Even if you do cause trouble, we won't provide you with any help, understood? Grandpa, don't worry, we won't cause any trouble at the Spirit Master Academy, Lin Feng said with a smile. But if someone was blind enough to cross them, they couldn't be blamed. Qian Daliu nodded with satisfaction and added, looking for trouble is no good, but being afraid of it is just as bad. That's for cowards, understand? His meaning was actually very clear, don't start trouble, but don't fear it either. Besides, within the Spirit Master Academy, given Lin Feng's strength, almost no one was his match. It would only be a case of them bullying others, there was no way others could bully them. Grandpa Angel, don't worry, with brother Lin Feng around, who would dare provoke us? Tianming laughed brightly. Qian Daliu nodded slightly and said to the Dean of the Spirit Master Academy, Lin Feng, Tianming, Nehi, and Qinyan, I'll leave these four in the care of the Spirit Master Academy. It's no trouble at all, no trouble, the old man's mouth twitched. After seeing off Qian Daliu and the others, the old man finally dared to start observing Lin Feng and his group properly. With a smile on his face, the old man said, let me introduce myself. I am the Dean of the Spirit Master Academy, Wu Pengfei. You can call me Dean Wu or Grandpa Dean, whichever you prefer. Let's go with Grandpa Dean, it feels closer, Lin Feng said. Wu Pengfei nodded slightly, his gaze scanning the four of them. I know your backgrounds are extremely formidable, but the High Priest said he wants you to live at the Spirit Master Academy as ordinary students. Do you have any objections? If you do, I can make other arrangements for you. Tianming, Qianji Yunei, and Qianji Yu Qinyan looked at each other, and finally, all three of them focused their gaze on Lin Feng. The moment they saw him, they naturally accepted Lin Feng as their backbone. Since it's Grandpa's arrangement, he must have his reasons. We have no objections, Lin Feng replied. It seemed this Dean was a bit unsure, perhaps because their identities were too terrifying. Alright, after saying that, Wu Pengfei spoke again. Lin Feng, you wouldn't want the High Priest and the others to be disappointed in you, right? Lin Feng. Why does this sentence feel so familiar? What's going on? Of course not. Grandpa Dean, if you have any requirements, just say them. We will follow your instructions, Lin Feng replied directly. Because of Lin Feng and the others' backgrounds, Wu Pengfei needed to ask for their opinions on certain matters. Tianming and the others might not see it, but how could Lin Feng, who had lived 2 lives, not notice? Don't listen to Qian Daliu saying to treat the 4 of them as ordinary students and leave the arrangements to Wu Pengfei. If things went wrong, Qian Daliu would definitely blame him. Thus, Wu Pengfei had to be cautious, extremely cautious. What obedient children, truly worthy of being spirit masters from the Hall of Worship. Wu Pengfei stroked his beard and said with a smile. Wu Pengfei was very gratified by Lin Feng's sensibility, it would save a lot of trouble. I plan to arrange for you to enter the upper level classes directly, and a special one at that, the Spirit Master Academy's Golden Class. With your current strength, you are more than qualified. Although you're young, that doesn't matter. What do you think? Wu Pengfei said with a smile. The Spirit Master Academy's golden class didn't strictly belong to the upper or lower levels, but if one had to categorize it, it was an upper level class. It was a very special class. All the students in it were the most exceptionally talented and top-tier Spirit Masters in the Spirit Master Academy. At the same time, Spirit Hall's golden generation was named after the golden class. Golden class, what's that? Qianji Yunehi asked in confusion. He didn't know about this so-called golden class. The elders at home had never mentioned the Spirit Master Academy's golden class to him. The golden class, Wu Pengfei explained, that is the ultimate destination for all the exceptionally talented Spirit Masters in our Spirit Master Academy. Every student in the golden class is a top Spirit Master of our academy. At the same time, the 3 members of our Spirit Hall's golden generation are also in the golden class. Only with competition in the presence of the weak can the growth of Spirit Masters be spurred. That's why our Spirit Master Academy established the golden class, this special class. Even if the students in the golden class couldn't become top-level Spirit Masters in the higher echelons of Spirit Hall, at the very least, they would become the pillars of Spirit Hall, its true backbone. What do you think? Will you start from the lower levels, or enter the golden class directly? Wu Pengfei asked the 4 little ones before him. Brother Lin Feng, you decide. We'll all listen to you, Tian Ming said, looking at Lin Feng. Since Grandpa Dean explained that the golden class is special and is the destination for exceptionally talented students, then we choose to enter the golden class, Lin Feng replied. Starting from the lower levels. How boring would that be? Moreover, the lower levels had restrictions. Only upon becoming upper-level students would these restrictions gradually be lifted. Furthermore, upper-level students could freely arrange their time at the academy, choosing whether or not to attend classes. Therefore, entering the golden class had only benefits and no drawbacks for them. It also offered a great deal of freedom, allowing them to arrange their own cultivation schedules. Since you have made your choice, then welcome to the Spirit Master Academy family. As he spoke, Wu Pengfei led Lin Feng and the others into the Spirit Master Academy, and the bronze gate slammed shut. Chapter 32, Golden Class, Class Teacher, Du Mingyu. It was morning, and at this time, the Spirit Master Academy was in session. Most students were in their classrooms, leaving the streets somewhat deserted. It wouldn't be until the afternoon, when classes were over, that the academy would bustle with crowds again. Inside the dean's office, Wu Pengfei sat upright in an exquisite wooden chair, fingers interlaced on the desk. He watched the door, quietly waiting for the class teacher of the golden class, Du Mingyu. Meanwhile, Lin Feng, Tian Ming, Qianji Yunehi, and Qianji Yuqingyan sat obediently and quietly in the reception area. Actually, at their age, Tian Ming, Qianji Yunehi, and Qianji Yuqingyan were usually too restless to sit still. Just sitting there would make them feel uncomfortable, but since Lin Feng was able to wait calmly, they could only follow his example and sit there without making a sound. Seeing the 4 children so quiet and well-behaved, Wu Pengfei nodded inwardly. These 4 were truly easy to manage. Any other children would have likely caused a commotion just sitting there. Dean, is there something important? A middle-aged woman hurried into the office, frowning slightly as she looked at Wu Pengfei and asked in confusion. Hearing her voice, Lin Feng and the others all looked toward her. She wore black-rimmed glasses and had a serious expression. As they observed her, she was also sizing them up. Could these children be the reason the dean summoned me so urgently? The middle-aged woman thought to herself. Mingyu, these 4 are new students of the Spirit Master Academy. I plan to place them all in your golden class. What do you think? Wu Pengfei said in a low voice. This, Du Mingyu was a bit surprised. Placing them in the golden class wasn't an issue in itself, but weren't these 4 children a bit too young? Even if they were exceptionally gifted, they should usually spend 2 years in the lower grades before being moved to the golden class. Was the dean being a bit too hasty? Come, let me introduce you. This is Instructor Du Mingyu. She will be your future teacher. She is a powerhouse at the Spirit Saint level and the class teacher of the golden class, which she currently manages, Wu Pengfei said, standing up and walking over to Lin Feng and the others. Hearing this, Lin Feng blinked and asked politely, hello, Auntie Mingyu. As soon as Lin Feng finished, Tian Ming, Qianji Yunehi, and Qianji Yuqingyan followed suit and greeted her politely. Looking at the 4 children greeting her so politely, Du Mingyu nodded slightly with a smile. She waved at them and said, hello, little ones. After that, Du Mingyu turned to Wu Pengfei and asked, Dean, they are all students recruited by the Spirit Master Academy this year. They are exceptionally gifted, I'm sure you'll be satisfied with them. Now, take them to your golden class, Wu Pengfei said before returning to his wooden chair. Lin Feng, Tian Ming, Qianji Yunehi, Qianji Yuqingyan, follow Instructor Du Mingyu, Wu Pengfei said with a wave of his hand. He would leave the rest for Du Mingyu to worry about. Lin Feng, Tian Ming, Qianji Yunehi, Qianji Yuqingyan, right. I don't know why you were allowed to enter the golden class directly, but since the dean requested it, follow me. However, I must warn you beforehand, if you don't meet the talent requirements for the golden class, I'm afraid you will eventually have to leave, Du Mingyu said with a stern face. Lin Feng. She remembered that the Holy Son recently invested by His Holiness the Supreme Pontiff seemed to be named Lin Feng. However, he hadn't appeared at the investiture ceremony for some reason, so she didn't know what he looked like. Hearing that one of the 4 before her was also named Lin Feng, she assumed it was just a coincidence of having the same name. As for Tian Ming, Qianji Yunehi, and Qianji Yuqingyan, they didn't arouse her suspicion either. Although these were rare surnames within the Spirit Hall, she didn't suspect any connection to the Hall of Worship. The 4 of them then followed Du Mingyu out of the dean's office. Watching Du Mingyu lead Lin Feng and the others away, Wu Pengfei chuckled and said softly, Instructor Mingyu, when you see their talent and their spirits, I think you'll be quite surprised. Although he had promised the High Priest to keep their identities a secret, the instructors working at the Spirit Master Academy weren't fools. Once the 4 of them released their spirits, the instructors would be able to identify them. The so-called concealment was only meant for the other students. Among the instructors, it would be an open secret. It was nearly impossible to hide it from these instructors. On the way to the golden class, Du Mingyu looked at the 4 little ones beside her and asked, Lin Feng, which one of you is Lin Feng? Hearing this, Lin Feng spoke up, Auntie Mingyu, I am Lin Feng. Du Mingyu looked at Lin Feng, who was as cute as a porcelain child, and said with a smile, so you're Lin Feng. Did you know, the Holy Son recently invested by our Spirit Hall Supreme Pontiff is also named Lin Feng. You must just have the same name. Have you absorbed a spirit ring yet? Auntie Mingyu, I have already absorbed a spirit ring, Lin Feng answered truthfully. Hearing this, Du Mingyu's face brightened with joy, and she nodded slightly. It seemed Lin Feng's talent was indeed good, the dean hadn't lied. To be able to absorb a spirit ring within days of awakening meant his innate spirit power was likely either rank 8 or 9. What about you 3? Du Mingyu asked, looking at the other 3 little ones. Auntie Mingyu, we've also absorbed spirit rings, and our spirit rings are limit spirit rings, Tian Ming said with a smile. Not bad at all. It seems the dean was right, your talent is indeed extraordinary. Du Mingyu said in surprise. She had thought Lin Feng was an exception, but she hadn't expected all 4 of them to have already absorbed spirit rings. This meant all 4 of them likely had innate spirit power of rank 8 or 9. As for innate full spirit power, she didn't even consider the possibility. Spirit masters with innate full spirit power weren't exactly common. It's class time now. Once we enter the classroom, you'll need to stand on the podium and introduce yourselves, understand? You need to be specific about your innate spirit power level, what your spirit is, your spirit ring, and your current spirit power level, Du Mingyu instructed as they walked. Chapter 33. New students, 4 children. This must be a joke. Hearing this, Lin Feng and the others nodded obediently and followed closely behind Du Mingyu. When Du Mingyu reached the door of the golden class, she stopped and instructed the 4, I'll go in first. When I call you, come in and introduce yourselves, understood? She first needed to inform the other students in the class about the new students joining the golden class. Du Mingyu, we understand what you mean. We'll wait here patiently, Lin Feng said with a nod. Du Mingyu entered the classroom directly. At this moment, the golden class was somewhat noisy, there were only about 20 students in total. Some were whispering to each other, some were resting on their desks, and others sat quietly with their eyes closed. However, the moment Du Mingyu stepped into the classroom, everyone suddenly appeared to be studying hard, opening their textbooks and lowering their heads, none daring to look at her. At the same time, they were very curious, why had their instructor suddenly left the class, and why had she suddenly returned? Du Mingyu slowly walked to the podium and looked down at the students, frowning slightly. She had only been gone for a moment, and the students had already become a mess. However, when she saw the 3 students in the last row, she nodded slightly, and her furrowed brow relaxed. In the last row, the king's seats, there were only 3 students, 2 boys and 1 girl. These 3 were the golden generation of Spirit Hall and the 3 most powerful spirit masters in the golden class. They were Juliana, Xiaoyu, and Yan. When Du Mingyu had left in a hurry, they had sat there quietly, waiting for her return, unlike the other students who were whispering or sleeping on their desks. Du Mingyu was extremely satisfied with their performance, to the point where she couldn't help but think that they truly lived up to the reputation of Spirit Hall's golden generation. Du Mingyu cleared her throat and said in a deep voice, I was only gone for a moment, and I saw how everyone behaved. I am very dissatisfied with some students, but others deserve praise. Juliana, Xiaoyu, and Yan, everyone else should learn from these 3, understood? Understood, the students replied in unison, some even hanging their heads in shame. I left in a hurry because the dean had something to discuss with me, and that matters what I'm about to announce. Our golden class will be welcoming 4 exceptionally talented spirit masters. Everyone, let's give them a round of applause. As she spoke, Du Mingyu took the lead in clapping, and the students followed suit. 4 new students. Brother, who do you think they are? Juliana, sitting in the last row, asked Xiaoyu beside her, a look of confusion flashing in her beautiful eyes. Xiaoyu rubbed his chin and pondered, I'm not sure. Currently, there shouldn't be any students in the academy suitable to join the golden class. Since the instructor said they're exceptionally talented, they must have great potential, but as for who they are, we have no way of knowing. They knew all the spirit masters in the academy with even a modicum of talent, so they couldn't guess who the new members of the golden class could be. As the applause ended, Lin Feng and the others walked into the classroom. Tianming and Qianji Yunei followed behind him, while Qianji Yuqing hid behind her cousin, tucking her head away and not daring to look at the other students, appearing extremely nervous. What, is this for real? Are these really the new students for our golden class? They probably just awakened their spirit, a child who hasn't even been weaned yet. Since when can children like this enter our golden class? Instructor, are you mistaken? Little child, although I don't know how you came to our golden class, this isn't a place you should be. Hurry back to your lower level. A child being able to come to the golden class is simply too hilarious. No matter how exceptionally talented you are, you should stay in the lower level for 2 years first. Instructor, are you sure it's these 4? Is there a mistake? Can this kind of child really come to our golden class? It couldn't be the dean opening a back door, right? Look at that child hiding in the back. They wouldn't be scared to the point of crying because they saw us big brothers, would they? Such voices echoed incessantly throughout the classroom. They had been wondering who the new students would be this year, but to their utter shock, it turned out to be 4 children. From their appearance, they had likely only awakened their spirit just a few days ago. Could children like this really join their golden class? If so, what did their years of hard work even mean? Juliana's lips twitched as she looked at the 4 children standing at the front. She said in surprise, brother, why can they join our golden class? Even with talent, they should spend 2 years maturing in the lower level. This is truly baffling. Nana doesn't understand either, neither do I. I really don't get what the dean and the instructor are thinking. Should we ask the instructor? Yan said to Juliana with a fawning expression, but she ignored him. Xiaoyu said deeply, since the instructor agreed to let them into the golden class, it means they are very special. Let's just watch for now. We shouldn't voice any opinions to avoid putting the instructor in a difficult position. As the golden generation of Spirit Hall, the 3 of them held high prestige in the class, and all the students looked to them for leadership. If they were to speak out rashly, it would make things very difficult for the instructor. Therefore, they wouldn't say a word until the matter was settled. Hearing this, Juliana nodded slightly and said with a smile, brother is right. Unlike this hothead Yan, talking about questioning the instructor, the situation is already very difficult for the instructor. If we speak up now, wouldn't that be like putting the instructor on a roasting rack? Nana, I didn't mean it like that, I really didn't. Seeing that Juliana was a bit angry, Yan quickly apologized, fearing his goddess would be mad at him. Hey, Juliana replied coldly, ignoring Yan. Xiaoyu shook his head slightly at the scene, not paying it much mind. He knew Yan had feelings for his sister, but since she didn't want to accept him, there was nothing he could say. Chapter 34 The Senior Students' Opinions, Solve It Yourselves. Listening to the noisy voices in the classroom and the contempt for Lin Feng and the others, Du Mingyu frowned, clenched her fist, and slammed it onto the podium, saying coldly, quiet. Are you questioning my decision? Or are you questioning the dean's decision? If some of you truly have an opinion, I will not interfere. After class, you can go to the dean's office yourselves and tell your opinions to the dean. If not, then shut up and be silent. The aura of a spirit saint was fully revealed. The students in the entire classroom, like birds startled by a bow, all shrank their heads and stopped speaking. They knew that the instructor was truly angry. If they dared to say anything more, the instructor would definitely punish them. The 4 of you, introduce yourselves now. You are all students of the golden class. Since they have opinions about you, you'll have to handle it yourselves. I will not provide any help to help you solve it. This is a matter between you and the other students, Du Mingyu said, looking at Lin Feng and the others. Although it was cruel, it was the truth. If the 4 of them couldn't even solve this small difficulty, they should return to the lower grade classes, that would be more suitable for them. Children coming to the golden class was already against the rules. If the dean hadn't insisted on stuffing them in, she wouldn't have agreed originally. Moreover, the competition in the golden class was already very intense. The academy strongly supported healthy competition among students. At the same time, this could also cultivate the students' abilities in various aspects and their capacity to handle various things that came one after another. Silence, stillness, a deathly silence where a pin drop could be heard. That's right, the instructor is right. This is a matter between you and the senior students. We are not convinced. Why should you be able to come directly to the golden class while we had to work hard for years to get here? Although it's cruel, it's the truth. If you can't convince everyone, then go back to the lower grades. The competition in the golden class is very intense. Perhaps the lower grades are more suitable for you child soul masters. The academy supports healthy competition. I bet these junior brothers didn't expect this, right? Don't be afraid of us now and leave the golden class crying. If that happens, I'll laugh at you for years. The senior students completely boiled over. Seeing that the instructor was not shielding Lin Feng and the others, they instantly became active. If they couldn't convince everyone, then they should leave the golden class and return to the lower grade classes. This was not a place where spirit masters of their age should come. Tianming looked at these active senior students with extreme disdain. Would they be afraid of these senior students? Was this a joke? How could that be? Big brother Lin Feng was right in front of them. Could they be afraid of the opposition? Impossible. Big brother Lin Feng, who among us should introduce themselves first? Qianji Yunei asked Lin Feng. Now, Lin Feng had completely become their backbone. Without Lin Feng, to be honest, facing these excited senior students, they really wouldn't have much confidence. Tianming, you go first, then Neihi, and then Qinyan. As for me, a heavyweight should make the final appearance, Lin Feng said with a smile. He could feel the malice from these senior students toward them, but it didn't matter. As long as the senior students dared to look for trouble with them, he would let them know why the flowers were so red and why the sun was so bright. Then we'll listen to Big Brother. After saying that, Tianming walked toward the podium. Du Mingyu directly handed the podium over to Lin Feng and the others. Tianming's gaze swept across everyone, his eyes calm, so calm it was almost contemptuous. He spoke with a smile. I, Tianming, Spirit, Golden Crocodile King. After speaking, Tianming directly released his spirit. The golden crocodile king appeared beside him. As if sensing Tianming's emotions, the golden crocodile king opened its bloody maw and roared forcefully at the senior students. The sound of the roar echoed throughout the entire classroom. Innate spirit power level 9. Spirit ring, 100-year spirit ring. Tianming stared at the senior students in front of him. A spirit ring slowly emerged beneath his feet, a yellow 100-year spirit ring. Combined with the top-tier beast spirit, the golden crocodile king, some senior students could even feel a trace of pressure. Apologies, I didn't finish writing. The following is all copied from above. I really don't have time. If it's not 2,000 words, I won't get my full attendance bonus this month. I'll finish writing the rest later. Apologies. Listening to the noisy voices in the classroom and the contempt for Lin Feng and the others, Du Mingyu frowned, clenched her fist, and slammed it onto the podium, saying coldly, quiet. Are you questioning my decision? Or are you questioning the dean's decision? If some of you truly have an opinion, I will not interfere. After class, you can go to the dean's office yourselves and tell your opinions to the dean. If not, then shut up and be silent. The aura of a spirit saint was fully revealed. The students in the entire classroom, like birds startled by a bow, all shrank their heads and stopped speaking. They knew that the instructor was truly angry. If they dared to say anything more, the instructor would definitely punish them. The four of you, introduce yourselves now. You are all students of the golden class. Since they have opinions about you, you'll have to handle it yourselves. I will not provide any help to help you solve it. This is a matter between you and the other students, Du Mingyu said, looking at Lin Feng and the others. Although it was cruel, it was the truth. If the four of them couldn't even solve this small difficulty, they should return to the lower grade classes, that would be more suitable for them. Children coming to the golden class was already against the rules. If the dean hadn't insisted on stuffing them in, she wouldn't have agreed originally. Moreover, the competition in the golden class was already very intense. The academy strongly supported healthy competition among students. At the same time, this could also cultivate the students' abilities in various aspects and their capacity to handle various things that came one after another. Silence, stillness, a deathly silence where a pin drop could be heard. That's right, the instructor is right. This is a matter between you and the senior students. We are not convinced. Why should you be able to come directly to the golden class while we had to work hard for years to get here? Although it's cruel, it's the truth. If you can't convince everyone, then go back to the lower grades. The competition in the golden class is very intense. Perhaps the lower grades are more suitable for you child soul masters. The academy supports healthy competition. I bet these junior brothers didn't expect this, right? Don't be afraid of us now and leave the golden class crying. If that happens, I'll laugh at you for years. The senior students completely boiled over. Seeing that the instructor was not shielding Lin Feng and the others, they instantly became active. If they couldn't convince everyone, then they should leave the golden class and return to the lower grade classes. This was not a place where spirit masters of their age should come. Tianming looked at these active senior students with extreme disdain. Would they be afraid of these senior students? Was this a joke? How could that be? Big brother Lin Feng was right in front of them. Could they be afraid of the opposition? Impossible. Big brother Lin Feng, who among us should introduce themselves first? Qianji Yunei asked Lin Feng. Now, Lin Feng had completely become their backbone. Without Lin Feng, to be honest, facing these excited senior students, they really wouldn't have much confidence. Tianming, you go first, then Neihi, and then Qinyan. As for me, a heavyweight should make the final appearance, Lin Feng said with a smile. He could feel the malice from these senior students toward them, but it didn't matter. As long as the senior students dared to look for trouble with them, he would let them know why the flowers were so red and why the sun was so bright. That's right, we'll listen to Big Brother. After saying that, Tianming walked toward the podium. Du Mingyu directly handed the podium over to Lin Feng and the others. Tianming's gaze swept across everyone, his eyes calm, so calm it was almost contemptuous. He spoke with a smile. I, Tianming, Spirit, Golden Crocodile King. After speaking, Tianming directly released his spirit. The golden crocodile king appeared beside him. As if sensing Tianming's emotions, the golden crocodile king opened its bloody maw and roared forcefully at the senior students. The sound of the roar echoed throughout the entire classroom. Innate spirit power level 9. Spirit ring, 100-year spirit ring. Tianming stared at the senior students in front of him. A spirit ring slowly emerged beneath his feet. It was actually a yellow 100-year spirit ring. Combined with the top-tier beast spirit, the golden crocodile king, some senior students could even feel a trace of pressure. Chapter 35. The Arrogant Child. Tianming listened to the voices around him and smiled disdainfully. With a look of extreme contempt, he scanned the crowd and said coolly, I know you senior students aren't convinced. Anyone who's unhappy can come find us, but when you come looking for trouble, be prepared to get a beating. As Tianming's arrogant words landed, the senior students present broke into an uproar. They hadn't expected this child to be so arrogant, especially with that contemptuous gaze, as if he didn't even care about them senior students at all. How hateful, truly hateful. They're just child soul masters who just awakened. How dare they? How can they be so arrogant? Do they really think we senior students are made of clay? To dare look down on us like this, you fearless children, just wait to face the wrath of us senior students. Arrogant brats, you're just spirit masters who just awakened your spirits and absorbed a spirit ring. Among us senior students, there are plenty of spirit grandmasters, and we even have spirit elders. If you want to be this arrogant, fine, you've successfully provoked us. Hearing Tianming's words, the senior students present were in a complete state of chaos, venting their dissatisfaction one after another. But Tianming didn't care. Let them be dissatisfied, let them be unconvinced. They had their big brother Lin Feng. Their big brother was invincible in the world, so what was there to fear? Hey Tilda, truly a newborn calf that doesn't fear the tiger. They really aren't afraid of these senior students uniting against them. When we first joined the golden class, we weren't even this arrogant. I wonder where their confidence comes from, Yan said disdainfully, not taking Tianming seriously at all. No matter how much of a fuss they made, no matter how much they acted up, it wouldn't affect the spirit masters of the golden generation. There was no helping it. The three of the golden generation were on a completely different level from the other senior students. Although they were only 12 years old, every member was a spirit elder. A 12-year-old spirit elder was enough to make others feel they could never catch up. Yan, no need to mind them. What they do is their business, it won't affect us. I want to see if these new students' heads are harder, or if the senior students' fists are tougher. Xie Yu said very calmly. Beside him, Juliana also didn't seem to care. Back then, when they joined the golden class, they had actually transferred in as well, which caused strong dissatisfaction among the senior students. But so what? Their situation at the time was exactly the same as these children before them. The only difference was that they hadn't been as arrogant as these children. However, it didn't matter, it was insignificant. No matter how arrogant one was, as long as you beat the senior students into submission, it would be fine. Du Mingyu looked at Tianming and nodded slightly, extremely satisfied with his performance. If they didn't even have the courage to face these angry senior students, then they might as well go back to the lower grade classes. That place would be more suitable for these child soul masters. The golden generation of the past had also gone through this when they came to the golden classes transfer students. Despite facing strong dissatisfaction from the senior students, so what? Didn't they use their own fists to satisfy those senior students and even establish extremely high prestige within the golden class? Seeing the indignant look of the senior students before him, Tianming smiled with satisfaction. Since they weren't convinced, they would fight until they were. With their big brother here, what concerns did they need to have? Clearly, none. Big brother Lin Feng alone could suppress all the senior students. Even those spirit masters of the golden generation would have to lower their heads upon seeing their big brother. Tianming stepped down from the stage and smiled at Lin Feng, Qianji Yu Neihe, and Qianji Yu Qinyan, saying, Neihe, it's your turn to go up. We shouldn't fear them or back down. They're just paper tigers. If they're not convinced, then come at us. We won't back down. Whoever does is a total coward. Tianming's voice was neither loud nor soft, and he didn't avoid the senior students. All of them heard him clearly, and their dislike for this new student, Tianming, reached its peak. Don't worry, Tianming, I understand. These senior students are indignant, and there's no room for reconciliation. Qianji Yu Neihe said calmly. I am Qianji Yu Neihe, Spirit, Coiling Dragon Rod. Qianji Yu Neihe walked onto the podium, stepped onto a stool, and scanned the crowd with an unfriendly tone. A long rod suddenly appeared in his hand, thick at the front and thin at the back. The rod was obsidian in color, with golden bands inlaid at both ends, and a black dragon pattern coiled around the body. It's actually the Coiling Dragon Rod, Juliana said in shock. It's said that within the Coiling Dragon Rod, a very special dragon is attached. This dragon is named the Evil-Breaking Dragon. This kind of dragon is born of heaven and earth, condensed from the righteous chi of the world. It has the effect of dispelling evil and can unleash powerful strength far exceeding one's own in battle. And this kind of spirit was only possessed by those two worshippers in their hall of worship. Clearly, this child's divine grace likely had a direct connection with those two worshippers of their spirit hall. Yan gasped. First the Golden Crocodile King, and now this Coiling Dragon Rod. Could it be that the remaining two are also related to the hall of worship? The Golden Crocodile King and the Coiling Dragon Rod, these two spirits were unique to their spirit hall, and both were top-tier spirits. That's right, I just don't know what the spirits of the remaining two children will be, and if they will bring even more shocking surprises. Xie Yu said in a deep voice. Hey Tilda, Qianji Yu Neihe sneered, then continued, my innate spirit power is rank 9, and I have a 100-year spirit ring. As he spoke, Qianji Yu Neihe directly released his spirit ring. A yellow 100-year spirit ring appeared beneath his feet. He scanned the crowd with contemptuous eyes. Although Grandpa Angel had instructed them not to cause trouble in the Spirit Master Academy, right now, it wasn't them causing trouble, but the senior students looking for trouble with them. Then they couldn't be blamed for their poor attitude. His still the innate spirit power rank 9. How is it still innate spirit power rank 9? The talent of these new students is truly ridiculous, it's staggering. But even if it's innate spirit power rank 9, we won't be convinced. It's not like our golden class doesn't have people with innate spirit power rank 9. The senior students gasped one after another. Although they were somewhat shocked, they had no intention of backing down. Although innate spirit power rank 9 was very rare, this was the Spirit Master Academy, the golden class. It wasn't as if their class didn't have spirit masters with innate spirit power rank 9. Chapter 36. Come on, you pieces of trash. A Coiling Dragon Rod Spirit. Histilda, it's actually a Coiling Dragon Rod Spirit. It seems my guess was not wrong at all. These children probably don't just have a deep connection with the Hall of Worship, they might even be direct descendants of the enshrined priests of the Hall of Worship. Du Mingyu murmured, pushing up her black-rimmed glasses with her index finger. No wonder at all. No wonder the dean said he would be satisfied with these children. So that's how it is, innate rank 9 spirit power level, and their spirits are extremely powerful ones. On this continent, the most powerful beast spirit belongs to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Spirit. But few people know that the Golden Crocodile King Spirit is actually not inferior to the so-called strongest beast spirit, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Spirit. It's just that the Golden Crocodile King Spirit's reputation is not prominent on the continent. And the Coiling Dragon Rod follows the same logic. Everyone knows that the Clear Sky Sect's Clear Sky Hammer Spirit is the most powerful tool spirit on the continent, but the strength and uniqueness of the Coiling Dragon Rod are not inferior to the Clear Sky Sect's Clear Sky Hammer Spirit. It's just that the Clear Sky Sect has extremely special secret techniques to develop the spirit to its limit, which directly made the Clear Sky Hammer the most powerful tool spirit. The dean didn't tell me their true identities. Is he trying to hide something? But it can't be hidden like this, right? Anyone who can become an instructor at the Spirit Master Academy is not simple. Could it be that he wants to hide the identities of these four from the students? Du Mingyu guessed in her heart. In her view, the dean's intention was to conceal the true identities of Lin Feng and the others, which might also be the intention of the Hall of Worship. However, with their spirits right there, it couldn't be hidden from the instructors, it could only be hidden from the ordinary students. Thinking of this and seeing the blank looks on the students' faces, she knew that most of the students could not recognize the golden crocodile king spirit or the coiling dragon rod spirit. Qianji Yunei stepped onto a stool, placed his hands behind his back like a little adult, and said in a deep voice, "Everyone, if you want to find trouble with us because you're dissatisfied with the academy's arrangements, we don't mind. If you have an opinion, then just come at us, you pieces of trash." His words were forceful. Upon hearing them, the senior students' expressions became extremely ugly, but they all remained silent. They were already prepared. Once class was over and the instructor left, they would give the other party a hard time. They wanted them to know that being arrogant was not done like this. Arrogance that puts oneself in danger is just stupidity. Besides, this group of senior students was not made of clay. They were already extremely angry at Tianming's contempt, and now Qianji Yunei was even shitting and pissing on their heads. This was unacceptable. If they didn't teach them a lesson, where would this group of senior students put their faces in the future? Ha ha ha, trash. That's a very interesting description. If they were spirit grandmasters and possessed powerful spirits, calling the senior students trash wouldn't be much, but now they are only spirit masters. Using trash to describe the senior students will only further infuriate them. This is not advisable, Yan said with a chuckle. He could clearly feel that the anger of these senior students was quite severe. When they came to the golden class back then, they hadn't gone to such lengths. At that time, less than half of the senior students had an issue with them. But look at this group of children, it could be said that except for them, all the senior students have a huge problem and many complaints. Yan, watch your words. Don't say things that are detrimental to unity, do you understand? Xiaoyu reminded him. After Xiaoyu's reminder, Yan immediately shut up and sat there with his arms crossed, beginning to watch the show. He wanted to see what these senior students would actually say. Trash. Interesting, truly interesting. This is the first time we've heard someone dare to call us students of the golden class trash. Even the 3 soul elders of the golden generation didn't call us trash. How do you dare? HMPH, trash, hee, just wait, you little brats. Once the instructor leaves, we'll let you know why flowers are red and why the sun is yellow. You little guys who push your luck. Calling them trash. Then they would have to let these children, who don't know the heights of the heavens and the depths of the earth, know that public wrath is very frightening and very terrifying. They also wanted them to know that the trash in their mouths were powerful spirit grandmasters, while these children were merely spirit masters. When facing the strong, the weak must have the most basic respect. TCH tilde, Qianji Yunei snorted in disdain. He didn't care about the senior students' threats, none of them would care. Anyway, they had their big brother. Although they were acting tough on someone else's authority, their big brother's strength was real. Once the 10,000-year spirit ring was revealed, these senior students would probably have to reconsider whether they wanted to find trouble with them. Did you really think we'd be afraid of you? Threatening us? Hee, just come at us, you pieces of trash. As he spoke, Qianji Yunei curled his lip, jumped onto the lecture desk, and raised his middle finger toward all the senior students. This was something their big brother had just taught them, and it was extremely provocative. Du Mingyu's mouth twitched as she watched this scene. After finishing the middle finger gesture and performing extremely arrogant movements, Qianji Yunei jumped directly to the ground and walked toward Lin Feng and the others. At the same time, Du Mingyu also snapped out of it. She had originally thought Lin Feng and the others would be good babies, but now, looking at the speeches of Tianming and Qianji Yunei just now. These 4 children, it seemed, were not pushovers at all. Moreover, they were very stubborn, knowing the senior students would find trouble with them, they weren't afraid at all and were even more arrogant. Thinking of this, she felt a headache. She only hoped that these children wouldn't actively look for trouble in the future. Tianming, big brother, was I cool just now? Qianji Yunei came before Lin Feng and the others and said with a smile. Nei brother, cool, Qianji Yuqingyan spoke weakly. Not bad, the word, trash, really suits them. Hearing, trash, won't they just lose their minds? If they want to come at us, then let them come. I want to see what capability these pieces of trash have. Tianming patted Qianji Yunei's shoulder and laughed loudly. The senior students in the classroom heard everything clearly. They gritted their teeth, their faces turning green with rage. Arrogant brat, golden-haired brat, you just wait for me. Some senior students growled fiercely. But being called trash by a group of children was something they absolutely could not accept. If the 3 from the golden generation called them that, it would be one thing, as the other party was extremely powerful, they were strong spirit elders. But what right did these children have? Chapter 37, Common Sense Defying Innate Spirit Power Level, this is absolutely impossible. When it was Qianji Yuqingyan's turn to introduce herself, the information she provided was a complete replica of Qianji Yunei's. The biggest difference was that Qianji Yuqingyan was very shy. As soon as she finished her introduction, she hurriedly left and returned to stand behind her cousin, shyly watching the other senior students in the class. The senior students didn't find anything wrong with Qianji Yuqingyan's shy behavior. This was normal behavior. Those like Tianming and Qianji Yunei were completely abnormal. Seeing senior students several years older than them, they didn't feel afraid or flustered, instead, they were extremely contemptuous and arrogant during their introductions. In their eyes, this was very abnormal. Du Mingyu watched the hurriedly departing Qianji Yuqingyan and murmured, Tianming's spirit is the golden crocodile king, and Qianji Yunei and Qianji Yuqingyan's spirit is the coiling dragon rod. Their identities are clear now, but I wonder what student Lin Feng's identity is. Lin Feng, come up. After the introductions are over, you can freely choose your seats, Du Mingyu said with a smile, looking at Lin Feng. Big brother, Tianming and Qianji Yunei both turned their gazes toward Lin Feng. Hearing their voices, Lin Feng smiled slightly and nodded to them before walking toward the podium. Because of his height, he had to step onto a stool to see all the senior students in front of him. Stepping on the stool, Lin Feng thought to himself, this is really uncomfortable. However, a spirit master's growth rate is very fast. By the time I'm 12, perhaps my height will reach the 1.8 meter tall stature of my previous life. The classroom was exceptionally quiet now. Everyone was waiting, silently waiting for this last new student to start his introduction. There was no commotion. I am Lin Feng. Lin Feng. When Juliana heard those 2 familiar words, her pupils suddenly constricted, and she murmured, Lin Feng. I remember a few days ago, the holy son my teacher appointed who didn't show up seemed to be named Lin Feng. The Holy Maiden and Holy Son of Spirit Hall were very noble identities, with the qualification to inherit the throne of the Supreme Pontiff in the future. Back when her teacher took her as a disciple and appointed her as the Holy Maiden, it was truly the focus of everyone's attention. However, this time was different. For some unknown reason, her teacher suddenly wanted to appoint a Holy Son and announced it to the world. During the appointment ceremony, all the high-ranking members of Spirit Hall came to the scene, and representatives from other forces also came to Spirit City to offer congratulations. But strangely, until the end of the appointment ceremony, this Holy Son named Lin Feng never appeared. It was very strange. Lin Feng, it's just someone with the same name. This Lin Feng before us might not necessarily be the Holy Son Lin Feng of our Spirit Hall, Xiaoyu murmured. Hu Liana nodded slightly, not refuting him. It wasn't as if there were no people with the same name in Spirit Hall. Moreover, they had no idea what that holy sun looked like or what his background was, so they couldn't connect him with the Lin Feng in front of them at all. My spirit is the Holy Light Angel. Lin Feng's voice fell with powerful resonance. Behind him, the embryonic form of the Holy Light Angel began to condense. After the Holy Light Angel appeared, a sacred and brilliant glow filled the entire classroom. The holy power transformed into golden feathers, slowly falling like snowflakes. The form of the Holy Light Angel completely condensed, with its hands clasped and eyes slightly narrowed, looking down with compassion for all. When the golden feathers formed from holy power landed on the senior students, they could clearly feel their bodies and minds become relaxed and comfortable. Their emotions were gradually released and soothed. The anger of the senior students, which had been provoked by Tianming and Qianji Yunei, was dissolved in an instant. When they saw the Holy Light Angel's compassionate expression, they instantly felt a great power influencing them. They actually couldn't help but want to start prostrating themselves in worship toward the Holy Light Angel. My innate spirit power is level 20, Lin Feng said in a deep voice, paying no mind to the changes in the senior students. Du Mingyu looked shocked, her hands clasped as if she were praying for something. She never expected that Lin Feng's spirit would actually be that god-level martial soul, the Seraphim. Was a possessor of the six-winged angel martial soul really someone she could teach? What? Hu Liana snapped to attention with a start, looking at the spirit behind Lin Feng in shock. The six-winged angel martial soul and innate spirit power level 20. Her face was full of shock and her body trembled. The other party's background was enormous, so enormous that even she, the holy maiden, paled in comparison. The so-called holy son Lin Feng was indeed the Lin Feng before her eyes. A possessor of the six-winged angel martial soul. No wonder Tianming, Qianji Yunei, and the others didn't care about the senior students' attitudes at all, even using contemptuous tones and disdainful looks, being extremely arrogant. Looking at it now, it was all because of the confidence brought by this Lin Feng. The other students in the golden class might not recognize what the angel martial soul represented, but how could she, as the holy maiden, not know? It's fake, right? What kind of spirit is this? How could a spirit with an innate spirit power level of 20 appear? This defies common sense. It's absolutely impossible to exist. I don't believe it. He must be lying to us. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. The spirit knowledge I learned at the Spirit Master Academy tells me with absolute certainty that the innate spirit power level is only 10. Level 10 is innate full spirit power. Level 20. How is that possible? Histilda, have you noticed? This little fellow's spirit seems somewhat similar to the landmark building of our spirit hall. No, it's exactly the same. The landmark building of our spirit hall is an angel, and his spirit is also an angel. When they heard Lin Feng's innate spirit power level, they didn't believe it and couldn't accept it. It defied common sense. In the Spirit Master knowledge they learned at the Spirit Master Academy, there were absolutely no records regarding innate spirit power level 20. In their understanding, innate spirit power level 10, or innate full spirit power, was already the highest level of innate spirit power. However, they didn't know that with their current status, it was completely impossible for them to access records related to god-level martial souls. There was a type of spirit called a god-level martial soul, and their innate spirit power levels directly shattered worldly concepts. Possessing innate level 20 spirit power, from the moment they successfully awakened their spirit, they were already spirit masters at the Spirit Grandmaster level, completely leading ahead of spirit masters of the same age. Chapter 38. You have no objections, understand? Tianming and Qianji Yunei looked at each other and smiled. Seeing the senior students' bizarre expressions, they felt extremely relieved. This was the result they had been waiting for, the so-called senior students, the supposedly exceptionally talented students of the Spirit Master Academy. In front of their big brother Lin Feng, they were completely eclipsed, their halos dimmed, like mayflies looking up at the clear sky. Is this already unacceptable? Hey, you shallow-minded fools. When my big brother Lin Feng reveals two 10,000-year spirit rings, what will you do then? A slight smirk played on the corner of Tianming's mouth. Not convinced by them, are you convinced now? Personally received by the dean, and brought to the golden class by the golden class teacher himself, this was their big brother's talent. So-called exceptional talent. It was merely the threshold to enter their big brother's circle. Even the three of them, with innate spirit power of level 9, could only be their big brother's lackeys. These senior students actually dared to be unconvinced by them coming directly to the golden class and openly oppose them. Do they still dare now? And my current spirit power level is a level 23 spirit grandmaster. As for my spirit ring configuration, it consists of two 10,000-year spirit rings. Lin Feng said decisively. His words were like a giant boulder falling into a calm lake, stirring up surging waves. As Lin Feng finished speaking, he didn't hesitate and directly released his spirit rings. Two obsidian-colored spirit rings began to condense beneath his feet. When the spirit rings had completely formed, every student in the classroom stared at Lin Feng with blank eyes. A 10,000-year spirit ring, it's really a 10,000-year spirit ring. No joke, how on earth did he do it? Juliana broke into a cold sweat. Although she knew there were spirit bones or spirit abilities that could disguise the age of spirit rings, the pressure Lin Feng's spirit rings brought her was very real. These two 10,000-year spirit rings were the real deal, they couldn't possibly be fake. Xie Yu and Yan both looked like they wanted to say something but held back. Similarly, the moment they saw Lin Feng's 10,000-year spirit rings, they already knew these were genuine 10,000-year spirit rings. But this completely defied common sense and the limits of the optimal spirit ring configuration. Even if Lin Feng possessed a god-level martial soul, he shouldn't and couldn't have such a massive leap to directly absorb 10,000-year spirit rings. A 10,000-year spirit ring. That carries a soul shock. Even assuming Lin Feng's physical constitution had reached the level to absorb a 10,000-year spirit ring, how could a child who had just awakened have such strong mental force to directly withstand the soul shock of a 10,000-year spirit ring? Mental force is something where the younger the age, the lower the mental force, it's quite mysterious. It wasn't that there were no ways to improve mental force, through absorbing special mental type spirit beasts, or through spirit abilities that boost mental force, or even through tedious cultivation methods. 10,000-year spirit rings, these are truly 10,000-year spirit rings. Just how did the worshippers from the Hall of Worship do it? What kind of great power is this? Du Mingyu said in shock as she looked at the two obsidian-colored spirit rings. Clearly, she had attributed the reason for Lin Feng possessing two 10,000-year spirit rings to the Hall of Worship. Moreover, the shock brought by these two 10,000-year spirit rings far exceeded the shock caused by the appearance of the six-winged angel martial soul. The six-winged angel martial soul was still within her understanding. Spirit Hall had records of it. It was a characteristic of a god-level martial soul to have an innate spirit power level of 20 and to be a spirit grandmaster upon awakening. But two 10,000-year spirit rings were different. This was beyond her knowledge. Despite Spirit Hall having countless records, there had never been a case where a spirit master could absorb two 10,000-year spirit rings at the spirit grandmaster level. Even a god-level martial soul couldn't do it. There were a few cases of absorbing 1,000-year spirit rings, but they could be counted on two hands. At the same time, most who tried either ruined their path as a Spirit Master or died outright. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Although Qian Daoliu had said when they came to the Spirit Master Academy that their true identities would be hidden and they would live as ordinary students, was that even possible? Obviously not. There wasn't much to say about these students, but what about the instructors in the Spirit Master Academy? The fact that they could hold instructor positions in the Spirit Master Academy already proved the point. Each of these instructors was a big shot in the Spirit Master's world. How could they not recognize the Golden Crocodile King Martial Soul, the Coiling Dragon Rod Martial Soul, and the Angel Martial Soul? The so-called hiding of identities to live as ordinary students in the Spirit Master Academy was only applicable among the ordinary students. Anyway, it would be exposed to the instructor sooner or later, so he didn't hide anything and directly stated his detailed information. Among these students, only those of the Golden Generation and a few others could recognize his spirit. As for the other students, they were completely in a fog. Even if his detailed information was fully exposed, they wouldn't connect it to the fundamental issue. This was the gap in knowledge. When the gap reaches a certain level, no matter how they guess or think, there will be no result. Lin Feng's eyes swept coldly over all the senior students before him, and he spoke in a deep voice. You aren't convinced by us new students, thinking we are children, thinking we got in through the back door. Now, do any of you have any objections? If you do, then stand up, and I'll get to know you. Although Lin Feng's words were slightly arrogant, because his strength was right there and the two obsidian-colored spirit rings were right there, he didn't trigger the senior students' currently sensitive nerves. Instead, they accepted Lin Feng's tone as a matter of course. Hearing this, the senior students looked at each other and then began to shake their heads one after another. Finally, everyone's gaze focused on the Golden Generation in the back row. But unfortunately, the Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation had no intention of standing up to save face. They directly ignored the senior students' gazes and began to close their eyes to rest. Them coming out to fight for the senior students? Are you kidding? This was a mess the senior students caused themselves. There was no need for them to clean up after them. Besides, the power of a 10,000-year spirit ring was worlds apart from 100-year and 1,000-year spirit rings. Seeing that the Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation had no intention of making a move, a senior student in the first seat on the left of the first row, acting as a representative, stood up and said through gritted teeth, I'm not. Before the word, convinced, could even be uttered, Lin Feng instantly condensed the power of holy light at his fingertip. In a flash, a powerful impact beam directly pierced through the senior student's desk and blasted through the floor. Lin Feng said with a flat gaze, you have no objections, understand. Chapter 39, Golden Class Competition. I understand, that senior student stammered as he stared at Lin Feng, who was stepping on the stool and pointing a finger at him. He swallowed hard, slumped in his seat like a pile of mud. He looked at the attack that had pierced straight through the tabletop and into the floor, feeling terrified and at a loss. If that attack had hit his body, the consequences were obvious, he would have died a miserable death. He could not withstand such an attack. Suddenly, the entire classroom fell silent. All the senior students looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. They never expected Lin Feng to attack directly, and so decisively without any warning. Just moments ago, when that senior student stood up defiantly, no one would have thought Lin Feng would strike immediately. Although the attack didn't hit the senior student, wasn't this a form of intimidation? This was the power of a spirit ability brought by a 10,000-year spirit ring, something these spirit masters could not resist. Lin Feng had already proven his formidable strength through his news. Who else was dissatisfied? Who else dared to be dissatisfied? These students considered themselves exceptionally gifted, the top students of the Spirit Master Academy. However, they only held an extraordinary halo among ordinary students. Those who could pass through layers of selection and assessment to enter the golden class were no mediocre talents. But when facing monster-like geniuses, that extraordinary halo would completely pale in comparison. Silence, a deathly silence where one could hear a pin drop. None of the senior students spoke again. Perhaps when Lin Feng revealed his two obsidian-colored 10,000-year spirit rings, they already had nothing left to say. With such unlogic-defying spirit ring configuration, if he couldn't enter the golden class directly, then what were they? Lin Feng looked at the senior students in the classroom with an indifferent gaze, feeling nothing. When they first arrived, the senior students were dissatisfied because of their age. Now the seniors were silent because of his strength, a strength enough to make them tremble. The Spirit Grand Master realm with two 10,000-year spirit rings was unprecedented. This holy light impact, a spirit ability from a 10,000-year spirit ring, has very impressive power. But with my current spirit power level in reserves, the consumption is a bit too high. However, that's only for now. Once my spirit power level increases, I won't have to worry about this consumption. Lin Feng murmured. He had released the spirit ability instantly just now for two reasons. First, to test its power, and second, to intimidate these senior students. After all, they really did enter through the back door, so it was natural for these seniors to be dissatisfied. Andy Mingyu, can we choose our seats now? Lin Feng turned to look at Du Mingyu and asked. At that moment, Du Mingyu was dazed. Hearing Lin Feng's voice, she snapped back to her senses and said with a smile, you can choose your seats freely now. You can pick any empty seat. We don't have mandatory regulations for seating arrangements. Hearing this, Lin Feng nodded slightly and walked down from the podium. Brother Lin Feng, you were so cool just now. Tianming's eyes sparkled, and Qianji Yunei felt the same. Originally, the senior students had plenty of complaints about them. Even if the three of them showed extraordinary talent, the seniors' attitude toward them hadn't changed at all. But when their brother Lin Feng took the stage, it was different. Did anyone dare to object? He attacked directly to show them who was boss. Did these senior students dare to say anything now? They didn't dare. They could only keep their heads down. Lin Feng smiled slightly without speaking, leading Tianming and the others to look for empty seats. There were dozens of students in the golden class, and most seats were already filled. Only the last two rows were vacant. Left with no choice, they walked toward the back and finally selected their seats in the last row. Once Lin Feng and the others finished choosing their seats, Du Mingyu returned to the podium, leaning her hands on the desk. Her sharp gaze swept across everyone. The senior students were dejected because of Lin Feng's strength. The three members of the golden generation sat there expressionless, and Lin Feng's group was smiling and laughing. Now, I assume you have no objections to these four new students, right? Du Mingyu said with a wry smile. She never expected Lin Feng to solve the seniors' dissatisfaction so easily, but it didn't matter as long as the final result was good. Du Mingyu didn't dwell on the matter and instead said, students, in 4 days, it will be our golden class's annual Spirit Master competition. I hope everyone signs up enthusiastically. At that time, all senior and junior students will come to watch the Spirit Master competition. They will come to witness how much you, the so-called golden class and so-called gifted students, have grown in strength over the past year. Also, all the mentors and the dean, perhaps even His Holiness the Supreme Pontiff, will come to watch your Spirit Master competition. The golden class was the ultimate destination for the gifted students within the Spirit Master Academy. They would pass through layers of selection and assessment before finally arriving at the golden class. The annual Golden Class Spirit Master competition was said to be a witness to the students' growth, but in reality, it was the Golden Class teacher submitting her results to the Spirit Master Academy, Spirit Hall, and the Supreme Pontiff. The mentors employed at the Spirit Master Academy might seem relaxed, but they faced very strict evaluations. Du Mingyu held the position of the Golden Class teacher based on her own knowledge and the results of the students she taught. She had eventually defeated the previous Golden Class teacher to become the new one. The condition for replacing a Golden Class mentor was to lead one's own class to defeat the strongest Spirit Master team in the Golden Class during the annual Golden Class competition. Only then could the original Golden Class teacher be replaced. The students in the Golden Class were all gifted individuals within the Spirit Master Academy. If they still lost to ordinary senior students, then the teacher indeed deserved to be replaced. For the Golden Class Spirit Master competition, all mentors would be present to watch, as would the dean. As for the Supreme Pontiff, if there were no other matters, he would also attend. A competition, with the Golden Generation here, plus those 4 new students, I'd say the champion of this year's Golden Class competition will definitely be among them. Chapter 40, A New Divine Rank Choice. In previous years, the 3 Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation had already displayed extraordinary strength. In the Golden Class Soul Master competition, if one could form a Spirit Master team with the Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation, then the final championship would belong to them. The remaining Spirit Masters, despite their hard work, still had a huge and insurmountable gap between them and the Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation. There's such a thing as the Golden Class Soul Master competition, Lin Feng said in surprise. Of course, the Golden Class is a special senior class within the Spirit Master Academy. The competition among students in the same class is very fierce. There's also the annual Golden Class competition, which is also how the class teacher of the Golden Class submits the Golden Class's strength growth achievements for the year to the Spirit Master Academy, Spirit Hall, and His Holiness the Supreme Pontiff. Hu Liana smiled and explained to the bewildered Lin Feng. There were many intricacies in the Golden Class Soul Master competition. To put it simply, it was just a class competition, but to put it broadly, it directly concerned the strength of Spirit Hall. Absorbing Spirit Masters from outside always had its limits, and it wasn't consistent. Moreover, on this continent, Spirit Hall was not the only power. There were also the 2 great empires, the upper 3 sects, the lower 4 sects, as well as other families and sects, and so on. External Spirit Masters had many choices, and only a minority could become Spirit Masters. Spirit Hall established the Spirit Master Academy to cultivate its own Spirit Masters. This way, a group of Spirit Masters would graduate every year and enter various institutions of Spirit Hall. Furthermore, Spirit Hall felt more at ease with these Spirit Masters, as their backgrounds were clearer. Upon hearing this, Lin Feng pondered and said, so that's how it is. Hu Liana sat between Yan and Xiaoyu, looking at Lin Feng, resting her chin on her hand, and said with a smile, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Hu Liana, and these 2 beside me are my friend, Yan, and my brother, Xiaoyu. You should have heard of us, they all call us the Golden Generation. The Golden Generation. So, big sister, you are the Golden Generation. Lin Feng feigned surprise and said, I heard that those 3 Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation are the 3 most talented Spirit Masters in our Spirit Hall. Hearing Lin Feng's praise, Yan, who had initially looked at Lin Feng with some unfriendliness, accepted it with a clear conscience, waving his hand and saying, that's just what they call us. In truth, we're not as great as they say. We only reached Spirit Elder at 12 years old. It's nothing worth mentioning, nothing worth mentioning. Upon hearing a junior's praise and acknowledgement of their strength, anyone would curl their lips, unable to suppress a smile, and accept it with a clear conscience. This feeling is only understood by Spirit Masters who have experienced it, and Lin Feng and the others' identities are even more extraordinary, their talent even more absurd. Hu Liana looked at Yan, a little displeased. Why didn't this guy know how to be modest? You're Lin Feng, right? For now, I'll call you brother Lin Feng. Don't mind Yan, this guy is a bit arrogant. Let's talk about what we just discussed. Are you willing to form a team with us to participate in the Golden Class Soul Master competition? Hu Liana asked. Nana, our strength is already very good. Now, if we bring them along, it's practically not leaving any room for the other students to survive. Yan said, puzzled. There was absolutely no need to bring Lin Feng and the others along. Hu Liana frowned slightly. Why was Yan such a stubborn, block-headed fellow? They all knew Lin Feng and the others' identities. They represented the future of the Hall of Worship. And as the Supreme Pontiff's disciple, she knew very clearly that the relationship between the Hall of Worship and the Supreme Pontiff Palace and her teacher was extremely cold. Although she didn't know why, perhaps their friendly contact with Lin Feng and the others, these futures of the Hall of Worship, could ease the relationship between the Hall of Worship and the Supreme Pontiff Palace. The following is copied, not finished, no time to catch up, I will change it when I finish writing later. In previous years, the 3 Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation had already displayed extraordinary strength. In the Golden Class Soul Master competition, if one could form a Spirit Master team with the Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation, then the final championship would belong to them. The remaining Spirit Masters, despite their hard work, still had a huge and insurmountable gap between them and the Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation. There's such a thing as the Golden Class Soul Master competition, Lin Feng said in surprise. Of course, the Golden Class is a special senior class within the Spirit Master Academy. The competition among students in the same class is very fierce. There's also the annual Golden Class competition, which is also how the class teacher of the Golden Class submits the Golden Class's strength growth achievements for the year to the Spirit Master Academy, Spirit Hall, and His Holiness the Supreme Pontiff. Hu Liana smiled and explained to the bewildered Lin Feng. There were many intricacies in the Golden Class Soul Master competition. To put it simply, it was just a class competition, but to put it broadly, it directly concerned the strength of Spirit Hall. Absorbing Spirit Masters from outside always had its limits, and it wasn't consistent. Moreover, on this continent, Spirit Hall was not the only power. There were also the 2 great empires, the upper 3 sects, the lower 4 sects, as well as other families and sects, and so on. External Spirit Masters had many choices, and only a minority could become Spirit Masters. Spirit Hall established the Spirit Master Academy to cultivate its own Spirit Masters. This way, a group of Spirit Masters would graduate every year and enter various institutions of Spirit Hall. Furthermore, Spirit Hall felt more at ease with these Spirit Masters, as their backgrounds were clearer. Upon hearing this, Lin Feng pondered and said, so that's how it is. Hu Liana sat between Yan and Xiaoyu, looking at Lin Feng, resting her chin on her hand, and said with a smile, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Hu Liana, and these 2 beside me are my friend, Yan, and my brother, Xiaoyu. You should have heard of us, they all call us the Golden Generation. The Golden Generation. So, big sister, you are the Golden Generation. Lin Feng feigned surprise and said, I heard that those 3 Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation are the 3 most talented Spirit Masters in our Spirit Hall. Hearing Lin Feng's praise, Yan, who had initially looked at Lin Feng with some unfriendliness, accepted it with a clear conscience, waving his hand and saying, that's just what they call us. In truth, we're not as great as they say. We only reached Spirit Elder at 12 years old. It's nothing worth mentioning, nothing worth mentioning. Upon hearing a junior's praise and acknowledgement of their strength, anyone would curl their lips, unable to suppress a smile, and accept it with a clear conscience. This feeling is only understood by spirit masters who have experienced it, and Lin Feng and the others' identities are even more extraordinary, their talent even more absurd. Juliana looked at Yan, a little displeased. Why didn't this guy know how to be modest? You're Lin Feng, right? For now, I'll call you Brother Lin Feng. Don't mind Yan, this guy is a bit arrogant. Let's talk about what we just discussed. Are you willing to form a team with us to participate in the Golden Class Soul Master competition? Juliana asked. Nana, our strength is already very good. Now, if we bring them along, it's practically not leaving any room for the other students to survive. Yan said, puzzled. There was absolutely no need to bring Lin Feng and the others along. Juliana frowned slightly. Why was Yan such a stubborn, block-headed fellow? They all knew Lin Feng and the others' identities. They represented the future of the Hall of Worship. And as the Supreme Pontiff's disciple, she knew very clearly that the relationship between the Hall of Worship and the Supreme Pontiff Palace and her teacher was extremely cold. Although she didn't know why, perhaps their friendly contact with Lin Feng and the others, these futures of the Hall of Worship, could ease the relationship between the Hall of Worship and the Supreme Pontiff Palace. Chapter 41. Joining the Spirit Hall Team. Lin Feng replied indifferently, System, make the selection for me, the first option. Looking at the three options on the light screen, no matter how one looked at it, the other two were absolute traps. Unless he was a moron, he wouldn't choose them. The moment he made his choice, accurate information regarding the location of the ice and fire Yin Yongwell suddenly appeared in his mind. That feeling was very strange, indescribable and inexplicable. The information about the accurate location of the ice and fire Yin Yongwell seemed to appear out of thin air, as if he had known the exact location all along. Seeing Brother Lin Feng deep in thought, Tianming scratched his head and couldn't help but ask, Brother Lin Feng, should we agree to their proposal? However, I think that with Brother Lin Feng's power, we should be able to win the championship, right? Hearing this, Lin Feng shook his head slightly and said with a smile, agree, of course we must agree. My power is indeed very strong, and the spirit ability brought by the 10,000-year spirit ring has extraordinary might, but my spirit power cannot withstand the consumption of a 10,000-year spirit skill. If we form a team with our current strength to participate in the Spirit Master competition, it would be quite difficult to win the championship. And those three are currently the three most powerful Spirit Masters in our Spirit Hall. The Golden Generation is not just a title for fun, it is a recognition of their talent and strength. If we join their team, winning the Spirit Master competition will be very easy. After speaking, Lin Feng turned his head to look at Juliana and said, You are 6 years older than us, so how about we call you Sister Nana? This will make us seem closer. As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, a smile spread across Juliana's lips, and she said indifferently, Of course, that means you agree to join our team. To participate in the Golden Class Soul Master competition. Of course, we have no reason to refuse, right? This is beneficial for us. Although I possess a 10,000-year spirit skill and have extraordinary strength, the consumption of spirit power for a 10,000-year spirit skill is not something I, a spirit grandmaster, can withstand. Lin Feng nodded. Oh Tilda, I didn't expect it, Brother Lin Feng, that you have such a clear understanding of your own positioning. It's completely unlike words that a 6-year-old child could say. Of course, we welcome you to join our Spirit Hall team. Juliana was a bit surprised, but she was still happy about Lin Feng and the others joining. After Lin Feng and the others joined, it could be said that the strength of their Spirit Hall team would see an unprecedented improvement. Within the Spirit Master Academy, no team would be a match for their Spirit Hall team, and the same would be true for the various high-level academies of the two empires. 3 12-year-old Spirit Elders, a 6-year-old Spirit Grandmaster, and 3 6-year-old Level 11 Spirit Masters. In a few years, let's see, people will grow. One can imagine that this Spirit Master team, composed of geniuses in the true sense of the word, will become terrifyingly powerful. However, in Juliana's view, these were not the most important things. The most important thing was to use them, to use the addition of Lin Feng and the others, to ease the icy relationship between the Hall of Worship and the Supreme Pontiff Palace and her teacher. Even if it could provide a subtle easing, it would be a huge success. Tianming, Tianji Yunehi, and Tianji Yuqingyan had no particular feelings about joining the so-called Spirit Hall team. Yan, also a Spirit Master in the Golden Generation, felt the same. Xie Yu, however, understood a bit about the significance of his sister's actions. At this moment, Du Mingyu spoke again. Our Spirit Master Academy adheres to the principle that in the Spirit Master competition, friendship comes first, and competition comes second. Appropriate competition is allowed in our Spirit Master Academy. With pressure, there will be motivation. But if, when our Golden Class decides on a champion, other senior classes want to challenge our Golden Class championship team, then we must accept their challenge, give them a head-on blow, and defeat them, so they know what the true strength of the Golden Class is really like. Du Mingyu scanned all the students in front of her. Instructor, you are overstating it. It's just a challenge from other senior classes. Our Golden Class won't fear them. Could it be that we, this group of students who entered the Golden Class through layers of screening and layers of assessment, are not as good as that group of ordinary students? You can't say that. We came to the Golden Class through layers of assessment and screening, which only proves that we are gifted. Our Golden Class only has a few Spirit Elders, but those students in the ordinary classes have Spirit Ancestors. That's right, their talent might be somewhat unsatisfactory and not as good as ours, but they haven't graduated yet. Possessing the strength of a Spirit Ancestor, they also have the qualifications to challenge us. We are not invincible. If we fail, it will be a disgrace to the entire Golden Class. The classroom was noisy, with all the senior students talking to each other, one sentence after another. Every year, the Golden Class Soul Master competition is very important. The team's ranking determines the allocation of their cultivation resources for the coming year. Their cultivation resources are divided into fixed resources and additional resources. And these additional resources need to be earned with their own fists and their own strength. The main reason for the high pressure in the Golden Class is this aspect, whereas the resource allocation for ordinary classes does not have such immense pressure like their Golden Class. Spirit Ancestor. So what if they are a Spirit Ancestor? Last year, our Spirit Hall team defeated challengers from ordinary senior teams that had Spirit Ancestors. Yan said with a contemptuous look in his eyes and a disdainful tone. Among the 3 Spirit Masters of the Golden Generation, although he could not unleash Spirit Ancestor level combat power, it did not mean that Xie Yu and Juliana could not. The martial soul fusion skill of the two of them could directly unleash powerful strength, even a Spirit Ancestor would have to bow their head in front of it. Yan, we are not invincible. We must learn to be prepared for danger in times of peace, leave our comfort zone, and remember that Spirit Ancestors are very powerful. Xie Yu reminded him, perhaps because of his spirit or perhaps because of his personality, Yan was just like that. Hearing this, Yan said with a chuckle, not caring, Brother Xie Yu was right. Juliana, standing between the two, heard it clearly. She frowned slightly, wanting to say something, but didn't know how to correct Yan. But Yan, this guy, was just a pure brute. Chapter 42, Regulations of the Golden Class. Hothead, does he really think that just because we've defeated a spirit ancestor before, we have no rivals in the Spirit Master Academy now? One spirit ancestor indeed can't do anything to us, but what if there are 2, 3, 4, or even an entire team of spirit ancestors? Juliana grumbled inwardly. It was true they possessed the strength to defeat a spirit ancestor, but not to the extent of completely disregarding them. There was still a chance of failure. She didn't know where a guy like Yan got his confidence from, thinking they could totally look down on spirit ancestors just because they won last year. They were growing, but the opponents weren't standing still either. Why couldn't he understand his own position? Take the newcomer, Brother Lin Feng, for instance. He was formidable enough, with extraordinary talent, possessing the god-level martial soul, Seraphim, being a spirit master with innate spirit power level 20, and having 2 powerful 10,000-year spirit abilities. That was powerful enough, right? The power of a 10,000-year spirit skill was enough to make even them shudder, but with Brother Lin Feng's current spirit power, how many times could he use a 10,000-year spirit skill? How many times could he launch them with full force? Even through attrition alone, they could drain his spirit power to the bottom, causing him to completely lose his ability to fight. Du Mingyu, on the podium, took out a pocket watch and checked the time. She spoke to the students. Students, prepare for the Spirit Master competition in 4 days. You can form your own teams. Class is dismissed. You're free to arrange your own time this afternoon. Student Lin Feng, Student Tian Ming, Student Qianji Yu Neihe, Student Qianji Yu Qingyan, follow me. I will take you to your lodging and arrange your dorms. Du Mingyu, who had reached the door, beckoned to Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng and the others came to Du Mingyu's side. Lin Feng said, Auntie Mingyu, shall we go? Du Mingyu nodded and led Lin Feng and the others away. On the way to the lodging, Du Mingyu looked at Lin Feng beside her and asked with a smile, Lin Feng, are you planning to participate in the Golden Class's Spirit Master competition? ... The following is a copy of the above. I haven't finished writing yet, wait for me. Hothead, does he really think that just because we've defeated a spirit ancestor before, we have no rivals in the Spirit Master Academy now? One spirit ancestor indeed can't do anything to us, but what if there are 2, 3, 4, or even an entire team of spirit ancestors? Juliana grumbled inwardly. It was true they possessed the strength to defeat a spirit ancestor, but not to the extent of completely disregarding them. There was still a chance of failure. She didn't know where a guy like Yan got his confidence from, thinking they could totally look down on spirit ancestors just because they won last year. They were growing, but the opponents weren't standing still either. Why couldn't he understand his own position? Take the newcomer, Brother Lin Feng, for instance. He was formidable enough, with extraordinary talent, possessing the god-level martial soul, Seraphim, being a spirit master with innate spirit power level 20, and having 2 powerful 10,000-year spirit abilities. That was powerful enough, right? The power of a 10,000-year spirit skill was enough to make even them shudder, but with Brother Lin Feng's current spirit power, how many times could he use a 10,000-year spirit skill? How many times could he launch them with full force? Even through attrition alone, they could drain his spirit power to the bottom, causing him to completely lose his ability to fight. Du Mingyu, on the podium, took out a pocket watch and checked the time. She spoke to the students. Students, prepare for the Spirit Master competition in 4 days. You can form your own teams. Class is dismissed. You're free to arrange your own time this afternoon. Student Lin Feng, Student Tian Ming, Student Qianji Yu Neihe, Student Qianji Yu Qingyan, follow me. I will take you to your lodging and arrange your dorms. Du Mingyu, who had reached the door, beckoned to Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng and the others came to Du Mingyu's side. Lin Feng said, Auntie Mingyu, shall we go? Du Mingyu nodded and led Lin Feng and the others away. On the way to the lodging, Du Mingyu looked at Lin Feng beside her and asked with a smile, Lin Feng, are you planning to participate in the Golden Class's Spirit Master competition? Actually, our Golden Class still has regulations. Hothead, does he really think that just because we've defeated a spirit ancestor before, we have no rivals in the Spirit Master Academy now? One spirit ancestor indeed can't do anything to us, but what if there are 2, 3, 4, or even an entire team of spirit ancestors? Juliana grumbled inwardly. It was true they possessed the strength to defeat a spirit ancestor, but not to the extent of completely disregarding them. There was still a chance of failure. She didn't know where a guy like Yan got his confidence from, thinking they could totally look down on spirit ancestors just because they won last year. They were growing, but the opponents weren't standing still either. Why couldn't he understand his own position? Take the newcomer, Brother Lin Feng, for instance. He was formidable enough, with extraordinary talent, possessing the god-level martial soul, Seraphim, being a spirit master with innate spirit power level 20, and having 2 powerful 10,000-year spirit abilities. That was powerful enough, right? The power of a 10,000-year spirit skill was enough to make even them shudder, but with Brother Lin Feng's current spirit power, how many times could he use a 10,000-year spirit skill? How many times could he launch them with full force? Even through attrition alone, they could drain his spirit power to the bottom, causing him to completely lose his ability to fight. Du Mingyu, on the podium, took out a pocket watch and checked the time. She spoke to the students. Students, prepare for the Spirit Master competition in 4 days. You can form your own teams. Class is dismissed. You're free to arrange your own time this afternoon. Student Lin Feng, Student Tian Ming, Student Qianji Yu Neihe, Student Qianji Yu Qingyan, follow me. I will take you to your lodging and arrange your dorms. Du Mingyu, who had reached the door, beckoned to Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng and the others came to Du Mingyu's side. Lin Feng said, Auntie Mingyu, shall we go? Du Mingyu nodded and led Lin Feng and the others away. On the way to the lodging, Du Mingyu looked at Lin Feng beside her and asked with a smile, Lin Feng, are you planning to participate in the Golden Class's Spirit Master competition? Actually, our Golden Class still has regulations. Hothead, does he really think that just because we've defeated a spirit ancestor before, we have no rivals in the Spirit Master Academy now? One spirit ancestor indeed can't do anything to us, but what if there are 2, 3, 4, or even an entire team of spirit ancestors? Juliana grumbled inwardly. It was true they possessed the strength to defeat a spirit ancestor, but not to the extent of completely disregarding them. There was still a chance of failure. She didn't know where a guy like Yan got his confidence from, thinking they could totally look down on spirit ancestors just because they won last year. Chapter 43, Dormitory Warden, Wang Zan. Du Mingyu nodded slightly, said nothing, and led Lin Feng and the others toward the 4-person dormitory building. Inside the 4-person dormitory building, the warden in the adjacent office saw someone entering through the window. At first, he was puzzled, wondering which mentor was personally bringing students to arrange dormitories, but upon seeing that it was Du Mingyu, the class teacher of the Golden Class, he hurriedly walked out of the office. The middle-aged dormitory warden, with a smile on his face, respectfully addressed Du Mingyu, Director Du, why have you come personally? Du Mingyu's expression was indifferent. She pointed at Lin Feng and the others and said to the warden, they are students from our Golden Class and would like to stay in a 4-person dormitory. Please arrange it for them, put them on the first floor, as it is more convenient. The warden looked at Lin Feng and the others behind Du Mingyu. Could these be children who had just awakened their spirit? Although puzzled, he did not ask further and said calmly, Director Du, please follow me. There are still a few 4-person rooms available on the first floor. Du Mingyu nodded and led Lin Feng and the others behind the warden. Walking through the corridor, the warden arrived at the door of a room, took out a key, opened it, and introduced. Although the 4-person room is not large, it is of medium standard. Whether it is bedding or daily necessities, everything is provided, completely free of charge, and ready for move-in. Du Mingyu nodded slightly, walked into the room, looked around at the environment, and said with a smile, although there is an unavoidable gap between the 4-person dormitory and the single or double rooms, it is a place to live after all. In terms of the environment, it is quite good. There is a walkway in the middle, beds on both sides, and 4 desks. The specifications are barely acceptable. After all, this 4-person room is the most ordinary type of dormitory. Compared to single or double rooms, the substantive difference is not large. They are all just places to live, it is just that there are differences in some aspects which have no impact on living. Moreover, because most of the students in the Spirit Master Academy come from commoner families, daily necessities and bedding are all provided free of charge. If they were to be charged, given the financial situation of commoner Spirit Master families, they would be completely unable to afford it. Therefore, the Spirit Master Academy has rules and regulations. Daily necessities and bedding, and other items used daily, are free. If you want to replace them after use, you can find the dormitory warden to change them, all free of charge, with no fees collected. Even ordinary students, if they voluntarily take on tasks like cleaning the streets, will receive a commission upon completion. The amount of commission received is enough to live without any problems in the Spirit Master Academy. It can be said that the Spirit Master Academy is a paradise for commoners. Various rules and regulations are basically beneficial to the development of commoner Spirit Masters. Du Mingyu turned her head, looked at Lin Feng and the others behind her, and asked, how is the 4-person dormitory? Are you satisfied? If you are not satisfied, you can change to a double room or a single room, that is possible. Satisfied, Lin Feng nodded and said. A room is, after all, just a place to live. As long as it is not the extremely poor kind that is unacceptable, he can accept it. Moreover, the 4-person room here is not bad, it is basically the same as the 4-person dormitory he lived in during his previous life when he was in college. As long as you have no objections, Du Mingyu looked at Lin Feng and the others and instructed, if you encounter any problems, you can ask this dormitory warden at that time. He is the one managing this dormitory building, do you understand? Also, tomorrow, do not sleep in and do not forget to attend the morning class. Although senior students can choose not to go, I still suggest you go because there is no end to learning, do you understand? Upon hearing this, Lin Feng and the others nodded obediently, like well-behaved children, completely unlike the way they had just suppressed the senior students in the class. Du Mingyu, don't worry, we will enter the class before the bell rings. We will not be late, Lin Feng said with a grin. Du Mingyu looked at Lin Feng suspiciously, then shifted her gaze to Tianming and the others. Tianming and the others nodded vigorously, showing their obedient side. I hope so. Also, in the dormitory building, do not cause trouble, do you understand? Otherwise, I will have a very big headache, understand? Du Mingyu instructed. These children, although not old in age, have shockingly high statuses. Moreover, she always felt that these children in front of her would not settle down. Just by looking at how they faced the senior students, she could tell that these children were not the type to behave. Du Mingyu, don't worry, Lin Feng promised. Du Mingyu, don't worry, Tianming, Qianji Yunehi, and Qianji Yu Qingyan said in unison. They would not actively seek trouble, but if anyone caused trouble for them, they would not be afraid. Of course, they would not say this out loud. After giving the instructions, Du Mingyu said a few words to the dormitory warden and left. After Du Mingyu left, the middle-aged dormitory warden said with a laugh, Lin Feng, Tianming, Qianji Yunehi, Qianji Yu Qingyan, right. What a group of cute little guys. Let me introduce myself. I am Wang Zan, the warden of Dormitory Building 1 at the Spirit Master Academy. My spirit is the Breaking Wind Blade, and I am a level 52 Spirit King. If you have any problems or encounter any difficulties in the future, you can tell me, and I will solve them for you. Hello, Uncle Wang Zan, Lin Feng and the others greeted politely. Although the other party looked a bit sleazy, it did not prevent them from greeting him politely. Upon hearing this, Wang Zan smiled and reached out to pat Lin Feng's head. He could tell that the backbone of these 4 children was this Lin Feng in front of him. To be able to enter the golden class at the age of 6, they either had an immense background or extremely high talent. It was either one or the other, but he would never have imagined that the other party possessed both. If you have any problems in the future, come find me. If students from other senior dormitories bully you, you can also come to me to uphold justice for you. After speaking, Wang Zan left and closed the door. Their dormitory faced the sun, so the sunlight could shine in well. Lin Feng looked at the 3 people in front of him and said, let's tidy up our beds, then practice spirit power. The gap between us and the senior students is still very large, let's try to surpass them in a short time. Finally, Lin Feng chose the bed on the left side of the door, Tianming chose the right, and Qianji Yunehi and Qianji Yu Qingyan chose the beds on the left and right sides near the window. Chapter 44 Supreme Pontiff Palace. At night, Lin Feng sat cross-legged on his bed, his brow furrowed as he watched Tianming and the others working hard on their meditation cultivation. He muttered, although I possess level 20 innate spirit power and my meditation cultivation speed far exceeds theirs, pure meditation cultivation is still somewhat slow. Is there really no method for faster cultivation? Meditation cultivation is the mainstream method for spirit masters on this continent. By absorbing external spirit power, they increase their own spirit power. This cultivation method provides a solid foundation, but the cultivation speed varies depending on the innate spirit power level. A low innate spirit power level means slow cultivation, while a high innate spirit power level means fast cultivation. Besides this method, there is a second way, absorbing the spirit power of others to strengthen one's own, thereby increasing one's spirit power level. However, this method is very specific and varies depending on the spirit. Some spirits can absorb the spirit power of others for their own use, and of course, some spirit bones can do the same. But this method harms others to benefit oneself, resulting in an unstable foundation that requires time to refine. A slight oversight could lead to even greater damage. Aside from these 2 methods, there seems to be no other cultivation method to improve current cultivation efficiency. Not even within the Spirit Hall. All spirit masters rely on the meditation cultivation method. Perhaps no one has ever thought about this problem or considered it enough to create an alternative cultivation method. Lin Feng muttered, if possible, I hope the system can give me a more efficient cultivation method next time to increase my cultivation speed. As it stands, by following the steps, my spirit power level can reach the spirit ancestor level in 6 years, but it definitely won't reach the spirit king level. Given the innate spirit power level, for someone with innate full spirit power and sufficient resources, being a spirit elder at 12 years old isn't too much to ask, right? People like Juliana and the others don't have innate full spirit power, yet they have the massive resources of the Spirit Hall, and they can all become spirit elder level spirit masters by 12. As the possessor of level 20 innate spirit power, with enough resources, being a spirit ancestor at 12 isn't too much to ask, right? I don't know if that's correct, but I feel like reaching Spirit King just by following the steps is a bit ridiculous. Moreover, as one gets older, the cultivation speed becomes faster and faster. Before the age of 30, one will gradually reach the peak of cultivation speed as they age. After 30, as age increases and the body gradually solidifies, the cultivation speed will gradually slow down. Once the golden period is missed, it might take a year, several years, or even a decade to increase a single spirit power level. One might even go an entire lifetime without any progress. This is why some spirit masters get stuck at the level 89 realm without an inch of progress. Age is the main issue. Just like the principal of the Spirit Master Academy, he has almost no possibility of progress. Of course, with an opportunity, one could also use external items to break through the shackles. Haven't you seen? The current gold crocodile Douluo is already a level 98 peak Douluo, but after more than a decade, his spirit power level has seen almost no growth. His age is a factor, and without an opportunity for a breakthrough, he will only remain stuck at that level. System has detected the host's resources. In the future, there will be a chance to obtain a spirit power cultivation method tilde. It is a cultivation method not inferior to the mysterious heaven skill and will greatly satisfy the host's wishes by increasing cultivation speed. Oh, insatiable host, praise the system's generosity. Praise the system. Greedy you are completely unsatisfied with the cultivation speed of innate spirit power level 20. Hey, facing the crazed system, Lin Feng smiled and said, there's nothing wrong with being faster. But I didn't expect you, dog system, to actually show up. What a surprise. This could be considered an unexpected pleasant surprise. He had only hoped for the chance, and now the system had told him clearly that there was indeed an opportunity. He just wondered what kind of cultivation method it would actually be. Better cultivate and increase my spirit power first. Lacking mana is a fatal flaw for me right now, Lin Feng said with a bitter smile. Furthermore, because of him, the cultivation enthusiasm of Tianming and the others had reached an unprecedented height. After eating, they just went at it once they returned to the dormitory, saying they had to keep up with his pace. Meanwhile, under the cover of night, Juliana had quietly left the Spirit Master Academy and arrived at the Supreme Pontiff Palace. Entering the Supreme Pontiff Palace, Juliana looked at the person sitting on the Supreme Pontiff's throne, cupped her hands, and said respectfully, teacher. Bibi Dong looked at Juliana and said with a beaming smile, Nana, have you come to see me for something? Juliana nodded slightly and said, it's about Lin Feng. Oh, Bibi Dong's expression remained calm as she said, it seems you've already met him, Nana. I just didn't expect it to be this fast. He is our Spirit Hall's holy son, and his talent is also very good. A seraphim with level 20 innate spirit power, his future is inestimable. Matters regarding the divinity were only known to the Hall of Worship and a few others, the rest were unaware, including Bibi Dong. Yes, his talent is very good, and he even has two 10,000-year spirit rings. Teacher, I believe I can interact with them at the academy. This could ease the relationship between our Supreme Pontiff Palace and the Hall of Worship. Two 10,000-year spirit rings. Bibi Dong's brow furrowed, then she seemed to think of something and said indifferently, Lin Feng was originally the son of two of our Spirit Hall's cardinals and is now Qian Dalu's god-grandson. As for Tian Ming, Qian Ji Yu Neihe, and Qian Ji Yu Qinyan, they are the biological grandchildren of the Golden Crocodile, Qian Jun, and subduing demon enshrinees. Their Hall of Worship is truly blessed. Bibi Dong couldn't help but sigh with emotion. She was very well informed about the identities of Lin Feng and the others. Teacher, do you think I'm doing the right thing? Juliana asked. Right or wrong doesn't matter, it depends on what you think, Bibi Dong said with a smile. She didn't care about easing the relationship between the Supreme Pontiff Palace and the Hall of Worship. However, she doted on Juliana very much. No matter what Juliana wanted to do, she would choose to support her. Although the two of them appeared to have a master-disciple relationship, she was actually raising her as her own goddaughter. Hearing this, Juliana nodded slightly. Fortunately, her teacher wasn't angry because she had acted on her own initiative. Bibi Dong waved her hand and said, go on, do what you want to do. The resentment between the Supreme Pontiff Palace and the Hall of Worship has indeed long been deep-seated. I understand, teacher. After saying that, Juliana turned and left the Supreme Pontiff Palace. After Juliana left, Bibi Dong muttered, two 10,000-year spirit rings. Could it be because of him? Hey, old geezer, you can even give away your own biological granddaughter's things to someone else. You really are a bit laughable. Chapter 45, Opening of the Golden Class Soul Master Competition. 4 days passed quietly. In these short 4 days, the spirit power levels of Lin Feng and the others did not see any substantial improvement. However, after 4 days of preparation, the Golden Class Soul Master Competition would officially open today. In the Golden Class, including the newly arrived Lin Feng and the others, there were a total of 56 Spirit Master students who could form 8 teams. They would compete in the Spirit Master competition at the Spirit Master Academy's large-scale Douluo Arena, ultimately deciding the champion of this Golden Class Soul Master competition. Among these 8 Spirit Master teams, the most controversial and eye-catching one was the Spirit Hall team. Its members included the 3 from the Golden Generation, Spirit Elder Juliana, Spirit Elder Xiaoyu, and Spirit Elder Yan, along with 4 new students, Spirit Grandmaster Lin Feng, Spirit Master Tianming, Spirit Master Qian Ji Yu Neihe, and Spirit Master Qian Ji Yu Qinyan. All the senior students believed that this Golden Class Soul Master competition was too cruel. The final champion would inevitably belong to the Spirit Hall team. There was no helping it, this left them with no way out. The 3 from the Golden Generation were already too powerful, and now with the addition of Lin Feng, who possessed two 10,000-year spirit rings, it was easy to imagine that they had absolutely no chance of winning. Although the championship of the Golden Class Soul Master competition was out of their reach, they still had the strength to fight for second and third place. At this moment, in the Golden Class, Director Du Mingyu stood on the podium, scanning all the students, and said passionately, today is our Golden Class Soul Master competition, which can be described as grand and attracting everyone's attention. All the students of the Spirit Master Academy, all the staff, all the instructors, as well as the Dean and the Supreme Pontiff will all come to watch our Golden Class Soul Master competition. Do you have the confidence to show your best side? Yesterday, the Dean personally informed her, and she received accurate news that for this Golden Class Soul Master competition, the busy Supreme Pontiff would make time to come to the Spirit Master Academy to witness the Golden Class competition. This was the honor of their Golden Class, and also the glory of the Spirit Master Academy. Students, tell me loudly, do you have confidence? Director Du Mingyu asked loudly. Instructor, we have the confidence to show our best side. All the students said in unison, their emotions high. Lin Feng was also among them, just not shouting as forcefully as the other students. Watching the scene before him, he couldn't help but laugh and cry. In an instant, it felt as if he had returned to the happy times of his college days. Before the opening of the sports meet, their teacher would say exactly the same thing, do you have confidence? You have to say yes, even if you don't. Now, all students, follow me out of the classroom in an orderly fashion and head to the large-scale Douluo Arena. Director Du Mingyu said. After speaking, she left the classroom directly. All the students stood up, followed behind her, and left the classroom in an orderly manner. Just thinking about it makes me excited. We can engage in Douluo competition with this group of senior students. It's just a pity that with our current spirit power levels, we can't manage to crush them. Tianming clenched his fists and said with some regret. Hearing this, Lin Feng smiled and said, "Don't worry, the Spirit Masters World competition for the Golden Class happens every 2 years, we will have plenty of opportunities in the future." He had to admit that the quality of the senior students in the Golden Class was indeed very high and their strength was undeniable. Moreover, they were not old, basically looking like teenagers. All of them were Spirit Grandmasters, and there were even several Spirit Elders. All the students were the top talents within the Spirit Master Academy. These people would all be the pillars of Spirit Hall in the future, and in the future, they would all be his people. ... Looking at the magnificent Douluo arena before him, Lin Feng couldn't help but exclaim, "Is this a large-scale Douluo arena in the Spirit Master Academy? It really is huge, accessible from all directions, and extremely magnificent. It truly lives up to the word, large." In the Spirit Master Academy, there were over a dozen medium and small-sized Douluo arenas, but there was only one large-scale Douluo arena. This was the largest Douluo arena in the Spirit Master Academy, built at the northernmost position of the Spirit Master Academy, covering an area of about 6,000 square meters. It could accommodate thousands of students watching at the same time. Moreover, this kind of large-scale Douluo arena was not open during normal times. It would only be open for a period of time during the Golden Class Soul Master competition and the Academy Spirit Master competition. That goes without saying, a large-scale Douluo arena is not something an ordinary academy can possess. First of all, they don't have a large number of students to hold a large-scale Spirit Master competition, and they also lack the strength to build a large-scale Douluo arena. Only a few academies can possess a large-scale Douluo arena, and as it happens, our Spirit Master Academy is one of them. Hu Liana smiled and explained. To build a large-scale Douluo arena, one must first have enough students, otherwise, building it and not using it would be a waste, wouldn't it? Secondly, one must have sufficient financial resources. Any academy that can possess a large-scale Douluo arena undoubtedly demonstrates its power. Lin Feng nodded slightly. This kind of large-scale Douluo arena was not something every academy could afford. Perhaps only the Heaven Do Imperial Academy of the Heaven Do Empire, the Star Luo Imperial Academy of the Star Luo Empire, and the Spirit Master Academy of the Spirit Hall could afford it. With sufficient student numbers and sufficient financial resources, it seemed only these 3 academies possessed them. Director Du Mingyu led all the students to the large-scale Douluo arena. Before they even walked into the main entrance, they could already hear deafening applause, which was incessant. "I am the host of this Golden Class Soul Master competition, host. About to walk through the main entrance and enter the Douluo arena are our Spirit Master Academy's Golden Class teacher, Director Du, and the students of the Golden Class. Let us welcome their arrival with warm applause." Above the Douluo arena, a girl with a graceful figure had a pair of white wings, flying in the sky, holding a microphone, and said excitedly. When Director Du Mingyu led all the students of the Golden Class into the arena, the surrounding audience's applause became even more intense. Facing the surrounding scene, the experienced senior students began to enjoy the feeling of being the center of attention and waved to the surrounding students. Tianming, who was beside Lin Feng, looked at the dense crowd of heads before him and said in shock, "Big brother Lin Feng, do we have so many students in our Spirit Master Academy?" "Of course, how can numbers have as much visual impact as seeing it?" Lin Feng said with a smile. Chapter 46, Spirit Hall, Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong. The Golden Class, that is the paradise of geniuses. Unfortunately, the Golden Class has strict age requirements and strict talent requirements. It's a pity that I don't meet the standards, so I can only watch them from afar in the spectator stands, filled with envy. The world is unpredictable. This year I was just a little bit off, just a tiny bit, and I would have passed the assessment to enter the Golden Class, becoming one of them, the center of attention. The students of the Golden Class are all students who have passed layers of screening and assessment. I don't know what kind of shock they will bring us this year. Last time, the Golden Generation was able to rival Spirit Ancestor powerhouses. In the student spectator stands, some were lamenting the strength of the Golden Class students, while others were regretting that they were not students in the Golden Class. But regardless of whether they were senior students or junior students, they all envied and looked up to the students in the Golden Class. The students who can enter the Golden Class are all gifted students. Only those students who have truly participated in the assessment for entering the Golden Class know clearly that the difficulty of entering the Golden Class is as hard as ascending to the heavens. Spirit Master Academy has thousands of students, but the Golden Class only has a few dozen. Each of them is an extremely powerful existence and possesses extraordinary talent. Most importantly, students who enter the Golden Class far exceed the students of ordinary classes in terms of resources. That's not right. Why are there 4 unfamiliar faces inside? And judging by their age, they are probably only 6 years old. These must be the new students this year. Why can 6-year-old students enter the Golden Class, while I can't? What else could it be for? It's because their talent is sufficient. If their talent is sufficient, they can enter the Golden Class directly. I don't see a problem with that. Do you suspect they got in through the back door? How is that possible? Compared to the senior students of the Golden Class, students in ordinary classes were more willing to accept Lin Feng and the others being in the Golden Class. After all, they didn't believe that the Golden Class could be accessed through the back door. Even if there was a back door, their own talent would have to be extremely special, otherwise, wouldn't that be smashing their own signboard? If someone with a background could enter the Golden Class just like that, then the establishment of the Golden Class would lose its original meaning. It is common knowledge that only gifted students can enter the Golden Class. Even the Golden Generation of that year entered the Golden Class early, but their own talent was indisputable. And last year, they even managed to rival Spirit Ancestor level powerhouses. Du Mingyu led all the students to the rest area and said to everyone, "This is our rest area. In a while, our dean and all the instructors will enter the venue. Once the Supreme Pontiff enters, the competition will begin." All the students sat obediently in the rest area, with each team gathered together, forming 8 small groups. Yan, sitting on a soft chair with his hands behind his head, leaning against the wall, asked Juliana beside him with a chuckle, "Nana, do you think there will be any senior students from ordinary classes coming to challenge us this year?" Hearing this, Juliana narrowed her eyes slightly and sighed. "There might be, but as long as it's not a team with more than 2 Spirit Ancestors, we can handle it easily. If it's more, it will be a bit difficult to fight. This rule is really shameless. The strongest Spirit Master in our Golden Class is only a Spirit Elder. But Spirit Masters from ordinary grades can actually form teams with Spirit Ancestors to challenge us. If we were also Spirit Ancestors, would they still dare to come and challenge us? This is the Academy's rule, and the rule is just that rigid. As long as the age requirement is met, a Spirit Ancestor can challenge the champion team of the Golden Class. If an ordinary class team can win, then the class teacher of the Golden Class will need to be replaced. There is pressure and there is motivation. Whenever any instructor serves as the class teacher of the Golden Class, while enjoying this honor, they must also bear this pressure. To maintain the honor, they need to better teach the students of the Golden Class and improve the overall strength of the Golden Class. Xiaoyu said with a smile, "Although we need to be prepared for danger in times of peace, we shouldn't worry too much. Not to mention that the three of us are now Spirit Elder level Spirit Masters, there's also Brother Lin Feng and the others. Although Tianming and the other two are currently only Spirit Masters, Brother Lin Feng possesses two 10,000-year Spirit Rings. When unleashing his full power, he can put tremendous pressure on a Spirit Ancestor. Brother Lin Feng is now their secret weapon. If a senior class really manages to scrape together 3 Spirit Ancestors, or even 4 Spirit Ancestors, Brother Lin Feng will be the ultimate weapon. Unleashing his 10,000-year Spirit skill at full power, although it consumes a huge amount of Spirit power, its power far exceeds that 100-year Spirit abilities and even 1,000-year Spirit abilities. As long as they eliminate 1 or 2 Spirit Ancestors, their Spirit Hall team will be the ones laughing at the end, winning the final victory. Du Mingyu leaned back on the soft chair, closing her eyes to rest, the corners of her mouth curling up slightly. Spirit Ancestors who meet the age requirements. If there really is a senior class that can scrape together 4 Spirit Ancestors to challenge the Spirit Hall team, it would indeed be a bit troublesome, but the probability of this is very small. However, she believed in the Spirit Hall team. Even if they encountered a team composed of 3 or 4 Spirit Ancestors, they would be able to win. She would maintain this honor for a while longer. The spectator stands were buzzing with discussion, and the noise was deafening. Just then, the host, Ming, instantly became serious. Holding the microphone, he said loudly, "Coming up next are all the instructors of our Spirit Master Academy, as well as the head of the Senior Instructor Department, the head of the Junior Instructor Department, and the Dean of our Spirit Master Academy. Let us welcome them with warm applause." As soon as the host, Ming, finished speaking, the applause throughout the venue was deafening. A moment later, the dean, the 2 department heads, and all the instructors walked into the Spirit Master arena. Their steps were steady as they greeted the enthusiastic students around them. 2 department heads. Lin Feng looked at the procession walking past them and asked Juliana, "Sister Nana, are these 2 great department heads also Spirit Douluos?" It was no wonder he asked this question. In reality, these 2 department heads both had graying temples, white hair, and aged complexions. They were truly the oldest of the old. Compared to them, Qian Daoliu looked just like a child. Juliana was slightly stunned, then smiled and said, "Our dean is a Spirit Douluo level powerhouse, and the 2 department heads are the same. Even some of the instructors are Spirit Douluo level powerhouses, but most of them, due to their age, are unfortunately unlikely to break through to title Douluo. Among them, some are platinum bishops or cardinals of our Spirit Hall. Knowing that they are too old and have no hope of becoming title Douluos, they stepped down and came to the Spirit Master Academy to take up positions teaching the future of our Spirit Hall. Spirit Hall possesses half of the Spirit Douluos on the continent, and they hold important positions here. The saying that in Spirit Hall, if you throw a brick, you could hit a group of Spirit Douluos, that saying is certainly not groundless." The Spirit Master Academy Dean, the 2 department heads, and all the instructors were all seated, and in this brief moment, the host, Ming's expression became serious again. He said with some excitement, and even extreme nervousness, "The last to appear are our Spirit Hall's Supreme Pontiff, as well as our Spirit Hall's Elder Ju and Elder Gui. Let us rise and welcome the Supreme Pontiff and the 2 elders with warm applause." Ming's voice was resonant and powerful, echoing in every direction of the Spirit Master arena. In an instant, the previously noisy Spirit Master arena fell completely silent. All the students, as well as the dean, department heads, and instructors, all stood up. Their gazes were locked on the position of the main entrance. It was so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. One could even hear the sound of breathing. Chapter 47. Was it you who snatched my daughter's inheritance? As time passed, at this very moment, in the Spirit Master arena, everyone in the audience stands rose. It was terrifyingly quiet as everyone held their breath, staring at the empty main gate, waiting for their Supreme Pontiff to arrive. Tap tilde, tap tilde, tap tilde, tap tilde. The crisp and melodious sound of footsteps, accompanied by the thud of a scepter hitting the ground, echoed in everyone's ears. Everyone became fully alert, preparing to welcome Her Holiness the Supreme Pontiff. Then, walking out of the main gate and appearing before everyone was Her Holiness the Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong, dressed in luxurious papal robes, wearing the papal crown, and holding the papal scepter. As she stepped out of the main gate, the entire venue erupted in excitement, with thunderous applause that was exceptionally loud and unceasing. "Welcome, Your Holiness the Supreme Pontiff. Welcome, Your Holiness the Supreme Pontiff. Welcome, Your Holiness the Supreme Pontiff." In the audience, all the students spoke in unison. At this moment, seeing Her Holiness the Supreme Pontiff, they were excited and fanatical. Her Holiness was extremely busy, so her presence here to watch the competition was their greatest honor. Bibi Dong looked kind, with a faint smile on her face as she walked on the red carpet. From time to time, she would wave to the students in the audience. Elder Ju and Elder Gui followed behind her, their hands behind their backs and their expressions extremely indifferent. "Is this, Her Holiness the Supreme Pontiff?" The words, "Welcome, Your Holiness the Supreme Pontiff," echoed in Lin Feng's ears. He watched the excited students in the fanatical gazes of worship, respect, admiration, and reverence from the surrounding senior students of the Golden Class, feeling somewhat moved in his heart. "Big brother Lin Feng, it's just seeing the Supreme Pontiff. Is all this necessary?" Honestly, Tianming said doubtfully. Qianji Yunei nodded slightly, and Qianji Yuqingyan also expressed confusion. Why were they so crazed and worshipful upon seeing the Supreme Pontiff? Hearing this, Lin Feng frowned slightly. Noticing several strange looks from around them, he corrected Tianming with a serious expression. "Tianming, do not be rude. That is the Supreme Pontiff of our Spirit Hall. Her Holiness's achievements are unprecedented and will never be surpassed. Without Her Holiness, do you think all these Spirit Masters from commoner families could really afford to attend a Spirit Master Academy? Our Spirit Hall is powerful because of Her Holiness." They indeed didn't feel much for the Supreme Pontiff, but this group of students before them were basically all Spirit Masters from commoner families. If not for the existence of Spirit Hall, some of them might not even have been able to afford the fees for a Spirit Master Academy. Being able to come to the Spirit Master Academy and enjoy its training, they naturally believed that this was brought about by Her Holiness. It didn't matter who the Supreme Pontiff was, what mattered was that the Supreme Pontiff held the people's hearts. If the 4 of them were disrespectful to the Supreme Pontiff at this time, they would be considered heretics. It wasn't a specific Supreme Pontiff who was great, but the successive generations of Supreme Pontiffs. Moreover, over these years, regardless of what Bibi Dong might become in the future, the current Bibi Dong managed Spirit Hall in an orderly fashion. Otherwise, even if Qian Daoliu could overcome all objections to place Bibi Dong on the throne of the Supreme Pontiff, the other high-ranking officials of Spirit Hall would not have obeyed her. Just by looking at Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo, these 2 ranked 95 titled Douluos, the fact that they were willing to sincerely risk their lives for Bibi Dong explained everything. When Bibi Dong reached the Golden Class rest area, she stopped and looked toward Juliana, then her gaze locked onto Lin Feng, who was beside Juliana. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly as she said to Elder Ju and Elder Gui behind her, "Elder Ju, Elder Gui, Nana is over there. Let's go take a look." After saying that, she walked toward the Golden Class rest area. The students in the rest area could not hide their joy when they saw the Supreme Pontiff approaching them. When Lin Feng saw Bibi Dong walking toward them, his hair stood on end. He thought to himself, why do I feel like she's coming for me? No, that can't be. It's probably because of Juliana. After all, Juliana is her disciple. Juliana stood up and went to Bibi Dong's side, her face beaming with joy as she said with a smile, Teacher Tilda. Bibi Dong gently stroked Nana's head and said with a smile, Nana, aren't you going to introduce your new teammates to me? Hearing this, Juliana understood instantly. She pulled Lin Feng, Tian Ming, and the others to her side and began to introduce them. Teacher, this is Lin Feng, Tian Ming, Qianji Yu Nehi, and Qianji Yu Qinyan. They are all very excellent teammates. Although they can't fully shine right now, I believe that in a few years, they will be the main force within our Spirit Hall team. Oh Tilda, they are a group of fine little fellows, the future pillars of our Spirit Hall. Bibi Dong's gaze swept over Lin Feng and the others as she listened to Juliana's introduction. As for Lin Feng, the moment he felt Bibi Dong's gaze, he felt as if he were being locked onto by something extremely venomous. Just standing there, he felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, with something seemingly crawling all over him. Tianming, Nehi, and Qinyan also had this feeling, but it was nothing compared to what Lin Feng was experiencing. Lin Feng, is it? So you are Lin Feng, Bibi Dong said with a smile as she approached Lin Feng. Under immense pressure, Lin Feng hung his head like a child who had done something wrong in front of a parent. She's clearly coming for me. This shouldn't be happening. Could it be because of what happened a while ago? Lin Feng screamed in his heart. Looking at the nervous Lin Feng, Bibi Dong gently stroked his head with her soft hand and said softly, Little fellow, why are you afraid to look at me? Are you afraid of me? Bibi Dong's voice echoed in Lin Feng's ears. Yes, he was afraid of her, though he didn't even know why. It seemed that the moment he saw her, he felt an immense pressure that made it hard for him to breathe. His hair stood on end, and he felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. Brother Lin Feng, what's wrong? Teacher is very gentle, don't be so nervous, Juliana said with a smile as she looked at the nervous Lin Feng. Hearing this, Lin Feng slowly raised his head, and what met his eyes was her pair of crimson pupils. Little fellow, was it you who snatched my daughter's inheritance? That old thing sure is generous. He could give the position of Supreme Pontiff to an enemy like me, and he could give a divinity inheritance to an outsider like you. How truly laughable. Boom! Tilda Lin Feng felt as if his mind was about to explode. In an instant, many things clicked into place. No wonder he felt an inexplicable pressure when he saw Bibi Dong. So that was the real reason. It was because she felt that he had stolen her daughter's inheritance. He did not know where she obtained the information, but shortly after he awakened his spirit, he had already obtained two 10,000-year spirit rings. At his age, even with innate spirit power level 20, absorbing a 10,000-year spirit ring was impossible unless it was due to a divinity. However, divinities were not a dime a dozen. Coincidentally, their spirit hall possessed a divinity's inheritance. And as for him, his six-winged angel martial soul and innate spirit power level 20 were sufficient to initiate the angel god's trial. Therefore, she deduced that he had stolen the inheritance originally belonging to Tian Renshui, which was why he had obtained those two 10,000-year spirit rings. Brother Lin Feng, I was right, wasn't I? My teacher, although she is the noble Supreme Pontiff, is actually very gentle, isn't she? Juliana's voice suddenly appeared in Lin Feng's ear. Immediately after, Lin Feng snapped back to reality, but Bibi Dong had already left the golden class resting area and was heading towards the special spectator seats. Yes, the Supreme Pontiff is indeed quite gentle. Sister Nana, if you have time in the future, you could write a book titled, My Teacher is the Supreme Pontiff but she is excessively gentle. How about that? Lin Feng felt awkward, gentle, all he could feel was boundless pressure. But this was all groundless, it was all a misunderstanding. Heaven is his witness, he really never thought about stealing Tian Renshui's inheritance. At the same time, because of this incident, he also realized that the Hall of Worship had not told Bibi Dong about him possessing a divinity's inheritance. Juliana frowned slightly. Why did she feel that Brother Lin Feng was a bit strange right now? Brother Lin Feng, when the Supreme Pontiff arrived, did you feel immense pressure? Was it because she heard what I said and came to take revenge on me? Tianming said with heart palpitations. That feeling was very uncomfortable, like being constipated. He hadn't expected that because of him, Tianming and the others would actually be implicated. This was something he hadn't foreseen. Maybe, but in the future, you must be cautious in your words and actions. Don't say everything that comes to mind, some things cannot be said, understand? Tianming nodded slightly, indicating that he would never speak recklessly again. Headmaster, what is the background of that child? The Supreme Pontiff actually went to see him in person. The lower grade department head asked, looking at Wu Pengfei with his turbid eyes. A spirit Douluo's eyesight was extremely sharp. Naturally, the events in the golden class resting area could not escape his eyes. Of course, he couldn't see the details, but from his perspective, it was the Supreme Pontiff personally going to see a strange student. At the same time, the higher grade department head also cast a look of confusion, waiting for Wu Pengfei to enlighten them. Wu Pengfei stroked his beard and said with a chuckle, You too, I know the doubts in your hearts. This child's background is quite extraordinary. His spirit is the six-winged angel martial soul, and his innate spirit power level is even level 20. Do you two know what this means? Upon hearing this, the lower grade department head said in shock, What? Six-winged angel martial soul, the same spirit as the high priest. Could it be? However, the higher grade department head said in surprise, But isn't our Supreme Pontiff at odds with the high priest and the others? That shouldn't be. Could there be some reason? These old fellows, had heard something about what happened back then, but they didn't know the specifics. They only knew that the Supreme Pontiff and the Hall of Worship were at odds and could not reconcile. His Tilda, hearing this, Wu Pengfei gasped, his expression turning serious instantly. He said, Do not say things that are detrimental to unity in the future, understand? Also, the Supreme Pontiff is coming over soon, everyone must be on high alert and make no mistakes. After Wu Pengfei finished speaking, everyone fell silent. When Bibi Dong arrived, Wu Pengfei and the two department heads simultaneously bowed to Bibi Dong and said respectfully in unison, We pay our respects to the Supreme Pontiff. Even with your busy schedule, the Supreme Pontiff coming to watch our Spirit Master Academy's Spirit Master competition is truly a blessing for our Spirit Master Academy. Bibi Dong nodded slightly and went to her seat. The Spirit Master arena quieted down once again. Her gaze swept over the thousands of students around her, and she said calmly, You are all the future of our Spirit Hall. Seeing you thrive makes me very happy. Spirit Hall is my Spirit Hall, but it is also your Spirit Hall. However, the future ultimately belongs to you. And the students of the Spirit Master Academy's Golden Class are the future pillars of our Spirit Hall. Those who can enter the Golden Class are all gifted students. Today, I shall witness your growth over the past year. The Golden Class Soul Master competition officially begins. After Bibi Dong finished speaking, she sat in her soft chair. The surrounding applause was like thunder. When the applause ended, the host, Mingming, appeared before the crowd again. Holding a microphone, she smiled and said, Next, the Golden Class Soul Master competition officially begins. Since the Spirit Hall team is the champion of the previous Golden Class Soul Master competition, they receive a bye for the entire tournament and advance directly to the finals. Brother Lin Feng, I didn't expect that we would advance directly to the finals. Tianming said with a smile. Originally, he had planned to show off when they drew the Spirit Hall team, but now there was no chance. Advance directly to the finals. That is also fine, Qianji Yuqingyan said. We don't understand the rules of the Spirit Master competition. Receiving a bye for the whole tournament and advancing directly to the finals is very advantageous for us. Lin Feng said calmly. Just as the four of them were discussing, Juliana leaned in close to Lin Feng and said, Brother Lin Feng, when the finals come, none of you should go on stage, understand? Why is that? Lin Feng asked. After we determine the champion in the finals, there might be teams formed by other higher grade students coming to challenge us. Lin Feng, you are our Spirit Hall team's secret weapon. As for Tianming and the other two, it makes no difference whether they go on stage or not. Juliana explained. Regardless, even if it were just the three of them, defeating the team in the final round would be very easy. But if, after becoming champions, teams formed by other higher grade classes came to challenge them, Lin Feng's role would become apparent. Chapter 49, Finishing Move, Trump Card. Why is that? Lin Feng asked with some confusion. Is there a reason for doing this? Brother Lin Feng, didn't the instructor say so? After we determine the champion in the finals, there might be other teams formed from ordinary senior classes that come to challenge us. If there aren't any, that's naturally for the best, but if there are, Brother Lin Feng, you are our trump card and finishing move. Juliana explained patiently. Last year, in the previous session, after their Spirit Hall team had won the championship, what was the result? A team of Spirit Masters formed from ordinary senior students challenged them directly. Among those team members, there was even a Spirit Master at the Spirit Ancestor level, though in the end, their Spirit Hall team still emerged victorious. However, the fear was that this year, there would be ordinary senior Spirit Master teams challenging them, and the number of Spirit Ancestors might exceed 2, or even 3, reaching 4. They wouldn't be able to handle that. By then, even though the three of them were all Spirit Elders, and she and her brother had a rare martial soul fusion skill, it would be impossible to defeat 3 or even 4 Spirit Ancestors. But Lin Feng was different. He possessed 2 10,000-year Spirit Rings for his Spirit abilities, even though using them consumed a great deal of Spirit power. But if used well, he would be their finishing move, so keeping Lin Feng's information confidential was the priority. If an ordinary senior Spirit Master team challenges us and wins, and we lose, we will lose a year's worth of extra resources. At the same time, our class teacher, Director Du, will also lose her position as class teacher. So, there's nothing wrong with being cautious, Juliana said with a smile. If an ordinary senior class really was crazy enough to put together 3 or 4 Spirit Ancestors, with the power of Lin Feng's 10,000-year Spirit Ring, he could exploit the information gap and take down 1 or 2 of them without a problem. Lin Feng instantly understood the complications involved. Facing a Spirit Ancestor, he indeed had the power to defeat them. Setting aside Holy Impact, with Holy Light Amplification at full power, defeating a Spirit Ancestor was no problem at all. If he switched to his Dark Angel form, it would be even easier. His current only shortcoming was that his spirit power was too low to keep up with the consumption of his spirit ability, he was simply short on mana. However, this lack of mana wouldn't last for too long. Once he became a Spirit Elder or a Spirit Ancestor, it would be greatly alleviated. I see, Lin Feng said with a smile. Sister Nana, don't worry. If a Spirit Ancestor really lacks martial ethics, I think that with my full strength first spirit skill, defeating them won't be a problem. You guys can rest easy. Brother Lin Feng is so good. Juliana pinched Lin Feng's face and said with a smile. Lin Feng was somewhat speechless. She really was treating him like a baby. Nana, don't worry too much. Yan leaned against the wall and spoke. Do you really think Spirit Ancestors are as common as cabbages in our Spirit Master Academy? Moreover, they have to be Spirit Ancestors who meet the age requirements. In my view, even if someone comes to challenge our team, it'll be 1 or 2 Spirit Ancestors at most. That won't pose any threat to us, so don't worry. Yan, if you don't know how to speak properly, can you just shut up? Juliana frowned at Yan. Why are you making such sarcastic remarks here? What if a problem really occurs? There's nothing wrong with being cautious. Don't think that we have no rivals in the Spirit Master Academy, okay? Hearing that Juliana's tone was off, Yan quickly apologized, saying, Nana, I was wrong to say that. Please don't be angry. HMPH, Juliana turned her head away and crossed her arms, ignoring him. Seeing that Juliana really wasn't paying attention to him anymore, Yan went to Xiaoyu to complain. Big brother Xiaoyu, why is it that every time I speak, I end up making Nana angry? Why is that, big brother Xiaoyu? Xiaoyu was also a bit confused as to why Yan managed to step on a minefield every time he spoke, making his sister angry. Perhaps Yan's intentions were good, but the way he expressed them was quite thought-provoking. Every time he said he would change next time, it was always something different. Next up to take the stage is the Golden Class's runner-up team. Runner-up team, that's right, it's the runner-up team, and their opponents, the Wild Wolf team. The host, looked at the data in his hand. He was a bit dazed when he read the words, runner-up team. He had thought it was really last year's runner-up team, but it turned out the team was simply named the runner-up team, rather than being the runner-up of the previous session. This runner-up team was an oddity among oddities. Their actual ranking in the previous session was at the very bottom. Is this the runner-up team from the previous session? No way, these guys are all old acquaintances. In the last Spirit Master competition, they were the team ranked dead last. Their original team name was the Sherwin team, and now they've changed their name. Are they trying to compete for the runner-up spot? Upon hearing the host read out, runner-up team, and seeing the familiar team walk out from the Golden Class resting area, some people realized who they were. However, they didn't mock them or anything, even though they were the bottom-ranked team in the previous Golden Class Soul Master competition. But their talent was above everyone present, and their strength far exceeded that of most people. No one was qualified to mock them. They only thought that the team might have practiced hard during the year and changed their name to compete for the runner-up spot. When the two teams arrived at the Douluo Arena, before the host could even say the words, the match officially begins, both teams had already released their spirits and were fighting each other. It was a case of enemies meeting and seeing red. In the previous Golden Class Soul Master competition, the runner-up team was defeated by the Wild Wolf team. But ironically, the Wild Wolf team could only beat the runner-up team. When the other teams played in the losers bracket, the Wild Wolf team couldn't win a single match and ended up taking the second to last place. In the resting area of the Golden Class, the other senior students watched the two teams clash with great interest. Tianming and Qianji Yunei's eyes were even glowing, as if they wanted to take the field themselves. As for Qianji Yuqingyan, she still hadn't changed much. She was quite shy and didn't like to talk much, but her eyes never moved from the action. Sister Nana, since we only have 8 teams, at this speed, won't the champion be decided by the afternoon? Lin Feng asked. Afternoon, at this speed, we'll decide the champion by noon, Juliana explained patiently. Then, we'll see if any teams formed from ordinary senior classes come to challenge us. If not, we'll hold the losers bracket in the afternoon to determine the final rankings. If there are challengers, the losers bracket will be delayed until tomorrow, and we'll fight the challenging team first. As a senior student, she was very familiar with the process of the Golden Class Spirit Master competition. Chapter 50, The Appearance of the Spirit Fusion Skill, Ghostly Phantoms. The sun hung high in the center of the sky. The Golden Class Spirit Master competition was gradually drawing to a close, finally reaching the finals. The two teams that had made it to the finals were the Spirit Hall team, which had entered the finals directly, and the Storm team, which had defeated all opponents to advance. However, the members of the Storm team were clearly not in their best state. They had no confidence regarding the upcoming match against the Spirit Hall team. They, as students of the Golden Class, were the most aware of the strength of the Spirit Hall team. The moment of excitement and inspiration has finally arrived. Coming up next are the champions from the previous session who advanced directly to the finals, the Spirit Hall team, as well as the third place team from the previous session, the Storm team. I invite all members of both teams to come to the stage immediately. The host, Mingming, said excitedly while holding the microphone. In the Golden Class resting area, the Storm team was very happy about achieving the runner-up position. As long as they secured their place in the Resurrection tournament, it would be fine. However, when they saw the members of the Spirit Hall team, they could not help but sigh. They had a very clear self-awareness regarding their own strength. Wanting to defeat the Spirit Hall team was an impossible task. Although their team had one Spirit Elder, it was merely drinking poison to quench thirst. In contrast, look at the Spirit Hall team. They had 3 Spirit Elders, and as long as Juliana and Xiaoyu used their martial soul fusion skill, they would lose very thoroughly. Brother Lin Feng, watch carefully and learn, you know. The real Spirit Master competition is about to begin, Juliana said with a smile, pinching Lin Feng's tender cheeks. She felt no pressure regarding the upcoming competition. Let's go, Nana, let's finish this quickly and see if anyone from the regular senior classes comes to challenge us. Xiaoyu said, waving at Juliana. Juliana went to the side of Xiaoyu and Yan. The three of them walked towards the Douluo Arena. The Douluo Arena was very large and had good visibility. Opposite them were the 7 members of the Storm team. After resting and adjusting, the state of the Storm team members, while perhaps not fully recovered, was basically close to it. What does it mean that the Spirit Hall team only sent 3 members to the field? Does the captain of the Spirit Hall team think that just the 3 of them can defeat the current Storm team? Isn't this a bit too exaggerated? Exaggerated. Did your home just get connected to the road? During the last session, the Spirit Hall team could even fight Spirit Ancestors. After a year, their strength might have increased. Moreover, with that eerie martial soul fusion skill, let alone 1 Spirit Elder and 6 Spirit Grandmasters, I think they could even fight 7 Spirit Elders. Except for the freshmen who arrived this year, even though the Spirit Hall team only sent Juliana and the other 2 to the field, everyone believed that the final winner would still belong to the Spirit Hall team. After all, during the last session, the battle record displayed by Spirit Hall was too dazzling and their strength too formidable. They had beaten Spirit Ancestors until they wailed, let alone facing Spirit Elders. Yan was a bit lazy and seemed not to take the group of people from the Storm team in front of him seriously. He asked Xiaoyu and Juliana, Big Brother Xiaoyu, and Nana, do you still need me to make a move? Is it necessary for me to act? No need, your efficiency is simply too slow. It's better if my brother and I handle it. You just stay here and watch quietly. We will resolve them as soon as possible and win the final championship. Juliana said in a deep voice. How could Yan's efficiency be as fast as their martial soul fusion skill? Once the Spirit Fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms appeared, it would only take a moment for this group from the Storm team to lose their ability to fight, and they would win this match. The host, Mingming, had white wings behind him flapping, and he was flying above the Douluo Arena. Both teams are in place, and the Spirit Hall team has only sent out 3 members. It seems they are very confident about this match. So, the Spirit Master competition officially begins. As the words, the Spirit Master competition officially begins, fell, Xiaoyu and Juliana rushed out instantly. Halfway there, they had already completed their martial soul fusion skill, transforming into the Ghostly Phantoms, and charged towards the members of the Storm team. It's the Ghostly Phantoms. It's actually the Ghostly Phantoms. I didn't expect 2 members of the Golden Generation to directly use their martial soul fusion skill. I don't know what kind of shock the appearance of the Ghostly Phantoms will bring us this time, or rather, how long it will take for the Ghostly Phantoms to resolve the Storm team. The last time the Ghostly Phantoms appeared was a year ago. That was when the 3 members of the Golden Generation won the Golden Class Spirit Master competition, and later, when facing the challenge of Spirit Ancestors, they beat the Spirit Ancestors until they wailed. With a year of changes, I think the Ghostly Phantoms will be even stronger today. It's just that I don't know if there are any Spirit Ancestors in this year's Spirit Master competition who will form a team to challenge the Golden Generation. When the Ghostly Phantoms appeared, the whole venue completely boiled over. This was a martial soul fusion skill, a very rare martial soul fusion skill. Just seeing it was a feast for the eyes, and the 3 members of the Golden Generation were actually using the martial soul fusion skill because their efficiency in winning was too slow. In an instant, the Ghostly Phantoms had already arrived in front of the Storm team members. Instantly, everyone in the Storm team was thrown into chaos. They knew very clearly the ferocity of the Ghostly Phantoms. When the Spirit Hall team used the Ghostly Phantoms, the only thing waiting for them was defeat. Don't panic, even if we lose, we must lose standing up, the captain of the Storm team said loudly. They were all students in the Golden Class, so why were the 3 members of the Golden Generation so outstanding? Facing the pressure brought by the Ghostly Phantoms, he was also desperately holding on. In any case, he could not lose face in front of all the students, instructors, ministers, deans, and His Excellency the Supreme Pontiff. The voice of the Ghostly Phantoms echoed in the ear of the Storm team captain like a death sentence. Cold sweat dripped down his face. When he turned his head, it was shockingly the face of the Ghostly Phantoms. When he wanted to launch an attack, mist suddenly appeared all around, visibility was extremely low, and at the same time, his senses were suppressed, his spirit power was suppressed, and his speed was suppressed. The Storm captain squinted his eyes, unable to see things more than half a meter away. He could only hear the ceaseless screams of his team members around him. His sweat dripped onto the ground, he clenched his fists, and vigilantly observed his surroundings, waiting for the moment when the screams of all his team members stopped. Rest now. The Ghostly Phantoms appeared suddenly behind the Storm captain. Before he could react, as the attack of the Ghostly Phantoms landed, the captain of the Storm team completely lost consciousness and passed out. From the beginning of the match to the end, in just 2 short minutes, the Spirit Hall team had already crushed the Storm team with only 2 people and achieved victory. Chapter 51, Crushing Power. In just 2 short minutes, the Spirit Hall team won the final victory with crushing power. Instantly, the entire venue erupted in an uproar. The students' excited voices echoed in the Spirit Arena. They knew clearly that the Storm team would be no match for the Spirit Hall team, but they hadn't expected the Storm team to not even have the power to fight back against them. The Storm team consisted of 1 Spirit Elder and 6 Spirit Grandmasters. Their team composition was also very comprehensive, including Attack System Spirit Masters, Agility Attack System Spirit Masters, Healing System Spirit Masters, Support System Spirit Masters, and Defense System Spirit Masters. It was already the most perfect configuration. But even so, facing the Spirit Hall team's captain, Juliana, and vice captain, Xiaoyu, and their martial soul fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms, they didn't even have the strength to fight back. When the mist was activated, the Storm team had already met their defeat. During the previous Golden Class Soul Master competition, the Spirit Hall team defeated a Spirit Ancestor with their martial soul fusion skill, shocking all the students and mentors. This year was just as impressive. 2 members defeating an entire team was shocking enough. In the special spectator seats, BB Dong looked at Juliana and the others on the Douluo arena with a smile. She was very satisfied with their performance and growth this year, and also very satisfied with the Golden Class's class teacher, Du Mingyu. Although the Spirit Hall team's current strength was partly due to their own extraordinary talent, Du Mingyu's teaching could not be underestimated. As someone capable of serving as the Golden Class's class teacher, her knowledge of spirits and spirit masters made her an authority among authorities in the Spirit Masters world. This Golden Class teacher, Du Mingyu, is very good. She deserves much credit for the Spirit Hall team's achievements today, BB Dong said with a smile, unable to help but praise her. Hearing this, the Dean of the Spirit Master Academy murmured, to receive the Supreme Pontiff's praise is Director Du's honor and recognition. I think Director Du would be extremely honored if she knew, this is the Supreme Pontiff's recognition of her. For a mentor, this was a kind of glory and honor, it was the Supreme Pontiff's recognition of their hard work. BB Dong nodded slightly in response and suddenly asked, I wonder if any other ordinary senior classes have formed Spirit Master teams with talented Spirit Masters to challenge the Golden Class's champion team this year. Every few years, ordinary senior classes would form teams to challenge the Golden Class's champion team. If they succeeded, they would personally send their own class teacher to the position of Golden Class teacher. As the successful challengers, they would also receive the extra resources intended for the Golden Class champion team. It was a competitive relationship. However, under normal circumstances, this would not happen. Because the Golden Class students were all exceptionally gifted, having passed through layers of screening and assessment to enter the Golden Class. When facing ordinary students, some of them possessed the power to fight above their level. It was basically impossible for an ordinary senior team to defeat a Spirit Elder team from the Golden Class. Therefore, the Academy had a rule, at a specific age, if a student reached the Spirit Ancestor rank, they were qualified to challenge the Golden Class champion team. However, the number of people in ordinary classes who could reach the Spirit Ancestor realm at that specific age was very small. In previous years, ordinary senior classes could at most put together 2 Spirit Ancestors. It had never exceeded that number. Even for a Spirit Ancestor team, the number of times they had won against the Golden Class champion team could be counted on one hand. Supreme Pontiff, there is indeed a team this year planning to challenge the Golden Class champion team, and their overall strength is very formidable. Although the Spirit Hall team has a rare martial soul fusion skill, in my opinion, it might be difficult for them to win this match and defeat the opponents, Wu Pengfei said calmly, stroking his beard. As the Dean of the Spirit Master Academy, if an ordinary senior class wanted to challenge the Golden Class champion team during the Golden Class Soul Master competition, they had to report to him in advance to arrange the competition schedule. Oh, BB Dong said with a smile. I didn't expect there would be a team challenging them this year. But that's good, competition provides motivation. If the Spirit Hall team loses this match, I think they will work even harder in their cultivation over the next year. The Supreme Pontiff is right. Sometimes, students in the Golden Class become overly ambitious because of their status, thinking they are powerful and looking down on ordinary students. A defeat will ring an alarm bell for them and make them realize their mistakes. The situation he described did indeed exist. In previous years, the Golden Class champion teams had lost to ordinary senior teams a few times for this reason, underestimating the opponent, which is unacceptable. Even a lion must use its full strength when hunting a rabbit. Spirit Hall team, 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 Spirit Hall team. The students in the audience were exhilarated to see the Spirit Hall team quickly resolve the battle. Facing the visual impact brought by the Spirit Hall team, they shouted the words, Spirit Hall team, to vent their excitement. Facing the shouts from the audience, Juliana, Xiaoyu, and Yan waved to the excited students as they walked off the Douluo arena toward the Golden Class rest area. On the other hand, after the members of the Storm team woke up, they received treatment from several healing spirit masters. They were somewhat dejected, although they knew they would lose, they hadn't expected to lose so completely, without even the power to fight back. The Spirit Hall team had risen abruptly since the last Golden Class Soul Master competition. They won the Golden Class Soul Master competition championship and defeated the challenging Spirit Ancestor team. Their prestige was still rising. It was as if the Golden Class students were just Golden Class students, while the Golden Generation was the Golden Generation. The two were completely different concepts. Chapter 52, A Powerful Opponent. Wo Tilda, Tianming cried out in surprise, pulling on Linfeng as he said, Brother Linfeng, Sister Nana and the others are so amazing. They easily took down the Storm team with just one Spirit Fusion skill, and the Storm team didn't even last 2 minutes against them. Although he felt a bit dejected about not playing in the final match, seeing the visual impact of Juliana and Xiaoyu's martial soul fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms, was a feast for the eyes. It was as if the opposing Storm team wasn't even on the same level of Spirit Master as them. Linfeng nodded slightly and said, they are indeed very powerful. The power and visual impact displayed by Juliana and Xiaoyu's Spirit Fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms, was incredibly formidable. Furthermore, Ghostly Phantoms was extremely well-rounded, it had both attack and control capabilities. Once the mist was activated, the opponents couldn't even see a shadow of Ghostly Phantoms, let alone counterattack. Spirit Masters of the same level were completely helpless when facing Ghostly Phantoms. Even for me, facing their Spirit Fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms right now would be extremely tricky. Despite having 2 10,000-year spirit rings, if I were trapped deep in that mist unable to see them, it would be a struggle. Wait, it's been less than half a month since I awakened my spirit. Why am I even thinking about this? Linfeng rubbed his chin. While he was no match for Ghostly Phantoms now, in the future, he would far surpass them. After leaving the Douluo arena, Juliana and the others had returned to the Golden Class rest area. Du Mingyu looked at the returning group and smiled. It seems our Golden Generation has seen a very significant increase in strength over the past year. Even I'm a bit surprised. The entire Storm team couldn't even last 2 minutes against you. You overpraise us, instructor. We've just been cultivating step by step. Our strength hasn't increased that significantly, Juliana said modestly. Step by step, modesty shouldn't go that far. One doesn't gain this kind of strength just by following the motions. It's clear you've all cultivated seriously this past year. Good, very good. I believe His Holiness the Supreme Pontiff will be very satisfied when he sees the strength you've displayed, Du Mingyu said with a beaming smile. Juliana smiled and replied, if you say so, instructor. Hearing this, Du Mingyu nodded slightly and said earnestly, now, take some time to rest and recover all your consumed spirit power. There's a tough battle waiting for you this afternoon, so get prepared. Juliana was stunned for a moment before reacting. She asked, instructor, do you mean a team formed by regular upperclassmen is going to challenge our Spirit Hall team? Du Mingyu didn't deny it, stating directly, exactly. I just received the news. I'm not sure exactly which students are on the team, but I know their overall strength is very high. You must be cautious. Juliana frowned. If the instructor said the opponent's overall strength was very high, then it was definitely true. The opponents were likely coming with aggressive intent, they had to be careful. In contrast, Yan said dismissively, someone dares to challenge us. Haha, don't worry, instructor, they won't be a match for us. We fought a spirit ancestor team last year, so what if another one comes? They won't be our match. Our spirit hall team will crush them. Du Mingyu didn't find his words offensive. Instead, she smiled and said, the opponents are coming on strong, so it's good to have such spirit, but you still need to be cautious. His Holiness the Supreme Pontiff is personally attending this year's Golden Class Soul Master competition. I'm sure you wouldn't want to disappoint him. Of course not. Yan clenched his fists, his expression becoming serious. Seeing his sister's furrowed brows and then looking at Yan's performance, Xie sighed. Yan, if the instructor says the opponent is strong, she's not wrong. We really should be careful. Although my sister and I have a martial soul fusion skill, we aren't invincible. Hothead, Juliana muttered before walking straight toward where Lin Feng and the others were. When Juliana reached Lin Feng, she couldn't help but reach out and pinch his soft cheek, saying with a laugh, Brother Lin Feng, weren't we amazing? They were no match for us at all. Lin Feng felt the touch of her soft hands and didn't resist. Instead, he feigned surprise and said excitedly, Sister Nana, yours and Brother Xieyu's martial soul fusion skill is incredible. They didn't even have the strength to fight back. Sister Nana, just how high is your limit? That goes without saying. With the three of us here, even if they're spirit ancestor level experts, it's not like we haven't fought and beaten them before, Yan said proudly as he walked over. Even facing a spirit ancestor, they would remain calm and composed. Tianming, Qianji Yunehi, and Qianji Yu Qingyan's eyes lit up as they watched him. Tianming even asked, Brother Yan, do you really have no rivals in the Spirit Master Academy? PFF, Yan laughed out loud, saying disdainfully, rivals? What are rivals? We wouldn't know. Ever since we won the Golden Class Competition Championship last year, we've never encountered a rival. Juliana frowned and said, Yan, can't you be a bit more modest? What do you mean we've never encountered a rival? In the Spirit Master Academy, our talent is indeed top tier, but to say there's no one who can be our rival, there are still people out there. If it weren't for the age restrictions, the team coming to challenge them would be a team of full spirit ancestors, and high-level ones at that. How would they fight? Did he really think that just because they could beat two low-level spirit ancestors, they could look down on all of them? Yan froze. Seeing Juliana was angry, he immediately realized his mistake and said, Nana. Nana is right, I was just talking, don't take it seriously, there are plenty of people who can be our rivals. Seeing Yan change his tune so quickly, Tianming, Qianji Yunehi, and Qianji Yu Qingyan were stunned. Wait, didn't he just say he didn't know what a rival was? What was going on now? Were they just messing with them because they were young? Chapter 53, Senior Class 3, Divine Wind Team. Just then, the host, Tianming, reappeared in everyone's sight holding a microphone. With a smile beaming on her face, she said solemnly, the Golden Class Soul Master competition has already determined its champion. Congratulations to our Spirit Hall team for winning the Golden Class Soul Master competition for 2 consecutive terms. Let us congratulate them with warm applause. Tianming's voice was loud and powerful. The students in the audience clapped like thunder, the sound never ending. At the same time, they were also looking forward to seeing if any ordinary senior students would form a team again this year to challenge the Spirit Hall team. The applause echoing in the Spirit Master arena gradually faded. Every student was now staring at Tianming, waiting for her next announcement. The host, Tianming, also knew what the students were looking forward to and dropped a bombshell directly. She smiled and said, the Golden Class Soul Master competition's repechage will begin tomorrow morning. Next up is the match where the Divine Wind team, composed of Senior Class 3, will challenge this year's champion, the Spirit Hall team. The match will take place this afternoon. Please stay tuned. As her voice fell, the entire venue suddenly erupted in a clamor. Their guesses were correct. This year, there really were ordinary senior students forming a group to challenge the Spirit Hall team. But could this mysterious Divine Wind team really be a match for the Spirit Hall team? They had all witnessed the overall strength of the Spirit Hall team with their own eyes. Can this Divine Wind team from Senior Class 3 be a match for the Spirit Hall team? Last year, the Spirit Hall team was able to win even when facing two Spirit Ancestors. Their performance this year is even more terrifying. Yeah, the Golden Class's runner-up team, the Storm team, couldn't even last 2 minutes against the Spirit Hall team. Tilda, don't worry. The overall strength of our Divine Wind team from Senior Class 3 is very powerful and terrifying, far exceeding the Spirit Master team that challenged the Spirit Hall team last year. We'll just have to see whose fists are harder. The Spirit Hall teams are our Senior Class 3s. I'm looking forward to it, really looking forward to it. I hope this mysterious Divine Wind team can bring us a surprise. But then again, since they dare to challenge the Spirit Hall team, their strength shouldn't be bad. In the student audience, all the students were discussing this mysterious Divine Wind team from Senior Class 3. However, the students of Senior Class 3 were as steady as old dogs. They firmly believed that their class's Divine Wind team could definitely defeat the Spirit Hall team and make a name for themselves. In the Golden Class resting area, Juliana frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, Divine Wind team. How come I've never heard of them? Moreover, Senior Class 3 has been very low-key over the years. In the recent Golden Class Soul Master competitions, they've never challenged the champion team. Our information on them is limited. If it were other senior classes forming a team to challenge them, they might have known some information. But Senior Class 3 had been too low-key these past few years. Even in the Academy's Spirit Master competitions, their performance wasn't particularly outstanding. They truly knew nothing about the opponent's information. Could their low-key development over the years have been for the sake of today? Divine Wind team, Xieye rubbed his chin and said to Juliana, Nana, the power we've shown is far beyond last year's. For a team to still dare to challenge us means they have confidence. We should handle this mysterious Divine Wind team carefully and try to find out as much information as possible. Brother Lin Feng, you heard that, right? This mysterious Divine Wind team is coming on strong. Do you remember what I told you? If someone challenges us, you're our Spirit Hall team's secret technique, our trump card. Catch them off guard, Juliana said to Lin Feng with a smile. Hearing this, Lin Feng nodded slightly and said with a grin, don't worry, Sister Nana. Since the Divine Wind team doesn't know my specific details, they'll definitely suffer. Looking at the obedient Lin Feng, Juliana nodded slightly. Her gaze fell on Tianming and the others as she said calmly, Brother Tianming, your current spirit power levels are too low. It's not suitable for you to participate in this level of competition. For now, just continue being spectators. There will be plenty of competitions waiting for you in the future. Tianming and the others naturally had no objections to this arrangement. Unlike Big Brother Lin Feng, their wings were not yet full and their spirit power levels were too low. Battles between Spirit Elder and Spirit Ancestor level Spirit Masters were not something they could participate in. After speaking, Juliana looked at Yan and arranged, Yan, explain the situation to the other students in our class. Help us scout out the specific strength of this mysterious Divine Wind team. It will make it easier for us to arrange a complete tactic during the competition. Is it really necessary for us to go that far for them? Isn't it just the Divine Wind team? I don't think they'll be our match. When they meet us. At this point, Yan suddenly paused as he noticed Juliana's expression. He immediately changed his tune and said, Nana, don't worry. Leave this to me, I'll go do it right now. Wait for me to get back. With that, Yan hurriedly left to find other students to discuss the matter. Watching Yan's hurried departure, Juliana sighed, brother, when do you think this guy Yan will ever be cautious and stop underestimating opponents? Teacher once said that even a lion must use its full strength when hunting a rabbit. But look at Yan, arrogant and conceited, looking down on everyone. It's hard to even comment on him. Hearing this, Xiaoyu smiled bitterly, that guy Yan, it might be because of his spirit or maybe it's just his personality. Sister Nana, don't worry about this. Don't you still have me? When the Spirit Master competition starts, I'll open with a 10,000-year spirit skill and catch them off guard. Even a spirit ancestor will suffer if they don't defend seriously. Now, let's go eat first. Once we're full, we can discuss the Divine Wind team with full energy. Lin Feng spoke up at this time, his stomach was already growling incessantly. Brother Lin Feng is right. Shall we go eat first, brother? There's still some time before the soul fighting starts this afternoon. During this time, I think we can find out the Divine Wind team's specific strength. Juliana said, pinching Lin Feng's cheek. Xiaoyu nodded and said, let's go. Call Yan and let's eat first. There's no rush regarding the Divine Wind team. Chapter 54, Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique. At this moment, in the golden class rest area, everyone, having had their fill of food and drink, sat on soft chairs with their eyes closed to rest, quietly waiting for the competition to begin. Nana, Yan walked over hurriedly, looking somewhat anxious and panting heavily. Yan, is there any news? Juliana asked. At the same time, Xiaoyu also looked over. Yan looked at the two of them, swallowed hard, and said, the news I just got is that this Divine Wind team actually has 4 spirit ancestors, and the remaining 3 members are also level 34 and 35 spirit ancestors. What? Xiaoyu stood up instantly, speaking in shock. Yan nodded slightly to the two of them. When he first received the news, he didn't believe it, thinking it was fake information released by the Divine Wind team. But after his repeated verification, the Divine Wind team indeed had 4 spirit ancestors. That's 4 spirit ancestors. He could stall 1, Juliana and Xiaoyu could stall 2, and even if Lin Feng could stall 1, there were still 3 spirit elders left. The levels of these 3 spirit elders weren't low-level ones, the pressure was indeed quite high. Originally, he hadn't cared about the Divine Wind team, but hearing about 4 spirit ancestors, he had to care. With their current strength, the pressure of facing 4 spirit ancestors was immense. He admitted that he had somewhat looked down on the members of the Divine Wind team. Reality had slapped him hard in the face. 4 spirit ancestors, how did they manage to get 4 spirit ancestors? They've been performing averagely these past few years, just to make a blockbuster debut today. Juliana clenched her fists, her brow furrowed. 4 spirit ancestors, fortunately, Lin Feng was there, so they still had a chance. Without Lin Feng, their chances of losing against 4 spirit ancestors would be very high. Moreover, even if the 4 of them stalled the 4 spirit ancestors, those 3 spirit elders wouldn't just stay put. Juliana sat on the soft chair, leaning against the wall, thinking as she murmured, in previous years, there were at most 2 spirit ancestors. This year there are 4, impressive, truly impressive. They had a chance to win, but if it were the Storm team instead, facing 4 spirit ancestors, the hope would be truly slim. Nana, I admit, I was indeed a bit arrogant and looked down on them. I really didn't expect the opponent to actually be able to pull together 4 spirit ancestors. Yan sighed. This Divine Wind team is truly impressive, and their class teacher is too. Keeping a low profile for years just to make a splash today. Xiaoyu remarked with emotion. 4 spirit ancestors, can we really win? Juliana sighed. Lin Feng stroked his chin and thought to himself, 4 spirit ancestors, with my current spirit power, defeating a spirit elder is definitely no problem. Besides, I still have the Holy Sword of Order, so it's not really an issue. Although, for now, he had no way to fully utilize the power of the Holy Sword of Order. However, the Holy Sword of Order was originally a transcendent divine tool. Even if used just as an ordinary weapon, its power was very ideal. Should I tell them about this? No, forget it, I'll just say it's a very sharp weapon. Anyway, no one will be able to recognize that this is a divine tool. Lin Feng thought to himself, he wasn't very worried about this matter. Ding, God level choice activated. Host, please make a choice according to your own will. God level choice 1, they are just 4 spirit ancestors. With your 10,000-year spirit skill, not to mention being able to face a spirit ancestor alone, you also have the transcendent divine tool, the Holy Sword of Order. Although you cannot exert the power of the Holy Sword of Order, it is still a divine tool. You believe you are fully capable of helping the Spirit Hall team win this match. Reward, Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique. God level choice 2, although you have a 10,000-year spirit skill, you believe your spirit power consumption is excessive and you cannot effectively defeat a spirit ancestor. At the same time, you think the Holy Sword of Order is currently just a piece of scrap metal and that this is a spirit fight with no chance of winning. You plan to persuade Juliana and the others to give up and surrender directly. Reward, Mysterious Heaven Skill, the Enraged Holy Sword of Order. God level choice 3, you are just a 72-month-old baby. Despite having a 10,000-year spirit skill in the Holy Sword of Order, none of these are reasons for them to ask you to face a spirit ancestor. They are all bad people for wanting you to face a terrifying spirit ancestor expert alone. This is simply heinous. You cannot tolerate it. Reward, Baby Pacifier, Baby Bus. Damn system, choice 1. Lin Feng made his choice immediately. Given the system's nature, only choice 1 was the correct answer. Was the Mysterious Heaven Skill in God level choice 2 really as powerful as the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique? He wasn't sure. But he couldn't accept the Holy Sword of Order being enraged. If his future transcendent divine tool was ruined, what would he use when he became a god? As for God level choice 3, only an idiot would choose that. When Lin Feng made his choice, an inexplicable technique suddenly appeared in his mind. His tilde, Lin Feng gasped. This Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique was quite powerful. Upon reaching mastery, meditation cultivation speed would increase by 200%. At the same time, one would obtain a divine soul body. As long as spirit power was not exhausted, the physical body would not die. It would also significantly increase mental force. It would also be useful after becoming a god. As long as divine force was not depleted, the physical body would be immortal and indestructible. His tilde this technique is a bit ridiculous, but the difficulty of cultivation is also not small. However, none of that matters. The value of the divine soul body alone already exceeds the Mysterious Heaven Skill. Lin Feng thought to himself. But the most important thing right now is still winning this match. 4 spirit ancestors, in their eyes, the pressure is still very high. Fortunately, it's not 5 spirit ancestors, or I would also be in a tough spot, Lin Feng thought. Sister Nana, we'll only know if we can beat them after we try. Sister Nana, can't the martial soul fusion skill between you and Brother Xiaoyu release a kind of mist to hallucinate the opponent's visual perception and so on? Why not pull the remaining 3 spirit elders in as well? That way, we might still have a chance. Spirit elders shouldn't be able to be immune to your control, right? Lin Feng said. In theory, that's correct, but it's quite troublesome to actually execute. Don't look at how easily we beat the Storm team, that's because their overall strength wasn't very great, Juliana murmured. Sister Nana, what if I said I could stall 2 spirit ancestors? Lin Feng said with a smile. If you could stall 2 spirit ancestors, we would naturally be able to win. Wait, 2 spirit ancestors. Juliana looked at Lin Feng in shock. Chapter 55, Divine Wind Team vs. Spirit Hall Team. That's right, Brother Lin Feng. You're our trump card now, our finishing move, Xiaoyu said with a smile. Once the spirit fight begins, Nana and I will use the spirit fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms to pin down the 2 spirit ancestors and 3 soul elders as much as possible. The remaining 2 spirit ancestors will be left to you and Yan. Yan nodded slightly and agreed. Don't worry, I have a very clear understanding of my own strength. If I'm just facing 1 spirit ancestor alone, I can hold my ground for a long time without being defeated. I just don't know if Brother Lin Feng has the confidence to face a spirit ancestor. The gazes of all 3 fell upon Lin Feng. In this spirit fight against the Divine Wind Team, the key to breaking the deadlock lay in Lin Feng's 2 10,000-year spirit abilities. If used correctly to ambush 1 spirit ancestor and then reinforce Yan to defeat the spirit ancestor he faced, the final dawn of victory in this spirit fight would still belong to them. Lin Feng said with a smile, of course I have confidence. My first spirit skill is an attack skill, and my second is a buffing skill. Using both simultaneously will greatly increase my strength. While the opponent lacks specific information about me and hasn't taken any precautions, I can easily defeat them in a short amount of time. He wasn't exaggerating, it was the truth. With the divine tool, the Holy Sword of Order, in his hand and 2 powerful 10,000-year spirit abilities, a single spirit ancestor would be no match for him. If not for the excessive consumption of spirit power, facing 2 at once wouldn't be impossible either. Juliana smiled and said, that's enough for us, Brother Lin Feng. Our main tactic now is for my brother and me to use our martial soul fusion skill to hold back the 2 strongest spirit ancestors and the 3 soul elders. This will buy enough time for Yan and Brother Lin Feng. Once you 2 defeat those 2 spirit ancestors, come and reinforce us. Of course, if you ultimately lose to those 2 spirit ancestors, or if one of you falls to your opponent in the meantime, what awaits us in the end will just be a slow death. Hearing this, everyone nodded slightly. That was indeed the logic. Xiaoyu and Juliana's spirit fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms would shoulder the greatest pressure, confining the targets within the mist to buy time. Meanwhile, Yan and Lin Feng had to defeat the remaining 2 spirit ancestors one by one and then reinforce Ghostly Phantoms. Any slight mistake in the middle would mean a slow death. What are you chatting about? Du Mingyu walked over slowly with a smile on her face. Juliana looked at the approaching Du Mingyu and said with a bitter smile, Mentor, we're talking about the Divine Wind Team. This senior class 3 is truly a blockbuster. According to the information we've gathered, this Divine Wind Team actually has 4 spirit ancestors, and their overall strength far exceeds that of the spirit master teams that came to challenge the champion team in previous years. Du Mingyu said with a smile, the mentor of this Divine Wind Team is also impressive. To have endured for several years and actually cultivate these 4 spirit ancestors is truly remarkable. Of course, don't feel anxious, just do your best. If you lose the spirit fight in the end, then it's only right that he takes over as the class teacher of the Golden Class. That won't happen, Mentor. We will win in the end. Although they have 4 spirit ancestors, as long as we can achieve victory, you will still be the class teacher of our Golden Class. Yan spoke up. Du Mingyu shook her head slightly and didn't speak. She saw things very clearly. 4 spirit ancestors, the spirit hall team would definitely be no match for the opponent. Although Juliana and Xiaoyu had a rare martial soul fusion skill, it would only delay their demise. Of course, it wasn't completely hopeless, but that hope held too many uncertainties. Furthermore, since Lin Feng had only been in the Golden Class for a few days, she still didn't fully understand his specific details. Just do your best, Du Mingyu said before leaving. As time passed, all the students who had left the Spirit Master Arena had returned, sitting in their spectator seats and waiting quietly for the decisive battle between the Divine Wind Team and the Spirit Hall Team. Your Holiness, the Divine Wind Team is coming on strong this time. Do you think our Spirit Hall Team can achieve the final victory? Wu Pengfei asked calmly, stroking his beard. I believe our Spirit Hall Team will be the ones to win in the end. Let's wait and see, Bibi Dong said indifferently. Juliana and the others alone naturally had no chance of winning, but there was still Lin Feng. This child was the successor of a god and possessed 2 10,000-year spirit rings. Heaven knows if he had any other hidden cards. Just the 2 10,000-year spirit rings, if used appropriately, could help the Spirit Hall Team win. Even if they failed in the end, it wouldn't matter. It could also motivate Nana and the others to cultivate more diligently. It seems your Holiness has great confidence in our Spirit Hall Team, Wu Pengfei laughed. After the break ended, the host, Tian Ming, appeared above the Douluo Arena once again and solemnly announced, what an exciting moment. Next is the match where Senior Class 3's Divine Wind Team challenges the Golden Class's Spirit Hall Team. Let's welcome these 2 teams to the stage with warm applause. The entire venue erupted in cheers, with thunderous applause that filled the ears. In the Golden Class rest area, Tian Ming looked at Lin Feng and said, Big Brother Lin Feng, good luck. It's a pity our spirit power levels are currently too low. Going on stage wouldn't be of much use. We can't become your right-hand man and stand with you against the people from the Divine Wind Team. Hearing this, Lin Feng said with a smile, there will be opportunities in the future. Everyone needs to grow, don't they? You are weak now, and I am also very weak. I only luckily obtained 2 10,000-year spirit rings, otherwise I would be powerless against a spirit ancestor. Juliana stood up and beckoned to Lin Feng, let's take the stage, Brother Lin Feng. It's the perfect time to show them what a true genius is. I think when everyone sees your 2 shining black 10,000-year spirit rings, the scene will definitely be quite delightful. Lin Feng nodded slightly and quickly followed Juliana and the others toward the Douluo Arena. The members of the Divine Wind Team were already there, waiting for the arrival of the Spirit Hall Team. Facing the Spirit Hall Team, their Divine Wind Team was very confident. 4 spirit ancestors, there had never been 4 spirit ancestors in previous years. Even a team as strong as the Spirit Hall Team would have to fall at the hands of their 4 spirit ancestors. When the time came, they would personally recommend their mentor for the position of Golden Class teacher, bringing this glory to their teacher. Chapter 56, the Divine Wind Team's roster configuration. This doesn't seem right. This 6-year-old child soul master from the Golden Class is actually a member of the Spirit Hall Team. Even if he is a member, what role can a 6-year-old child play on the field? Has the Spirit Hall Team really reached the end of its rope? I don't get it. I really don't get it. I wonder what the point is of the Spirit Hall Team having this 6-year-old child play. Besides, this child probably only awakened his spirit a few days ago. At the absolute most, he's just a Spirit Grandmaster. What use is a Spirit Grandmaster in a Spirit Ancestor battle? That's hard to say. Since the Spirit Hall team allowed him to play, he must have a role. Maybe it's because this little guy's spirit is special. He might even be the Spirit Hall team's trump card or finishing move. Of course, that's just my personal opinion. In the student spectator stands, the students were buzzing with discussion, their voices noisy and chaotic. Regarding Lin Feng taking the field, some thought the Spirit Hall team was at a dead end, while others thought Lin Feng was special and had a role to play. However, the vast majority still believed that Lin Feng's appearance was useless. Even though Lin Feng was in the golden class and his talent was monstrous, at this age, the age of just having awakened a spirit, he hadn't had time to convert his talent into actual strength. As for why he was on the field, perhaps he was just there as a buffer role. Most people thought this way. Even the instructors of the various classes were now feeling extremely surprised and puzzled. Why would the Spirit Hall team let a child like Lin Feng play? What was his purpose? What was the point? As instructors of different grades, even they couldn't see it, let alone the students. On the Douluo Arena, all the members of the Divine Wind team were lined up in AV formation. Standing at the very front was the captain of Divine Wind team, captain of Divine Wind team. He had an indifferent expression and ordinary looks, but upon closer inspection, he was quite decent looking. He was currently staring calmly at the Spirit Hall team opposite him. Captain of Divine Wind team stood with one hand behind his back. When he saw that there was actually a child soul master in the Spirit Hall team, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up slightly. He said with a smile, the Spirit Hall team has truly been famous these past 2 sessions. Among all the previous golden classes, you are the most stunning and powerful team to date. Because you rose strongly in the last session and defeated a team composed of 2 spirit ancestors, you became famous and were called the Golden Generation, even though the Spirit Hall team only had 3 spirit masters. But now it seems that's not the case. Although I don't know the point of this child soul master coming up, and though our Divine Wind team couldn't reach this realm at your age, that doesn't stop our Divine Wind team from completely shattering the legend of your Spirit Hall team today. We will send our class teacher to the position of Golden class teacher and bring glory and honor to our instructor. Their Divine Wind team had 4 spirit ancestors. They had no reason to lose to the Spirit Hall team. Even though the Spirit Hall team had the rare spirit fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms, it could only stall 2 of their spirit ancestors. They still had 2 other spirit ancestors left. What awaited the Spirit Hall team would only be a slow death. Yan said disdainfully, after all that talk, don't you just want to step on our Spirit Hall team to make a name for yourselves? So what if you have 4 spirit ancestors? Do you really think our Spirit Hall team is afraid of you? If you want to use us to become famous, then come on. Our Spirit Hall team isn't so easily defeated. Captain of Divine Wind team was unbothered. He beckoned to the members of the Spirit Hall team, saying, Spirit Hall team, the one who will defeat you is Captain of Divine Wind team, Captain of Divine Wind team. Spirit, Blazing Flame Vajra Bear, level 41 spirit ancestor. Brothers, release your spirits. As soon as he finished speaking, Captain of Divine Wind team instantly activated his spirit. A ferocious red bear burning with scorching flames suddenly appeared behind him, opening its bloody maw and roaring at the sky. At the same time, his body swelled significantly, appearing even more solid and powerful. Spirit Hall team, the one who will defeat you is the vice captain of the Divine Wind team, Liaya. Spirit, Brilliant Scepter, level 42 spirit ancestor. Spirit Hall team, the one who will defeat you is Divine Wind team member, Lian. Spirit, Shadow Demon Wolf, level 41 spirit ancestor. Spirit Hall team, the one who will defeat you is Divine Wind team member, Niu Chen. Spirit, Black Tortoise, level 41 spirit ancestor. Spirit Hall team. The members of the Divine Wind team all activated their spirits with grand momentum. The spirit ancestor member spirit ring configurations were 2 yellow and 2 purple, 4 spirit rings in total. The 3 soul elder members had 2 yellow and 1 purple, 3 spirit rings. Every member had the optimal spirit ring configuration. Captain of Divine Wind team, Blazing Flame Vajra Bear, Attack System Battle Spirit Ancestor, Liaya, Brilliant Scepter, Support System Battle Spirit Ancestor, Lian, Shadow Demon Wolf, Agility Attack System Battle Spirit Ancestor, Niu Chen, Black Tortoise, Defense Type Battle Spirit Ancestor, Zhou Yu, Devil Vine, Control System Battle Spirit Elder, Qin Feng, Pterosaur, Agility Attack System Battle Spirit Elder, Chen Qi, Barbarian Bull, Attack System Battle Spirit Elder. Xie Yu muttered under his breath. The roster configuration of the Divine Wind Academy was already very clear. 2 attack systems, 2 agility attack systems, 1 control system, 1 support system, and 1 defense type. They could be said to be armed to the teeth. Such a Spirit Master team was very difficult to deal with, as they were without any weaknesses. Juliana's expression was serious as she spoke. When the time comes, my brother and I will use Spirit Fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms to control the Divine Wind team's Captain of Divine Wind team, as well as Vice Captain Liaya and the 3 Soul Elders. As for the last 2 Spirit Ancestors, 1 agility attack system and 1 defense type, Yan and Lin Feng, you 2 handle them as you see fit. An agility attack system Spirit Ancestor and a support system Spirit Ancestor. The following is a copy of the above. I'll change it once I'm done writing. Captain of Divine Wind team, Blazing Flame Vajra Bear, Attack System Battle Spirit Ancestor, Liaya, Brilliant Scepter, Support System Battle Spirit Ancestor, Lian, Shadow Demon Wolf, Agility Attack System Battle Spirit Ancestor, Niu Chen, Black Tortoise, Defense Type Battle Spirit Ancestor, Zhou Yu, Devil Vine, Control System Battle Spirit Elder, Qin Feng, Pterosaur, Agility Attack System Battle Spirit Elder, Chen Qi, Barbarian Bull, Attack System Battle Spirit Elder. Xie Yu muttered under his breath. The roster configuration of the Divine Wind Academy was already very clear. 2 attack systems, 2 agility attack systems, 1 control system, 1 support system, and 1 defense type. They could be said to be armed to the teeth. Such a Spirit Master team was very difficult to deal with, as they were without any weaknesses. Juliana's expression was serious as she spoke. When the time comes, my brother and I will use Spirit Fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms to control the Divine Wind team's Captain of Divine Wind team, as well as Vice Captain Liaya and the 3 Soul Elders. As for the last 2 Spirit Ancestors, 1 agility attack system and 1 defense type, Yan and Lin Feng, you 2 handle them as you see fit. An agility attack system Spirit Ancestor and a support system Spirit Ancestor. Chapter 57, The Appearance of a Divine Tool. As the 2 teams stepped onto the Douluo Arena, the host Mingming, microphone in hand, announced solemnly, the Divine Wind team and the Spirit Hall team have arrived at the Douluo Arena. Now, let the spirit battle begin. The host Mingming's voice rang out clearly, resonating with authority. Almost the instant the words, Spirit Battle begin, were uttered, Juliana and Xie Yu lunged forward, charging toward the members of the Divine Wind team with incredible speed. In a mere moment, they successfully activated their Spirit Fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms. The members of the Divine Wind team had not expected the Spirit Hall team to launch an attack immediately. Without even time to react, Ghostly Phantoms had already completely shattered their formation. A crimson mist began to spread from the center of the Douluo Arena. Because Ghostly Phantoms had clear targets, Captain of Divine Wind team Li Ziyu, Liaya, and 3 Spirit Ancestors were unable to react in time and were directly plunged into the mist, nearly losing their sense of direction. Meanwhile, the two spirit ancestors of the Divine Wind team, Lian and Niu Chen, were not within the attack range of ghostly phantoms. They managed to dodge and were not engulfed or lost within the mist. Hiss, the students in the audience stands gasped as they watched the sudden change on the Douluo arena. The speed of the Spirit Hall team's movement was so fast that no one expected them to take the initiative to attack first. Moreover, this sudden assault had left the Divine Wind team somewhat dazed. As expected of the Spirit Hall team's martial soul fusion skill, it's truly powerful. It directly controlled the Divine Wind team's captain, vice captain, and the 3 soul elders. Unfortunately, the Divine Wind team came prepared this time. They are a team with 4 spirit ancestor powerhouses. Indeed, even if the Spirit Hall team can control the Divine Wind team's captain and vice captain, what use is it? Aren't there still 4 spirit ancestors outside? What awaits the Spirit Hall team is merely a slow death. If the Spirit Hall team were facing 3 spirit ancestors, or if their own team was fully composed of soul elders, they might have a hope of victory. What a pity. Now it's just as the Divine Wind team said. They came to challenge the Spirit Hall team this time specifically to defeat them, to break the undefeated legend forged over these 2 terms, and to send their class teacher to the position of golden class teacher, allowing their mentor to enjoy this glory and honor. The students in the audience were buzzing with discussion. Although the Spirit Hall team's performance was already very impressive, they still held no hope for them. A team with 4 spirit ancestors was simply too powerful. They couldn't imagine any possibility of the Spirit Hall team winning. On the Douluo arena, Lian's mouth twitched as he looked at the crimson mist spreading beside him. He remarked, the Spirit Hall team acted so quickly and ruthlessly, giving us no time to react at all. But it doesn't matter, they'll still lose in the end anyway. Niu Chen smiled and agreed, exactly. The Spirit Hall team is indeed very impressive and powerful, but unfortunately, we are a team of 4 spirit ancestors. If we can't even defeat the Spirit Hall team, wouldn't our years of cultivation be a joke? Only 4 people from the Spirit Hall team had taken the field. Now, only Yan, a soul elder, and that unfamiliar child soul master remained, posing no threat to them. Once they dealt with these 2, they could enter the mist, help their other teammates deal with the final ghostly phantoms, and claim victory. Lian's gaze swept over Lin Feng and Yan. He smiled and said to Niu Chen, I'll leave the child soul master to you. Deal with him quickly, but don't bully him until he cries. I'll handle Yan, his strength is decent. Niu Chen nodded slightly and immediately charged toward Yan and Lin Feng. Yan watched Lian coming toward him, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. This was exactly what he wanted. He then said to Lin Feng, Brother Lin Feng, I'll handle Lian. That Niu Chen is a defense system spirit master, finish him off as quickly as possible and then come help me. After saying that, Yan released his spirit. 3 spirit rings appeared beneath his feet as he met the attack head-on. At this moment, Niu Chen had leisurely arrived in front of Lin Feng. He chuckled, little brother, I don't want to bully you. I'll give you a chance, admit defeat yourself and walk off the Douluo arena. That way, you won't have to suffer. Hearing this, Lin Feng looked at the sturdy Niu Chen in front of him, pretending to be terrified. He said timidly, then big brother, please don't hit me till I'll go down by myself, okay? Niu Chen looked at the little guy in front of him and laughed heartily, of course you see eh? Before he could finish his sentence, he felt a dangerous aura approaching him. He saw that, at some unknown point, a gold-black longsword had appeared in Lin Feng's hand. The sword was 3 feet 3 inches long, its body golden black, with mysterious runes on both sides of the blade. It was now slashing toward him. First spirit skill, Black Tortoise Protection. A yellow 100-year spirit ring suddenly appeared, and several emerald green transparent tortoise shells manifested around him. Little brother, you're really not honest. Couldn't you just walk down yourself? Do you really have to make me do it personally to send you down? Do you think you can hurt me with that ordinary weapon in your hand? Utterly ridiculous. Seeing that Lin Feng had no intention of admitting defeat, he stopped trying to persuade him and chose to strike directly to send him off. In the special seating area, Baby Dong's eyes narrowed and her brow furrowed as she watched the unique longsword in Lin Feng's hand. She thought to herself, as that, a divine tool that hasn't released its authority yet. As someone who possessed the inheritance of the Rakshasa god, she was exceptionally familiar and sensitive to the aura of a god. She was certain that the gold-black longsword that had suddenly appeared in Lin Feng's hand was a so-called divine tool, it was just that this longsword had not yet released the authority it possessed. Qian Daoliu, oh Qian Daoliu, is this the so-called divine tool of the angel god, the angel sword? You've actually given this thing to him now. It seems you've truly become a muddled old fool. The older you get, the more confused you become. These things were originally supposed to belong to your own granddaughter. Baby Dong cursed Qian Daoliu inwardly. Although she had never seen the angel sword with her own eyes. With just a bit of guessing, she could confirm that the gold-black longsword in Lin Feng's hand was the so-called angelic divine tool. If it wasn't the angel sword, could it be the divine tool of some other divinity? Did he really think the inheritance of a divinity was like common cabbage, found everywhere? Chapter 58. The power of a divine tool, utterly crushing a spirit ancestor. Crackle tilde asterisk Niu Chen didn't think much of the Holy Sword of Order, but when the Holy Sword of Order struck that translucent green tortoise shell, the shell shattered like a spider web. Under Niu Chen's incredulous gaze, the Holy Sword of Order, carrying its immense power, slashed toward him. Niu Chen immediately shouted, second spirit skill, Black Tortoise Augmentation. Third spirit skill, Black Tortoise Armor. The yellow 100-year spirit ring and the purple 1000-year spirit ring bloomed instantly. The second spirit skill, Black Tortoise Augmentation, directly provided him with a significant boost in defense, while the Black Tortoise Armor, resembling a green tortoise shell, appeared on his body, covering him tightly. Now, his defensive power was greatly amplified. At the same time, only one of the translucent green tortoise shells from his first spirit skill had shattered, the rest remained around him. One could say that Niu Chen was now a complete turtle shell. Little guy, your weapon is quite extraordinary to be able to shatter my first spirit skill's defense directly. But now that I'm using my second and third spirit skills, this is where it ends. I will use these hands to crush your precious sword, Niu Chen said heartily, his palm striking out like a mountain-toppling wave toward the incoming Holy Sword of Order. Lin Feng looked at him in surprise, feeling somewhat emotional. This guy is truly brave. Brave to the extreme. He had never seen such a courageous person. Whose subordinate was this? He actually dared to use his bare flesh to attack the Holy Sword of Order and even claimed he would crush it. Does the Holy Sword of Order have no dignity? Although its power couldn't be fully unleashed right now, it was still a divine tool. Bang tilde asterisk the moment Niu Chen's palms touched the Holy Sword of Order, the black tortoise armor on his body shattered into pieces. The surrounding green tortoise shells also exploded into dust. Fortunately, these two things helped him dissipate the force of the Holy Sword of Order, so he himself didn't suffer any injuries. He stared with wide eyes in disbelief, shocked as he watched the armor on his body instantly disintegrate. He made a split-second decision and hurriedly retreated. With a few leaps, he reached a safe position 5 or 6 meters away from Lin Feng. Huff, 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 huff. Niu Chen panted heavily, looking at the seemingly ordinary longsword in Lin Feng's hand. Was this really just an ordinary longsword? Being able to break his first spirit skill was one thing. After all, most sharp weapons could do that. But what about his third spirit skill? That was a defensive spirit skill provided by a 1,000-year spirit ring, yet it had been dismantled so easily and instantly. Didn't that explain everything? The spectator stands. What on earth is going on? Why did Niu Chen's armor instantly disintegrate when it touched the weapon in that little guy's hand? Is it because of the weapon? If so, isn't that cheating? How can such a weapon be used in a soul fighting? Cheating? How is this cheating? The rules of the Spirit Master competition don't seem to forbid bringing weapons onto the stage, do they? Besides, no matter how I look at it, that weapon seems ordinary. I refuse to believe an ordinary weapon can break through a spirit ancestor's defense. I'd rather believe the little guy himself possesses that kind of power. He's still no wonder he could take the stage. So the real reason is here, he can directly bypass a spirit ancestor's defense. Any defense system spirit master who meets him is just unlucky. No matter how strong their defense is, they can't stop this little guy's armor breaking ability. By the way, what exactly is this kid's spirit? The students in the stands were in an uproar. Seeing that Lin Feng, this child, could easily break a spirit ancestor's defense, they couldn't remain calm. At the very beginning, they hadn't taken Lin Feng seriously at all. The following is a copy of the above. I haven't finished writing yet, so I'm posting this first. Crackle tilde asterisk Niu Chen didn't think much of the Holy Sword of Order, but when the Holy Sword of Order struck that translucent green tortoise shell, the shell shattered like a spider web. Under Niu Chen's incredulous gaze, the Holy Sword of Order, carrying its immense power, slashed toward him. Niu Chen immediately shouted, second spirit skill, black tortoise augmentation. Third spirit skill, black tortoise armor. The yellow 100-year spirit ring and the purple 1,000-year spirit ring bloomed instantly. The second spirit skill, black tortoise augmentation, directly provided him with a significant boost in defense, while the black tortoise armor, resembling a green tortoise shell, appeared on his body, covering him tightly. Now, his defensive power was greatly amplified. At the same time, only one of the translucent green tortoise shells from his first spirit skill had shattered, the rest remained around him. One could say that Niu Chen was now a complete turtle shell. Little guy, your weapon is quite extraordinary to be able to shatter my first spirit skill's defense directly. But now that I'm using my second and third spirit skills, this is where it ends. I will use these hands to crush your precious sword, Niu Chen said heartily, his palm striking out like a mountain toppling wave toward the incoming Holy Sword of Order. Lin Feng looked at him in surprise, feeling somewhat emotional. This guy is truly brave. Brave to the extreme. He had never seen such a courageous person. Whose subordinate was this? He actually dared to use his bare flesh to attack the Holy Sword of Order and even claimed he would crush it. Does the Holy Sword of Order have no dignity? Although its power couldn't be fully unleashed right now, it was still a divine tool. Bang tilde asterisk the moment Niu Chen's palms touched the Holy Sword of Order, the black tortoise armor on his body shattered into pieces. The surrounding green tortoise shells also exploded into dust. Fortunately, these two things helped him dissipate the force of the Holy Sword of Order, so he himself didn't suffer any injuries. He stared with wide eyes in disbelief, shocked as he watched the armor on his body instantly disintegrate. He made a split-second decision and hurriedly retreated. With a few leaps, he reached a safe position 5 or 6 meters away from Lin Feng. Huff, 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 huff. Niu Chen panted heavily, looking at the seemingly ordinary longsword in Lin Feng's hand. Was this really just an ordinary longsword? Being able to break his first spirit skill was one thing. After all, most sharp weapons could do that. But what about his third spirit skill? That was a defensive spirit skill provided by a 1,000-year spirit ring, yet it had been dismantled so easily and instantly. Didn't that explain everything? The spectator stands. What on earth is going on? Why did Niu Chen's armor instantly disintegrate when it touched the weapon in that little guy's hand? Is it because of the weapon? If so, isn't that cheating? How can such a weapon be used in a soul fighting? Cheating? How is this cheating? The rules of the Spirit Master competition don't seem to forbid bringing weapons onto the stage, do they? Besides, no matter how I look at it, that weapon seems ordinary. I refuse to believe an ordinary weapon can break through a spirit ancestor's defense. I'd rather believe the little guy himself possesses that kind of power. Chapter 59, Six-Winged Angel Martial Soul. Fourth spirit skill, Profound Turtle Warhammer. Niu Chen shouted. A 1,000-year spirit ring suddenly blossomed, and a dark green warhammer with turtle shell patterns appeared in his hand. However, although it was called a warhammer, it looked more like a shield attached to a long spear shaft. Its appearance was extremely bizarre. Ha 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 tilde little guy, you managed to force out my fourth spirit skill. Even though it's because of the weapon in your hand, which is a bit of a trick, you still have enough reason to be proud. I am a powerful spirit ancestor, while you are just a child who awakened his spirit only a few days ago. Niu Chen looked at Lin Feng, gritting his teeth with a sense of frustration. As a powerful defense system spirit ancestor, although he didn't want to admit it, the fact was that he had been forced to use his fourth spirit skill by this child. To him, this was simply a massive humiliation. His opponent was just a spirit master who had awakened his spirit a few days ago. To think he could rely on the weapon in his hand to consecutively break through the defenses of his first and third spirit skills, what had all his years of cultivation been for? Ha! Niu Chen suddenly leapt up, swinging the profound turtle warhammer in his hand. He swung the hammer in a full circle and slammed it down violently toward Lin Feng's position. TCH tilde, Lin Feng made no unnecessary movements. He tightly gripped the Holy Sword of Order with both hands and stabbed toward the descending dark green warhammer. Even though this was the opponent's fourth spirit skill, what he held in his hand was a divine artifact. He believed that no matter how hard this dark green hammer was, it would instantly crumble upon contact with his Holy Sword of Order. Looking at Lin Feng's movements, the corners of Niu Chen's mouth curled up unconsciously. The boy's sword was extremely sharp. Having already experienced it, how could he be so foolish as to let his profound turtle warhammer collide directly with the sword? He suddenly twisted his body, and the warhammer in his hand abruptly changed its attack path, smashing toward Lin Feng's side. Seeing Niu Chen change his attack path in an instant, Lin Feng's eyes widened. He hadn't expected the opponent to pull a stunt like this. He was just a child. Was that really necessary? Furthermore, with his current reaction speed, he could perceive it but had no way to mount an effective defense or escape the attack range. In that split second, Lin Feng already thought of a solution. Since that was the case, he would activate his spirit and give this Douluo arena match a little shock. Just as the warhammer was about to land on Lin Feng, no sound of physical impact was heard. It was as if the strike had vanished into the deep sea, failing to stir even a single ripple. At the same time, the surrounding scene changed abruptly. Golden feathers drifted down slowly from the sky like snowflakes, landing on the ground. A holy radiance illuminated the entire Douluo arena, and the surrounding temperature began to climb sharply. What's going on? The wary Niu Chen instantly pulled back several paces from Lin Feng, watching the front with vigilance. Big brother, did you know? Originally, I thought I could face you without using my spirit. After all, this thing in my hand is a bit overpowered. It's a pity, big brother, that you still forced out my spirit. I have to say, a spirit ancestor is indeed very troublesome for the current me. Lin Feng said with a smile as he floated in midair. Behind him was his spirit, the holy light angel. This spirit, why have I never seen it, or even heard of it? No, wait, I seem to have seen this kind of spirit before. It looks like the iconic building of our spirit hall, the angel statue, the seraphim. Niu Chen said in amazement. He didn't know if Lin Feng's spirit was a seraphim, but he knew clearly what the angel statue meant to their spirit hall. He had originally thought it was just a unique architectural design, he never expected such a spirit to actually exist. Up in the special spectator seats, all the instructors present were now staring at Lin Feng's spirit on the Douluo arena with shocked expressions. Ordinary students might not recognize this spirit, but as instructors, how could they not? This was clearly the six-winged angel martial soul. They had been somewhat confused about this child's identity before, but now they could be certain. This child's true background was terrifyingly significant. He came from the Hall of Worship, one of the 3 major halls of the Spirit Hall. No wonder, no wonder. To be able to enter the golden class at age 6 right after awakening his spirit, so this little guy's spirit is the six-winged angel martial soul. I see. I was puzzled at the time, but now it seems perfectly reasonable. With such talent, entering the golden class at age 6 is nothing unusual. Indeed, this is the six-winged angel martial soul. It's been a long time since we've seen a six-winged angel martial soul appear in our Spirit Master Academy. I didn't expect this little guy to bring us such a huge surprise. No wonder the weapon in his hand is so sharp. It was probably given to him by that person. It's all perfectly clear now. The six-winged angel martial soul possesses level 20 spirit power at birth, far surpassing ordinary spirits. Before a six-winged angel martial soul, all spirits are ordinary because the seraphim is a god-level martial soul. As long as he absorbs spirit rings, he becomes a spirit grandmaster. However, even if this little guy is a spirit grandmaster, the chance of him defeating the Divine Wind team isn't high. The instructors in the special spectator seats were buzzing with discussion. They were excited to see the six-winged angel martial soul appear, but the class teacher of the Divine Wind team looked extremely grim. The appearance of the six-winged angel martial soul was a massive variable for the Divine Wind team. Originally, the Divine Wind team's victory was a sure thing, but now, it was hard to say. On the Douluo arena. Hee, you wanted to defeat me without even using your spirit. Little guy, you really are arrogant, relying on that weapon in your hand. I want to see what kind of ability you have to defeat me, even with your spirit activated. Niu Chen roared. Having reached the level of spirit ancestor at his age, he had his own pride, but this little guy seemed to have never taken him seriously. Arrogant little brat, take this. Niu Chen swung the warhammer, his legs bending slightly like springs before he launched himself forward, charging toward Lin Feng. Lin Feng watched Niu Chen charging at him and directly raised his left hand, aiming his palm at Niu Chen. He said solemnly, in that case, second spirit skill, Holy Light Amplification. First spirit skill, Holy Light Impact. Tisk 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 till the defense system spirit ancestor, I'll let you test the power of my 10,000-year spirit skill. Chapter 60, the power of a 10,000-year spirit skill, unstoppable for a spirit ancestor. 2 black 10,000-year spirit rings radiated a dark obsidian glow. Holy Light Amplification was instantly released, directly increasing his strength, speed, and attack by 40%. Most importantly, it could last for an hour without any side effects. Furthermore, the Holy Light Impact enhanced by Holy Light Amplification would be even more powerful. This is fake, right? It has to be fake. How could he possibly possess 2 10,000-year spirit rings? This is impossible, absolutely impossible. Niu Chen's eyes widened as he stared fixedly at those 2 black spirit rings, speaking in disbelief. No matter how much he refused to believe it, Lin Feng had already launched his attack. A full-power Holy Light Impact surged from his palm, blasting toward Niu Chen's position. The golden pillar of light was incredibly fast, arriving in front of Niu Chen in the blink of an eye. The sudden attack sounded an alarm for Niu Chen. He had already felt the terrifying aura and reacted instantly, blocking with the warhammer in his hands. Then, he shouted, first spirit skill, Mystic Turtle Body Protection. Third spirit skill, Black Tortoise Armor. Several transparent emerald green tortoise shells appeared around him, all gathering in front of his chest. The black tortoise armor encased his body like a turtle shell. At this moment, his defensive power had reached the absolute limit of what he could achieve. Even his captain would not be able to easily break his current defense. Boom, the full-power Holy Light Impact was immensely powerful, directly shattering the profound turtle warhammer into pieces. Following that, the transparent emerald green tortoise shells were also crushed one by one. Finally, the Holy Light Impact landed squarely on his chest. Even now, he couldn't believe that this child before him actually possessed 2 10,000-year spirit skills. Was this the true trump card of the Spirit Hall team? Their trump card wasn't Gui Mei, but this inconspicuous child in front of him. Rumble, the Holy Light Impact blasted a hole directly into the Douluo arena. When the dust settled, Niu Chen forced himself to stand up slowly. His clothes were in tatters, and he was in a terrible state, like a candle flickering in the wind, ready to collapse at any moment. You're still standing. Impressive, as expected of a defense system spirit ancestor. This defensive power is truly extraordinary to be able to withstand the might of a 10,000-year spirit ring. Lin Feng said with admiration. He had pushed the power of the Holy Light Impact to its limit, which had directly evaporated more than half of his spirit power. However, what he hadn't expected was that the opponent didn't faint immediately. The sudden attack just now was actually a sneak attack. Although the opponent had reacted in an instant, his body couldn't fully keep up in that short time. Even though the opponent had used all his defensive spirit abilities, his defense hadn't actually reached its true peak. But can you still fight now? What's the point of standing up based solely on instinct or willpower? Lin Feng raised his left hand, and golden light gathered on his index finger. With a whoosh, a golden beam shot toward Niu Chen, but the opponent didn't react at all, and the attack landed directly on his body. This attack was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. Niu Chen's eyes rolled back, and he fell straight to the ground. The following is a copy of the above. I will post it after I finish writing. 2 black 10,000-year spirit rings radiated a dark obsidian glow. Holy Light Amplification was instantly released, directly increasing his strength, speed, and attack by 40%. Most importantly, it could last for an hour without any side effects. Furthermore, the Holy Light Impact enhanced by Holy Light Amplification would be even more powerful. This is fake, right? It has to be fake. How could he possibly possess 2 10,000-year spirit rings? This is impossible, absolutely impossible. Niu Chen's eyes widened as he stared fixedly at those 2 black spirit rings, speaking in disbelief. No matter how much he refused to believe it, Lin Feng had already launched his attack. A full-power Holy Light Impact surged from his palm, blasting toward Niu Chen's position. The golden pillar of light was incredibly fast, arriving in front of Niu Chen in the blink of an eye. The sudden attack sounded an alarm for Niu Chen. He had already felt the terrifying aura and reacted instantly, blocking with the warhammer in his hands. Then, he shouted, first spirit skill, Mystic Turtle Body Protection. Third spirit skill, Black Tortoise Armor. Several transparent emerald green tortoise shells appeared around him, all gathering in front of his chest. The black tortoise armor encased his body like a turtle shell. At this moment, his defensive power had reached the absolute limit of what he could achieve. Even his captain would not be able to easily break his current defense. Boom, the full power holy light impact was immensely powerful, directly shattering the profound turtle warhammer into pieces. Following that, the transparent emerald green tortoise shells were also crushed one by one. Finally, the holy light impact landed squarely on his chest. Even now, he couldn't believe that this child before him actually possessed two 10,000-year spirit skills. Was this the true trump card of the Spirit Hall team? Their trump card wasn't Gui Mei, but this inconspicuous child in front of him. Rumble, the holy light impact blasted a hole directly into the Douluo arena. When the dust settled, Niu Chen forced himself to stand up slowly. His clothes were in tatters, and he was in a terrible state, like a candle flickering in the wind, ready to collapse at any moment. You're still standing. Impressive, as expected of a defense system spirit ancestor. This defensive power is truly extraordinary to be able to withstand the might of a 10,000-year spirit ring. Lin Feng said with admiration. He had pushed the power of the holy light impact to its limit, which had directly evaporated more than half of his spirit power. However, what he hadn't expected was that the opponent didn't faint immediately. The sudden attack just now was actually a sneak attack. Although the opponent had reacted in an instant, his body couldn't fully keep up in that short time. Even though the opponent had used all his defensive spirit abilities, his defense hadn't actually reached its true peak. But can you still fight now? What's the point of standing up based solely on instinct or willpower? Lin Feng raised his left hand, and golden light gathered on his index finger. With a whoosh, a golden beam shot toward Niu Chen, but the opponent didn't react at all, and the attack landed directly on his body. This attack was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. Niu Chen's eyes rolled back, and he fell straight to the ground. Chapter 61. Attack from both sides.